Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Luffy Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Supersmart Luffy Time Travel with Devil Fruit by Goddess. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Prologue. Raftel, 1 month after the incident, when he imagined the feelings that he would get when he would find the One Piece. He certainly never thought that he would feel like this. Pain, sorrow, despair, emptiness. Not even the giant mountains of gold that would probably make his navigator jump on it and start swimming like an old duck could fill the void that was eating him up from the inside, giving him suicidal thoughts when watching the beach and haunting nightmares filled with gore. Luffy was a broken man. He still remembered how his Nakama forced him to go on Raftel by putting his body on a man-launching cannon that Frankie had built so that they could end their service to the man that saved them by making him accomplish his dream. Luffy of course refused since there were still a quarter of the enemy forces left. But the Straw Hat fleet was on the brink of exhaustion. After all, it's quite hard to take on all of the Marines available plus the remnants of the Big Mom, Kaido and Blackbeard pirates. So they decided to send Luffy to the island with an emotional goodbye, with everyone crying and giving him hugs and on the case of Nami an unsuspecting kiss, since he thought that Nami considered him like a brother. The last thing he saw was the Sunny auto-destructing herself to kill every enemy in the area, in which it succeeded. Now Luffy, the supposed pirate king, but he would never consider himself like that, since he thought that he didn't deserve it, was on the brink of insanity. And with no one else to help him in this tough time, he decided to end his life, if he wasn't constantly thinking about how rude it would have been considering his Nakama sacrifice. So he decided to just accept it and live the rest of his life in this island. Finally decided to calm down. An angelic voice asked. Luffy's eyes snapped open at the sound of the voice, and after he got up he was greeted by a divine being. It was a woman with wavy blonde hair that reached her knees, eyes the color of the ocean, lips red like roses, a nice figure, a white dress and a tiara. Knowing this being was powerful thanks to his haki, Luffy went on to ask carefully who she was. "Who the hell are you, lady?" The woman sighed and giggled. "I see that even with the incident your naiveness and childness never left you. Monkey D. Luffy," the goddess responded, enunciating slowly his name at the end. Luffy glared at the woman and said, "If you want the treasure you can have it. I left it all in that place, most precisely in the cave over there. I have no interest in the treasure. In fact, I have more interest in you," said the woman while slowly approaching him, giving him the wrong idea. "Oh, I'm still too young to be a father. Besides, we just met," said Luffy, who was currently panicking, mainly because of the fact that he still was pure. When he met his father, he not just asked but demanded that his father would give him the talk, since according to his gramps it was the father's job. By the end, Luffy was a shivering mess and tried to avoid the two females of the ship while eyeing them suspiciously, which led to some embarrassing moments like Luffy screaming rape when one of them would touch him. Eventually he calmed down, but the suspicion was still there. The goddess giggled again. "No, you're getting it wrong. I don't want to engage in sexual activities with mortal men. In fact, I'll introduce myself. My name is Lashisis and I'm here to help you." Hearing this, Luffy got surprised for a second before asking, "Helping me? How will you help me?" "By allowing you to live with your friends again, of course," Lashisis answered. Luffy was stunned. Living with his friends again. It was what he most desired. He tried searching for any deception in Lashisa's face but detected nothing, so he decided to ask, "How? What? Can you actually do that?" "Yes, I can," Lashisis responded. "I have the power to make you reborn with your memories. You will also probably can use your observation haki at birth, but your conqueror and armament haki will be drastically reduced due to you being just a normal human being. There will be a slight difference though." "Oh really? What is it?" responded the straw hat wearing man. "Well, you see, every living being has a destiny, and each destiny is important for the world to continue. You reaching Raftel at the cost of the people you cared about was important to the world, because then we wouldn't have this talk," answered Lashisis with a smile on her face. Luffy, however, was frowning. So his friends had to die just so this Lacha whatever could talk to him? Hell no. But before Luffy could give her a piece of his mind, she probably sensed his rage and decided to comfort him. "Don't worry, this was done so that you could live with your friends, along with another person." Lashisis said mischievously, "This will also be your last available chance since you can't erase her." "Another person? Her?" Luffy asked while tilting his head in an adorable way. "You'll see. Well, time's up. Don't forget to train hard on your haki so that you will be strong enough to take on the world government. Now bye-bye," Lashisis said, while waving at him and giggling at the same time. "Wait, what? What do you mean?" "And stop giggling, you be." Luffy couldn't complete the rest of his sentence because he was being wrapped in a bright light. After a few minutes the light was being interrupted by two people, a man that kind of looked like a doctor and a tall man with a dark green hood that was set down, which let Luffy see the tribal tattoos on his face and his raven-colored hair. Luffy immediately recognized the man as his father and tried to talk, only to let out a cry. Here's the boy Dragon-sama, said the doctor while giving him to his dad. Dragon smiled, which was really rare, and said, welcome to the world, Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy then understood what Lechaka, whatever, the nice lady said about being reborn. But before he could think of anything else, the doctor said, now the girl is coming. Girl? Did Luffy had a twin sister when he was born? Luffy quickly remembered of the time that his dad had said how he was his only son, so there's no way another person. Oh, so this is what Miss Goddess was saying about another person. He had a sister now. If she managed to get as strong as Luffy was when he reached Raftel, then she would be a powerful ally. And welcome to the world as well, Monkey D. Lucy. Lucy. Luffy didn't know that Lucy was a girl's name. He even entered the Dressrosa Coliseum fight under that name. Does that mean that they thought he was going to be a girl? He didn't think he received dirty looks, so maybe it's universal. Oh, whatever, the only thing Luffy knew was that this time would be different. This time he would keep his friends. This time he would destroy the government. This time he was going to win. Prologue ended. 7 years later, Fusha Village, East Blue. And morning training is finished. Now normally you would never hear this from a 7-year-old kid. But this wasn't a normal kid, oh no, this was the future Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy. Now I shall take a bath and then try to convince Shanks. However, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that I'm forgetting something. Oh well, it's probably not important, said Luffy. Now you may be wondering, why was Luffy trying to convince Shanks, and the reason was training. Luffy considered asking Gramps for training, but he knows that while Gramps is kind of a goof, he still wasn't crazy enough to teach Haki and the Rokushiki to a kid, let alone one that wanted to be a pirate. However, Luffy did get Grandpa's blessing of being trained by Shanks after Luffy told him what had happened. Garp knew that his grandson was a terrible liar, so when Luffy told all of that with a constant serious face, he knew that was the truth. After all, while Lucy had trouble beating the monkeys, Luffy could do it much easier, even getting to the point of beating them all. Luffy also had slight differences from his past life. His body was now more muscled thanks to the extra training that he put himself to. He could control better its armament Haki, but it was still weak, while his conqueror's was just slightly controlled. After his bath, Luffy ran to the village where the party's bar was and proceeded to grab a knife. He then traveled to the docks where the Red Force was and proceeded to climb to the figurehead. Attention everyone, I'm about to show you how tough am I. Oh really? Then show us, little anchor, said a red-haired man that was coming out of the captain's quarters. This man was Shanks, the captain of the Red Hair Pirates. He was a man with 3 scars over his eye, a beard, a white shirt and red shorts, with a straw hat on his head. Brother, what are you doing? Said a young girl. This girl had black hair that reached her shoulders, big and hazel-colored eyes with a white t-shirt and red shorts. This girl was Monkey D. Lucy and was considered the most adorable thing in all of the village. Well, Lucy, your favorite brother is going to show Tomato Hair over there that he is a tough guy and should join his crew, said Luffy. While Shanks was getting pissed at Luffy's remark, Luffy then proceeded to stab himself under his left eye, leaving a big cut that would probably scar. And that was precisely what he was aiming for, since he felt weird every time he saw his face without the scar, and he for now couldn't do anything about the hat. Idiot, what are you doing? Brother, damn it hurts. Various reactions were heard from the people around Luffy, which then proceeded to scold him, most precisely his sister. You big idiot, why did you do that? You got hurt, said a teary-eyed Lucy while punching him repeatedly in the face. Seriously, Luffy, that was really dangerous, you know. You could have been turned blind, reprimanded Shanks, who was noticeably worried. Sorry, managed to mumble Luffy from his various lumps on his face. Well, what's done is done. Let's go have a drink, Luffy, towards your manliness, said Shanks. Okay, you guys go ahead, I've something to do on the fort, I'll be right back. Luffy told him to then proceed to run where his fort was. The fort was a base that he and Lucy built during their free time. It was made out of wood, but you could clearly see that was built amateurly, even though they asked help from Makino and Gramps. It reminded Luffy from the treehouse that he, Ace, and Sabo shared when they were kids. After applying poorly some bandages on his injuries, Luffy went to look himself on the mirror, most precisely, the scar on his cheek. After making sure that it was similar to how it once used to be, Luffy decided to join Shanks and the others at the bar. But before reaching the bar, he saw Haguma and the bandits leaving it. Luffy then proceeded to look down and entered the bar. As he entered the bar, he saw a laughing Shanks that was drenched in sake, while Makino, a woman with dark green hair that reached her shoulders and barkeeper clothes, was helping him clean up. The other pirates laughing, and his sister Lucy angrily eating a purple-colored fruit with swirls. Wait, swirls? Lucy. That stole the attention of the pirates, and they looked towards a Luffy with a gaping mouth looking at Lucy, who was eating something. Oh hey bro, did you finish your bandaging already? It looks poorly made, so you better ask Mackie. Lucy couldn't say anything else because Luffy had grabbed her by her neck and started shaking her while screaming, "Spit it out." The others were wondering what was Luffy doing until Lucy's neck stretched and made her head roll on the floor. Luffy could feel his jaw dropping gradually as every second passed, while the pirates noticed how the chest with the Gamu Gamu no Mai was empty, which led to Shanks scolding Lucy by calling her an idiot and explaining what she had done. Luffy wasn't paying attention though, since his mind started having flashbacks of the moments where he used his powers, of how from now on he could never transport himself and the others easily, never embarrass his male friends by stretching his thing and claim that he was the king, never do any cool gears, no more Red Hawks, and most importantly, he now couldn't eat as much as he used to, which led Luffy to yell a huge cry. And 2 weeks later, Luffy and Lucy were at the party's bar drinking, while Makino was cleaning the table. It's been some time since they left. Do you miss them? Asked Makino. No, they're wimps, especially Shanks. He got drenched and sick, and instead of beating that stupid bandit he just laughed, answered Lucy, who was still upset about the prior events. He's not a wimp, he just handled that like a real man. They didn't deserve a beating, said Luffy, who now understood Shanks' actions better since he had already experienced this memory. I don't care. He still should have punched him, responded Lucy. Suddenly the bar's door opened. Luffy turned his head to see who it was and saw Haguma and his minions outside. By the looks of it, those good-for-nothing pirates aren't here. That's good. It's quiet. Haguma then proceeds to sit on a seat and demands, what are you waiting for? We're customers. Bring us sake. Mayor Whoop Slap was an old man that liked to wear vacation clothes. He also was the chief of the peaceful Fusha village. Oh, how he loved the calmness of this village. Mayor, there's a problem. Awoken by the shout, Whoop Slap turned around and saw Makino panting while leaning on the door. What is it, Makino? Asked Whoop Slap. Luffy is fighting the bandits. Outside the bar there was a bunch of bandits on the floor. A little girl crying and a 7-year-old with the most murderous look anyone has ever seen. Say it again and I will kill you, asked Luffy in a calmed manner, even though he was enraged by what these bastards dared to say about Shanks, but most of all about his sister and Makino. 10 minutes before, the bandits were drinking like mad, which led to them make some terrible decisions that they would probably regret for the rest of their life. Did you see those pirates? Even when their captain was hit by a bottle they still didn't do anything. What a bunch of cowards, said random bandit number 4. When I see a chicken like that I just feel like killing him. The only thing pirates know is to act cool, said a very arrogant Haguma. Shut up. All the conversations were ended and the focus went to a little girl that was being held by the bartender with another boy that was eating. Shanks is way better than you, and he could kick your ass, said the now pissed off girl. Oi girly, you better shut up, or else, said random bandit number 7. Or else what, huh? I'll kick your ass, Lucy responded. You're really feisty, you know that, said Haguma, and there are some adults that like the feisty ones, no matter the age. What are you talking about? Said Lucy, who was now a little bit freaked out of the way Haguma was talking. Yes, I'll probably get a good price by selling you, but not without my boys having a round with you and that bartender, ha 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 ha. In the blink of an eye Haguma was punched and thrown out of the bar, followed by his lackeys, which lead us to this humiliating moment of Haguma apologizing to a kid. I am so BWAH, said Haguma before getting a knuckle sandwich to the ground. You can spit on me, pour drinks on me, heck even make fun of me, but if you threaten one of the people I care about and I will end you, said Luffy, looking like an absolute badass. Well said, Anchor. Turning towards the new voice, Luffy saw Shanks and his crew looking at him in amazement and respect, mainly because they probably would have never guessed that a 7-year-old kid could defeat a guy with a bounty of 8 million. I guess you weren't lying then. Your punch really is as strong as a pistol. Yeah, I'm pretty awesome, aren't I? Hey, you should let me join your crew. After all, I still have some tricks up my sleeve, said an excited Luffy, who could see his plan reaching success. But before Shanks could answer, one of the bandits got up and raised a pistol. Stop bragging and pay attention, brat. The bandit proceeded to shot Luffy, except it didn't hit its mark. Luffy, having detected it and wanting to show off his skills to Shanks, activated his observation haki and dodged the bullet, leaving everyone with dumbstruck faces. It didn't end there though, because Luffy rapidly turned around and hardened his arm with haki, making it black, and proceeded to punch the guy right in the face. Sensing the rest of the crew getting up, Luffy tried to release a controlled blast and nearly succeeded, but he still managed to knock out 3 villagers. Shanks was stunned. He never in his life would have guessed that there was a kid in the East Blue who could use the 3 types of haki, along with being a D. Maybe it wasn't bad to bring him along. Sometime later, this was it. Luffy was leaving his hometown. The entire population was there to send him off. Well, he would be leaving if his sister and Makino weren't hugging him like crazy. Please take care of yourself, Luffy. And if Shanks does you anything, be sure to tell me, okay? Said a teary-eyed Makino, while glaring at Shanks to show the hell he would go through if Luffy got hurt. She sure can be a demon when she wants to, thought a sweat-dropping Shanks. When you are done with your trip, can I join your crew, Luffy? Said Lucy, who was crying and hugging her brother. Of course you can, Lou. And don't worry, you still have Ace and Sabo, don't you? Said Luffy, who looked misty-eyed. but he blamed it on lighting effects. When Luffy was 5 years old, he went to the jungle with his sister while looking for his brothers from another mother's, and after chasing Ace for a while they managed to catch him at their first try. They then met Sabo and friendships were made, to later on evolve as brotherhood. Luffy had already told them of his plan to go with Shanks, and he made a promise to meet them on the sea when they would set sail on their own, which they decided to be 17 because of Sabo's and Luffy's strange insistence about that number. Lucy, however, was refused of setting sail on her own by her brother, who wanted her on his crew, but he wouldn't tell her that yet, so he decided to just say that she was a girl. "Yeah, I do, and don't worry, I'll train really hard so that even one day I can beat you, Luffy," said Lucy while nodding. "That's really good, Lucy. But you'll never manage to beat me because I'm going to become Pirate King," said Luffy. He wouldn't say this to her, but Luffy was worried about her even though she would be with Ace and Sabo, so he decided to give a package to Makino saying that it was for Lucy, and she would only be able to open it when she would be by herself. "Well, I have to go. See you later, everyone. It has been fun. And remember, Lucy, I'll come pick you up when we turn 17, said Luffy while waving and walking backwards to the ship. Once he got in the ship, Shanks approached him. "So are you ready, Luffy?" said Shanks. "Yeah, I'm ready. I can't wait to explore the seas with you guys." "But didn't you already explore them, Luffy?" questioned Shanks. After Luffy's display, Shanks took Luffy to a private place and interrogated him on where he learned about Haki. Luffy then proceeded to tell him his whole story, and Shanks believed him, because it was a well-known fact on the village that Luffy was a bad liar. "Yeah, but you guys are going to explore other seas outside of the Grand Line, aren't you?" questioned Luffy. "Of course. Now I think you just forgot one single thing in terms of clothing, Luffy," teased Shanks. "Wait, what?" "But I think I've got Eve." Luffy was interrupted by Shanks putting his straw hat on Luffy's head. "Now that's more like it. Let's leave, men." "Hi." Luffy didn't say anything other than gripping tightly his straw hat, relinquishing in the familiar sensation while bawling his eyes out. And now was time to train even harder and explore. But what Luffy didn't know was that certain events would happen that would change his life. Luffy was beaming. He was sailing with his idol and childhood hero while munching on a piece of meat. Basically, he was having the time of his life, and he would have the adventure of a second lifetime. "Drabble 1. Pick a weapon," said the first mate of the Red Hair Pirates, Ben Beckman. They were at a weapons shop at Paradise, because Shanks had insisted that Luffy would use a weapon, since he now couldn't just increase his strength. Luffy accepted as long as it wasn't a sword, since Zoro was the one that was going to be the world's greatest swordsman. The shop had an old man at the counter, while the room was filled with various types of weapons, one of which caught his eye. It was a warhammer, a gigantic one at that, probably 6 feet tall. It had a carved wooden handle with black flames and a huge rectangular-shaped block of steel. Luffy, impressed by the badassery of the weapon, immediately wanted it, even though it was nearly the most expensive item on the store. "This kid is going to waste a pretty large amount of our treasure from now on, though," Ben while facepalming and sighing at the same time. Drabble 2. Training with Rayleigh was hard. Training with Shanks, however, was even harder. Not just because of the physical training, oh no. Shanks forced Luffy to train everything, which included aiming lessons from Usopp, studying with Ben, and training with his weapon that Shanks considered a birthday gift even though his birthday was still 1 month away, with the captain himself. According to Shanks, the reason Luffy was so naive was because of living with mountain bandits with no connections to the outer world. But Luffy liked to blame it solely on his previous devil fruit power, claiming that he was smart. No one bought that. Drabble 3. When Luffy found it, he was 9 years old. He was in Autumn Island in Paradise when he saw it lying on the ground hidden by some fallen leaves. It was a light purple fruit that looked like it had raindrops on the side with swirls on them. Luffy quickly went to the library of the ship to look for the Devil Druid Encyclopedia. And when he recognized the fruit, he gasped and dropped the book. Thinking he maybe had read it wrong or confused it with some other fruit, Luffy went on to look again. And after 3 times he finally accepted it. That fruit was the Yami Yami no Mai, also known as the dark fruit. Suddenly memories were going through Luffy's brain, and they weren't pleasant. Sky Island does exist. People's dreams never end. Get dragged into darkness. STRAWHAT. Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, Jin. "I won't let what happened to you become a thing again in this world, even if I have to eat this," thought a determined Luffy, who then proceeded to eat the fruit. Drabble 4. It was a lot easier to control than it was with the Gamu Gamu no Mai, since he didn't need to apply multiple laws of physics on the usage of his devil fruit. Luffy had already controlled it in 1 year. However, controlling it and using it to its full potential were 2 different things. So that's why Luffy was now searching about darkness, which was frustrating since it was an abstract concept. Luffy had a few theories that were later proved correct, such as being able to see clearly in the dark and becoming intangible while being in a complete dark place, which would only become useful when he reached Thriller Bark. Luffy slammed his head on the table. This was going to be annoying. Drabble 5. Luffy was thrilled. He just had his first real battle in a long time against some random group of pirates of the South Blue, which was precisely where the red hair pirates were stationed in. Their captain, a man with a bounty of 25 million berry, thought he was the bomb and proceeded to try to beat some respect to a kid with a straw hat that was randomly walking. Since Luffy wanted to train more with his weapon, he proceeded to fight him. The captain got his ass handed over to him, which led to attract the attention of bypassers. Not wanting to cause more of a scene, Luffy fled the area and returned to the ship while showing the brightest grin anyone had ever seen. Drabble 6. What the hell? Asked a very confused Luffy. Surprise! Yelled the rest of the crew. It was Luffy's 12th birthday, and the crew decided to throw a surprise party over it. But why? Normally you wouldn't make a surprise party like this, said a very confused Luffy. Well, that was because you were a kid, but now you're a teenager, which means you can drink, said one of the crew members. I just turned 12, thought Luffy with a sweat drop on his head. Now drink. Fine, whatever, said Luffy, and then he started to drink. Next morning, it was a splendid sight to see. The crew members of a Yonko, who were supposed to be terrifying, were now lying on the floor sleeping. Luffy then proceeded to take a picture so that he could use it as blackmail to threaten Shanks of sending it to Makino. As he was stepping towards the kitchen, Luffy heard a bird calling. Looking up, he saw that it was the news coup. He paid for the newspaper, and when he picked it up, a paper dropped out. Looking with more attention, he realized what the paper was. YHHH. Awoken from the outburst, the crew members started to wake up, wondering who was the bastard that was making all the noise. When they noticed a sparkling Luffy holding a piece of paper, they asked him what had happened. Luffy then proceeded to show them the paper, and their jaws dropped. The paper was the bounty of Straw Hat Luffy, who had Luffy grinning to the camera while waving. He also had darkness coming off of him, looking like a fool but still dangerous. And he also had a reward of 80 million berries. While they knew Lojas tended to have larger bounties, and that was probably why Luffy had a bounty at 12 years old, 80 million berries was still huge for a starting bounty. Well, he did have what was considered the strongest Loja devil fruit, but still. However, this needed to be celebrated, so they started to drink again, even though they had already an hangover. In Fusha village, Lucy was happy. Not only her brother was okay, he also had a bounty. A pretty huge one. Look, Makino, doesn't Luffy look badass? Asked Lucy. Yeah, he does, answered Makino while giggling. But I'm more badass, right? Said a 15-year-old Ace. Nope, said both girls without hesitating, leaving a depressed Ace on the floor. Drabble 7. Garp's yearly visits were something that he never looked forward to. The man would take Luffy for a week and unleashed hell on him on some random island, saying that Shanks was too soft on him. It didn't help having a devil fruit that absorbed pain, so Garp had said that he needed to build a high endurance to it, increasing the intensity of the one-sided beatings that he classified as training. Which is why a beaten-up Luffy was laying on the ground while Garp was laughing at him. BWAHAHAHAHAHA, you've got a little better, Luffy, said Garp. Shut up, thought Luffy. So I've heard that your bounty went up. They must be crazy thinking you're worth 160 million berries, said Garp, trying to piss off his grandson, in which he succeeded. I'll show you then, roared Luffy while getting up. That's the spirit, roared Garp, preparing his fist of love. ARRRRRGGHHH roared both at the same time, with their hacky-coated fists colliding, creating a shockwave. Back at the ship, the crew members were awing at the display, while Shanks was looking at the island with a sweat drop. They really are family, those two. Drabble 8. Luffy was on the verge of killing him. They had met with the Whitebeard since news of Ace joining them were starting to spread around. It was all going well until Luffy saw him. Marshall D. Teach. Luffy knew he had to keep calm for his plan to work, but it was taking all of his willpower to not go next to him and rip his head off, especially when he started laughing. Shanks knew of this, and so he formulated a plan where Luffy would ask Ace for a spar to then activate his powers. He had to warn Whitebeard himself, though, so that he could order his crew to keep their observation hacky activated. After it, Luffy would proceed the day as normal as it could be, but always with Shanks. Then when he went to bed, Shanks and Whitebeard's first commander, Marco, or as Luffy liked to call him, Pineapple Head, would wait with their auras repressed to not set any alarms and sneak attack Teach, who then would be brought to justice in front of Shanks and Whitebeard. Luffy decided to start the plan, signaling to Lucky Roo, who then signaled to Usopp, who then signaled to Ben, who then signaled to Shanks, and finally signaling to Luffy. Why was it needed, all of this signaling? No one knew. Hey Ace, let's fight. Sometime later, Luffy could feel him entering his room. His murdering intent was high, and he could already hear his laugh. That was until a sword was pressed against his neck, making him look at a pissed-off Shanks. And that was the moment that Teach knew he fucked up. Now Teach was in a room with Whitebeard, Shanks, Ben, Marco, a very pissed-off Ace, and Luffy. You tried to kill a sworn sibling of one of your comrades, all for a devil fruit. Any family of my sons is considered my family as well, which means you tried to kill a family member. What do you have to say for yourself? Said Whitebeard with a touch of haki on his words to make them more menacing. That fruits is the strongest of them all. It's wasted on an idiot like that kid over there, said Blackbeard. That idiot is going to be the next pirate king, so you better shut the fuck up before I'll kill you, exclaimed Ace. Luffy was stunned hearing this. He had never heard Ace say that since he thought that Ace wanted Whitebeard to be the pirate king. Yeah, right, like him could be the pie. Pick your words very carefully, Teach, said Shanks. I don't take kindly people insulting my student. Luffy couldn't hide the pride and the happiness he had while hearing these words. It just warmed his heart. Well, Teach, since you were going to break the iron rule, I'll have no choice but executing you. The way of the execution, however, will be decided by the brat over there, said Whitebeard. Everyone looked at Luffy, who previously glared at Whitebeard for calling him a brat, but now was in deep thought. Suddenly he started grinning and exclaimed loudly, I have an idea. Outside at the deck of the Moby Dick. Any last words, Teach, said Ace, who volunteered to be the one to execute Teach. Fuck you, said Teach while smiling. Suit yourself, said Ace. He then proceeded to shove a devil fruit in Teach's mouth and pushed him into the ocean. Interesting method, Luffy. How the hell did you came up with this idea? Said Ace. Well, it just came upon my head, said Luffy while rubbing the back of his head. The truth was, this was how Luffy finished off Blackbeard on their fight. A fighting end for a greedy man, said Shanks while looking at the ocean. Well, now that is over, let's go to sleep. It's past you bedtime, Anchor, teased Shanks. Damn you, said a pissed off Luffy while the rest of them laughed. Travel 9. Sabayati Archipelago. The place where Luffy had experienced one of the worst things in his life. Now he was there, but it was to meet a certain man. So you're the one that Shanks chose, huh? Said Silver's Rayleigh, with amusement on his voice. Luffy nodded. Yeah, I'm going to become Pirate King, he said excitedly. So you want to conquer Roger's seas? Rayleigh said. Luffy was silent for a while, like the rest of the room, waiting for Luffy's answer. I don't want to conquer anything. It's just the Pirate King is the one with the most freedom of the seas, said Luffy. Rayleigh had a look of shock that changed to a look of recognition to then a look of pride. Then you better be Pirate King, kid. Travel 10. What the hell is this? Shrieked Luffy. It's the first edition of the Grand Line magazine. It contains information about the Grand Line. And it also has a part for men and women, said Shanks. Well, I can see that. I'm just wondering what is this, said a very pissed off Luffy while showing an article of him in the girls section. The topic was the most hot guys sailing the Grand Line, and one of the candidates was Luffy himself. Luffy's new bounty picture was there, which showed a smirking Luffy with his straw hat on his head. And another picture that was taken without Luffy knowing, which was Luffy with his straw hat around his neck, black shorts and an open red vest. I've never heard of this magazine on my previous life. Why the hell is it being released? Said Luffy. Maybe it's just yearly and you just missed it, since you total spent a year sailing, with a 2-year break in between. Tried to invent Shanks. Luffy narrowed his eyes at Shanks and said, whatever, at least I'm here while you're not, which means you're too old and ugly. What did you just say, you brat? Said an enraged Shanks. I'm also wondering if they had permission to do this since I'm only 16, said Luffy while running away from Shanks. I just hope no one from my crew saw this, thought Luffy. Why I am wasting time running to catch a brat who was reading the girls section, exclaimed Shanks, which made their crew members laugh. They put Mihawk instead of you, said Luffy. They what? Screamed Shanks while taking off the magazine and started searching it. Well, look who's reading the girls section now, said Luffy with a mischievous glint in his eye. That made the crew erupt in laughter at a now embarrassed captain who suddenly started shaking with rage. I'm so going to kill you, Luffy. Final. There it was, Luffy's hometown, Fusha village. It has been 10 years since he last saw it, and he was only going to be there for a week before departing again. Luffy saw Lucy again, who had grown into a fine young woman with long black hair that reached her waist, an hourglass figure, a red tank top and blue shorts, and she was shorter than Luffy because of her devil fruit powers. After teasing Luffy about his article that had been hanged at Party's bar and partying for the week, it was time to start sailing again. Got everything, Luffy? Asked a fisherman of the village. Yeah, I have everything on the boat that Shanks lent me, said Luffy. He was now 6'0" tall, had his new world attire, in which it consisted on an open cardigan, yellow sash, blue shorts, and his straw hat. He also was more muscled than before, and he was slightly stronger than his previous life after the 2 years of training. His smasher was in his dark realm, as he liked to call it, for convenience. He also was capable of using Zoro and Jeppo proficiently, and Rankyaku he could use, but it wasn't perfected yet. The others he didn't care. Now let's set sail, Lucy. Hi. However, this wasn't going to be a calm start, for the Sea King, whose name was Lord of the Coast, appeared, trying to scare the inhabitants of the boat. Let's hit him together, sis, said Luffy while preparing his legs. Of course, bro, said Lucy while preparing her fist. Luffy then started to use Jeppo to get close to the Sea King, while Lucy prepared to stretch arm, and so, with the power of siblings combined, they punched it right in the face, knocking him out. Gamu Gamu no sibling canon. Luffy then proceeded to ask Lucy, did Makino give you the box? Yes, she did. There was a book there about something called Haki who I couldn't be bothered to read, so I asked Makino to read it in a notebook involving my devil fruit. But why did you had it? Said Lucy. No biggie. Now did you learn the stuff from it? Asked Luffy. Yeah, I unlocked and mastered armament while I just unlocked observation. I mastered your so-called gear 2nd and gear 3rd, but gear 4th is really hard, said a pouting Lucy. No wonder your aura increased so much, Lucy, you're really strong. But don't worry, you'll master it in no time, said a grinning Luffy. Yeah, you're right, now let's go, said a beaming Lucy. And so Luffy's adventure begins. Again, on a small boat in the waters of the East Blue there were 2 human beings, a girl and a boy. These people may look normal, but they were about to change the world. Why are you looking at that compass and that map, Luffy? Asked the girl, while she was laying beside the railing with her hands behind her head. It's called navigation, Lucy. And now be quiet, I'm trying to sense nearby presences, said the boy, who was looking intensely at the map while trying to figure it out. What island did he meet Koby? While Luffy could now navigate on his own, he still wasn't Nami, which means he could just avoid natural disasters, like the whirlpool that he confronted on his previous life. Nini, said Lucy while pouting. Luffy sighed. Was this how his nakama felt like when he started acting like a child? If so, then it was no wonder he would always get beaten up. Luffy then sensed various presences, and when he looked at the map he grinned. He had just reached the island where he had met Koby for the first time. The darkness human proceeded to dock the boat on the other side of the island, so that they wouldn't go noticed and get sunk. He may be strong enough for the new world, but he still was a hammer in the water just like his sister, and he didn't want them to get freaked out by watching him performing Jeppo, so he decided to make the sneaky approach. After walking, they got to a beach where Alvida's ship was docked. There was also 2 houses built along with a flag of the Alvida pirates. Luffy then saw a young Koby getting kicked off of the ship. Even though he was a marine, he was still Luffy's friend, so he decided to show himself. How about you leave the kid alone, said the Straw Hat Man while what looked like his sister popped up next to him, grinning. Who the hell are you? Said one of the pirates. Luffy ignored him and started walking towards them, but was stopped by a hand on his shoulder. Let me handle this, Luffy. Besides, I need to show my brother how strong I've become, said Lucy while winking at him. Luffy shrugged and proceeded to walk into the storage building to catch something to eat. The pirates were going to stop him from going there when they got punched in the face by the girl. Your opponent is me, said the girl. The pirates started to laugh at her, because no one in their right state of mind would believe that a little girl could defeat them. That all changed when Lucy proceeded to attack Gamu Gamu no Whip, which knocked out all of the pirates, making Alvida shake with rage. Meanwhile, at the storage room, Luffy was now eating. Since he was a darkness human, he literally was a black hole, which means he needed to eat a lot. But Luffy had the company of Koby, who was now pale and sweating in fear. Why did you leave your sister alone out there? It's Abida-sama that she's facing. She's going to get killed, exclaimed the pink-haired boy. Luffy started laughing and said, don't worry, she's really strong. Probably could defeat every pirate on the East Blue. Now what is a wimp like you doing on a pirate ship? Luffy didn't feel like insulting his old friend, but he had to bring the inner determination of Koby out so that he could become the strong marine from before. Koby started crying comically tears while telling his story of how 2 years ago he was going to be on a fishing trip when he accidentally walked on a pirate ship. Luffy started laughing since while the situation was something you would expect from Zoro, it still was pretty dumb to accidentally walk on a pirate ship. So you're an idiot. Why haven't you tried to escape? Asked the black-haired man. No way. Alvida would kill me, cried Koby. Oh, so you're an idiot and a coward. I hate people like you, exclaimed Luffy while using a joyful voice. Koby then proceeded to ask, Luffy-san, why are you and your sister sailing? Oh, I want to be Pirate King. And Lucy wants to be the strongest woman in the world, said the man. Koby blinked and then yelled EHHH. What? Asked Luffy. You can't be Pirate King, it's impossible. Staying at the top of the pirate era is impossible. Being stronger than one of the Yonko, it's impossible. 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 Koby didn't say anything else because Luffy smacked him in the back of his head. It doesn't matter if it's impossible or not. Me and Lucy decided to follow our dreams, and we don't care if we die from it, Luffy said with a determined gaze that just looked badass. Koby, shocked by the words that Luffy said, proceeded to ask him, then could I do it? Could I become what I most dream for? Could I become a marine? You can become anything you want, Koby, as long as you work hard for it, said the man with the straw hat. Koby then stood up and in the most determined voice he yelled, I quote, I'll do it. I'll train hard and then I'll become a marine admiral. That's the spirit, now let's step outside. Lucy probably finished her fight already, said Luffy while moving towards the door. When they stepped outside her, they saw all of the pirates on the floor. Lucy sitting on the railing while swinging her legs and with no sign of Alvida. Lucy then dropped off the railing and ran to her brother. I already beat them 10 minutes ago while you were chatting up this kid. I also sended the fat whale flying somewhere. Now that Koby could see more clearly, he saw how beautiful Lucy was and started blushing. She noticed it and asked, "Who is he? Is he sick?" I am C. Koby. St tutored the small boy. Luffy got a sudden feeling of protectiveness for some reason, but he ignored it. He's a kid that wants to become a Marine, so we'll just drop him off on the nearest Marine base. Oh okay, then hold on to me, said Lucy while stretching her arms to the flag. Luffy and Koby proceeded to grab onto her, but with one glare from Luffy, Koby got the warning of being careful where we would touch. Suddenly Lucy released the tension and they went flying to the other side of the island, crashing onto the sand. Lucy was laughing out loud. Koby had his face on the dirt and Luffy was cleaning his shorts. Next time we'll use my method of transportation. Got it, Lucy, said the man. Lucy grunted and mumbled killjoy while heading towards the ship. Koby, after cleaning himself up, started to review what he had just saw. Did your arms just stretch? Oh yeah, they did. I ate the gamu gamu no mai, which made me a rubber woman, said Lucy while stretching her cheek to abnormal distances. Koby nearly fainted hearing this, so Luffy decided to not tell him about his powers. Sometime later, as the boat was sailing the sea, Lucy proceeded to ask Koby, "Hey, when I was about to hit that fat hippo, she mentioned a guy named Zoro. Do you know him?" "Yeah, he's known as the pirate hunter, but now he's kept captive at the marine base in Shell's Town." "Why do you ask?" answered Koby. "No reason, Luffy. What do you think?" said the girl while grinning at Luffy. Luffy also grinned and said, "If he's strong, I'll invite him to my crew." "You can't be serious. He's known as a demon. He'll just slaughter you," said the small boy, who now was waving his arms trying to make his point reach Luffy, but he failed. Smack. "Oh, what was that for?" cried Koby. "You were being annoying," responded Luffy. Smack. "Oh, what the hell, Lucy?" said the pissed off Luffy while glaring at his sister. "You didn't need to hit him." "It's okay, Koby, he won't hit you anymore," said Lucy while hugging Koby, who is now red as a tomato. However, when he looked at Luffy, he saw a devilish aura that screamed, "Let go of my sister or else," which Koby complied to. "Let's just move on," said Luffy while looking at the horizon. "Zoro, I'm coming for you, and this time I'm going to make sure you'll become the world's greatest swordsman." Shell's Town. We're finally at the marine base. "I didn't know you were this good at navigating, Luffy," said Lucy with Luffy at her side while Koby was docking the boat. "It's just the basics, Lucy. We need to recruit an actual expert at navigating," said the black-haired man, while already knowing who would fulfill the job. The trio proceeded to enter a restaurant called Food to Eat. While they were eating, Luffy proceeded to speak. "Well, Koby, it looks like we'll be splitting ways here, so good luck on being a Marine." "Thanks, Luffy-san. Although we'll become enemies in the future, I wish you good luck on your pirate career," said the pink-haired boy while wiping his eyes on his sleeve. "Now we just have to find Zoro," said the raven-haired girl. However, after hearing the girl's declaration, every costumer suddenly jumped and started to get close to the wall like they wanted to be as far away as possible from that group. "I've got the feeling that we can't just yell out the name Zoro," whispered Koby with a hand close to his mouth. Attempting to change the mood, Koby spoke again. "So I just saw a notice outside. Apparently someone called Captain Morgan is at the base." After hearing Morgan's name, the crowd jumped back to the wall again. After witnessing the strange event happening for a second time, they left. Now they were on the street with a laughing Lucy and Luffy and a confused Koby. "Even though I've been through this, it's still as hilarious as last time," thought the man with the straw hat. "What an interesting restaurant. We have to come back here again," said Lucy while holding her belly as she laughed. Koby, who was perplexed by the people's action, decided to put his thoughts on the matter. "I've got a bad feeling about this. I mean, I kind of understood their reaction to Zoro's name because of his reputation, but to react that way when hearing the captain's name. Maybe he also did something bad," the girl questioned. "That's impossible. He's a Marine captain," Koby shouted, like if it was ridiculous the idea of that happening. "Koby, do you consider me a bad person?" asked Luffy with his hands behind his head. "What, of course not," said the small kid. "But I'm a pirate, so by your point of view, shouldn't I be a murderer who would rape women and pillage their homes?" said the tall man. Koby was about to respond when suddenly he started to process the true meaning of Luffy's words. If Luffy was a good person even though he was a pirate, there also was the possibility of the opposite happening. A Marine being a terrible person. Koby obviously was disgusted by someone being that vile and swore to never become like that. Seeing the determination and resolve on Koby's eyes, Luffy smiled and headed forward to the Marine's base, where his first mate was. "Wow, this thing is really ugly," declared Lucy while looking at the base. "I agree with you, sis. So Koby ready to join the Marines?" asked the black-haired man, while looking at the wall that he was going to climb, while taking deep breaths to steady his emotion level. He didn't want Zoro's first impression of him to be a crybaby. "But I'm not prep Luffy-san. Lucy-san, what are you doing?" said Koby while looking at Luffy, who was already on top of the wall, and Lucy coming from behind. "Now I wonder where Zoro is?" asked the black-haired girl. "There's no way that they would keep Zoro on the open. He's probably on the dungeon," said the pink-haired boy. "I see him over there," said Luffy while moving to a better spot. Having no other choice, Koby also climbed, and what he saw made him jump back in fear. It's him. There's no mistaking it. That bandana and that haramaki. It's Roronoa Zoro. Those ropes look easy enough to break out of, said Lucy while looking at Zoro. Zoro was tied up to a wooden cross in the middle of the yard. He had his bandana on his head, but his swords couldn't be seen. He also had blood running from his mouth and his face, giving him a devilish aura. Stop joking. It could kill you, said the short boy. He was later interrupted by a gruff voice. Hey you, could you please come untie me? I've been tied up for 9 days and I'm exhausted. I'll even repay you by hunting a fugitive and giving you the bounty. I'm a man of my word, said the man Zoro. If you just hear his voice, you could consider him telling the truth. However, with how he looked, it was more like he was daring them to free him. Don't be tricked by him, Luffy-san. If you free him, he'll just kill us and escape, said Koby. Don't worry, Koby. My brother and I are stronger than him, so he can't kill us, casually responded Lucy. Huh, grunted Zoro. But before anything happened, a ladder appeared next to the trio and a little girl climbed it. She then turned around and shushed them and leapt over the wall. What the hell is she sewing? Luffy-san, stop her, said the boy with the glasses. Do it yourself, said Luffy. Hey brat, what are you doing here? Get lost, said the tied-up man in the most threatening voice he could say. I thought you would be hungry since you've been here for a long time, so I decided to make some rice balls for you. It's my first time doing them, said the little girl. I don't want to go away. I'll kill you if you don't go, exclaimed Zoro, picking on little kids. How classy of you, Roronoa Zoro, said a blonde man that was entering the base with 2 Marines by his side. Zoro scoffed. If it isn't the captain's bastard son. Watch your tongue. My dad is a Marine captain. Oh, what's this? Rice balls. They look tasty, said the guy whose name was Helmeppo. Wait, they aren't for you, said the kid. Helmeppo ignored her and started eating them. Bleg, why is there sugar on these balls? You're supposed to put salt, exclaimed the blonde man with the suit. But I thought that they would taste better sweet, said the girl, starting to get teary-eyed. How could someone eat this? Said Helmeppo, who started stomping on the rice balls while laughing, ignoring the pleas of the little girl. Seeing this, Koby understood even better Luffy's words. How could a son of a Marine do this? That's so cruel. I worked so hard on making them, said the kid while starting to cry. No wonder I hate little brats. The only thing they know is to cry, said the blonde man with a hand on his forehead. It's your fault, you know. Didn't you read the sign? Anyone who helps a criminal will be charged with the same crime. Marine Captain Morgan. You know how scary my dad is, right? You would have gotten the death penalty if you were a grown-up. Oi, throw this brat out, Helmeppo ordered to a Marine. But sir, no buts. Are you trying to disobey me? I'll tell my father, said the blonde man while gripping the Marine's collar. Aye, sir. The kid was suddenly thrown out the wall, but Lucy grabbed her in midair, saving the kid from a hard fall. Koby rapidly started checking the kid for wounds, while Luffy was still on top of the wall, glaring and repeatedly thinking, he's going to be good, he's going to be good, he's going to be good. I didn't think you had this kind of endurance, Zoro. You still have to live for the rest of the month if you want to get released, said Helmeppo. You better keep your promise, said Zoro. When he looked up, he noticed a man with a straw hat right in front of him, with a beautiful girl that looked similar to him. You still here? Leave her, the brat will tell his father. I'm looking for someone to join my pirate fleet, said Luffy while grinning. So, you decided to give up on life, huh? Said the man with the bandana on his head. It's my dream and I'll do anything to accomplish it, so don't you dare talk about it like that, said the black-haired man. Zoro's eyes glinted when he heard the word dream. You're going to set me free and force me to join you then, said Zoro while grinning sadistically. Everyone here thinks you're a bad guy, so Luffy hasn't decided yet, said Lucy with her hands crossed. The bad guy, huh? I'll never join you. I still have a promise to fulfill. I'm going to endure this for 1 month and make my dreams come true, exclaimed the tied-up man with conviction on his voice. Really? I probably would have starved to death in 1 week, said the girl. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're different. Now go find someone else to join you. He noticed the man trembled a bit, but maybe it was his mind that started to make hallucinations, although he had the feeling that he saw the man with the straw hat somewhere before. When they started to leave, Zoro quickly called out to them. Hey, hold on. Can you pick that up for me? Lucy looked where the man was looking and saw the remains of the rice ball. Are you sure you want to eat his? It's all muddy. Shut it and give it to me, said Zoro. Lucy put the ball on his mouth, which Zoro proceeded to eat it. After coughing, sweating, and crying a bit, he managed to swallow it. Tell that little girl that the rice balls tasted very good. When they left, Luffy approached Lucy. You go on ahead. I'll catch up later, okay? Okay, Luffy. After making sure Lucy was quite a bit ahead, Luffy went to a nearby alley while shaking. When he reached it and assured himself that no one was watching, he opened the floodgates. BWWWAA. Luffy couldn't handle it any longer. Seeing one of his crew members alive filled him with such happiness that he could nearly burst. If it wasn't for his emotional training that he took so that he wouldn't freak them out when they would meet again, he probably would have latched onto Zoro and started to cry. He got a little hurt when Zoro refused to join, but he remembered that apart from Robin and Brooke, everyone refused at first. Cleaning his eyes, he then walked towards the place where Koby, Lucy, and Rika were. Meanwhile, really, he ate all of it. I'm so happy, said the little girl. Is he really that much of a horrible person like the rumors say? Said Koby. He didn't do anything wrong. Everyone is afraid of him because he killed Helmeppo's wolf while protecting me. Helmeppo got angry and arrested him, said the kid. The only bad guys here are the Morgans. You'll get executed if you disobey them. Ha, who dares to raise his head? I'll tell my dad and you'll end up like Roronoa Zoro, who's going to be executed in 3 days, said Helmeppo. Looking back, Lucy saw Helmeppo walking on the street with his marine bodyguards while the people were bowing. But before she could say anything, she heard her brother speaking. 3 days. Didn't you say that you would be giving him a month? Said Luffy with his straw hat shadowing his eyes. Yeah, I was just joking with him. Only an idiot would believe that, said the blonde man. Luffy couldn't handle it any longer, so he backhanded Helmeppo through a wall. And another one. And another one. Luffy-san, please calm down, said Koby while holding Luffy back. Even though Luffy could get rid of him easily. I've decided. I'm going to get Zoro on my crew, said the black-haired man. He knocked out the captain's son. This is bad. Captain Morgan won't be happy. But damn, that man's strong. He sent Helmeppo flying through walls with just his hand. That was so cool, said the little girl. Rika, what are you doing talking to strangers? You could be mistaken by one of their friends, said what was probably Rika's mom. But mom, he's nice, just like Zoro, said Rika. Did you go to the execution site again? That's it. You won't leave the house now, said the woman, while Rika was looking with sadness to Luffy and his friends. Koby, stay here and get a lot of food since Zoro will be hungry. Then head towards the base. Lucy and I will be already heading towards it. Okay, let's go pick up Zoro, said Lucy while jumping in the air. Meanwhile at Morgan's office. I am great, said a blonde muscular man with tan skin and his back turned to the door, looking like a villain from a James Bond movie. Yes, you are Captain Morgan, said nervously a marine soldier. But lately the offerings have been decreasing, said Morgan, still with his back turned. About that, the citizens have their financial problems too, sir, said the soldier. It's not about the financial problems, it's because they don't respect me, said the captain. Okay, sir. I've also received reports that your son has been knocked unconscious by a stranger, said the marine. Was my son wearing the purple suit? Asked Morgan. Yeah, then he deserved it, said the marine captain. At the execution site. Oi, what are you doing here? Didn't I say I wasn't going to join you? Said Zoro, who still looked as dirty as ever. I'm Luffy and I'm going to break the ropes so that you can join me, exclaimed Luffy, who was already moving to free Zoro. I already told you I'm not going to be a bad guy. Why do you care? Everyone already thinks you're a bad guy, said Lucy, who was tilting her head while looking at the swordsman. I don't care what people think. I haven't done a single thing I regret doing, said the pirate hunter. Well, if you don't care what people think, then you shouldn't care if you were a pirate. Mihawk is the best swordsman in the world and he's a pirate. He's a lone wolf though. Besides, Helmeppo said that he would execute you in 3 days. So you have to join me if you want to make your dreams come true, said the pirate captain, grinning inside his head because he knew that he got Zoro in the bag right now. What? That bastard, exclaimed Zoro. After calming down, he said, well, if what you said was the truth, then I guess I'll join you. I need my katanas first though. No problem. Lucy, can you go look for Zoro's katana? I'll give you meat, said Luffy while looking at his sister. A second passed and Lucy was already running towards the door of the marine base. So, who's the girl, Captain? Asked Zoro. Oh, she's my twin sister, so you better watch out your future actions, said Luffy while looking at Zoro with the most threatening face that he could master. While nowhere near Nami's level, he still managed to scare Zoro a little, which made him laugh. Don't worry, I'm just joking with you. I know you wouldn't be that stupid to do something like that. Also, for your information, she's really strong. Laughing again and freak out Zoro even more, Luffy broke the ropes with pure strength, setting Zoro free. Okay, now we wait for Koby to bring the food since you're probably starving right now, said the tall man. After cleaning his clothes, Zoro leaned against the pole, waiting for his feast. Meanwhile at the marine base, now where are Zoro's katanas? Wondered Lucy, who was opening every door and looking with the eyes of a falcon to find Zoro's swords. While looking for them, she noticed a sign on the door that said, "My room." They better be here, I'm hungry already. Opening the door, she noticed it was a room of a princess, except for the armory near the wall. Looking more closely, she noticed 3 katanas there. Found them, tying them to her back. She then started thinking about why there weren't any marines in sight. Activating her observation haki, she sensed them on the roof and decided to see what was going on. Entering the roof, she saw a bunch of marines trying to lift a statue while what looked like the strongest of them all was sitting back ordering them. Oi, what are you guys doing? asked the black-haired girl, getting all the attention towards her. Sir, she was with the group that beat up your son, said a random Marine. Even though he deserved it, you're still violating the law, so I'll have to catch you, said Morgan while pointing his axe hand towards her. Sorry, no can do, I have stuff to do, said Lucy. She then started running towards the statue and jumped a little so that she could bring enough force to do a great leap. However, thanks to that, she broke the statue in half. Every Marine, including Morgan, dropped their jaws at the sight of a girl breaking the statue with just her leg strength. Sorry, said the girl while falling down. When she fell, she rolled on the ground and got up, surprising yet again the Marines. That bitch, arrest her, ordered a very pissed off Morgan. Well, that was fun, shishishishi, said Lucy while laughing. Behind her you could see the statue falling down and breaking. How the hell did you survive that fall? Asked Zoro, who now could see that his captain wasn't lying when he boasted about the girl's strength. Oh, I ate the Gamu Gamu no Mai, which turned me into a rubber woman, said Lucy while stretching her cheeks to abnormal distances, creeping out Zoro even more. So, you ate a devil fruit, huh? No wonder you broke that statue, said a man behind her. Looking back, she noticed that it was Morgan and his soldiers with their guns ready. It's no use since you'll be dying right now. Then fire, ordered the Marine captain. Hearing this, Lucy quickly went to the path of the bullets and took them on. Oi, you, what the hell are you doing? Exclaimed Zoro. He then shut up when he saw the bullets stretching Lucy's skin, only to be rebounded. Like I said, I'm a rubber woman, bullets don't work on me, said the girl. Humph, if guns don't work then attack her with swordsmen, said Morgan while trying to lift up the Marine's spirit. What the hell are you? Wondered the swordless swordsman. Are you deaf or retarded? My name is Monkey D. Lucy, rubber woman, and I'm going to become the strongest woman in the world. Here's your swords, by the way. And I'm Monkey D. Luffy and I'm going to become Pirate King, said Luffy while grinning. Zoro glared at Lucy for her remark and treatment of his swords, but then he started grinning. Looks like I've joined a crew of weird people. I'm going to become the world's greatest swordsman, and if you'll try to stop that, I'll cut open your stomach. That's great. It would be embarrassing if the Pirate King didn't have the best, said Luffy. Well, how about you show your skills, Zoro, while I'll wait for Koby back at the entrance. Lucy, you stay here. Roger, Captain, said Zoro, while Lucy just nodded and started cracking her knuckles. Zoro, duck, warned Lucy. Gamu Gamu no whip. After the attack, all the Marines were knocked out. You bastards, I quote, I'll execute you, screamed Morgan. Onigiri. Morgan couldn't say anything else because he suddenly was cut by Zoro. Nice, Zoro, said Luffy, now with a stunned Koby and a large bag of food. No problem, Captain. Amazing, breathed out Koby. They defeated the captain so easily. Then that means we're free. The Marines suddenly started to celebrate their captain's defeat since they were also afraid of him. Zoro was also celebrating, but it was mostly because of the food and steak that he had in front of him. Later at the restaurant, you guys are really amazing, said Rika. Yep, we are, replied the future Pirate King. So, Captain, what's our plan now? Asked Zoro, who now without the bandana you could see his green hair. It's obvious, we're going to the Grand Line. After getting more crucial crew members first, said Luffy. The celebration was interrupted when the Marines entered the building. Are you pirates? Yeah, we are, said Lucy. While we are extremely happy that Captain Morgan was defeated, we are still Marines. So we demand that you leave this town. Since you helped us, we won't be reporting this incident to Marine headquarters. The Marine voice was steady, but you could see the slight tremble of his knees. Wanting to test something, Luffy stood up and what he saw proved his theory true. The Marine stiffened and started sweating when he saw Luffy stand up, which only meant one thing. He had been recognized. Well, I appreciate that you won't be denouncing us to the headquarters, so we'll leave. Let's go, Zoro, Lucy. As they were standing up so that they could leave, Koby stayed behind. Seeing this, the Marine quickly asked Luffy, isn't he with you? Luffy looked back and said, that wimp. Just look at him. As if I wanted a shrimp like him on my crew. Koby started to tear up. Wasn't Luffy his friend? But when he was about to speak, he saw Luffy winking at him without any Marine noticing it. Well then leave, said the Marine. After they left, Koby proclaimed to the Marines that he wanted to join them. One of the soldiers quickly opposed to that idea, but the commander stopped him, saying that he would let him join, even though they already knew of his past. As they were about to leave the island, they heard Koby calling them while he was saluting them. He was later joined by the Marine group. Never thought I would see Marines saluting pirates, said Zoro. Don't worry, Koby, I'm sure we will see each other again, said Lucy while waving her arms. Next time we meet Koby, we'll be at the top. Got it, said Luffy. Koby nodded. And that's how the departing of the soon-to-be Straw Hat Pirates went. After the departure, Luffy looked to the horizon. I've got Zoro. Now next thing to do is recruiting you. Nami. Wow, it actually will take less than a week to get there, thought Luffy with a sweat drop running on his head. They had defeated Captain Morgan and now they were heading towards Orange Town. Hey, I see something over there. exclaimed Lucy from her spot at the front of the boat. Luffy activated his observation haki and what he sensed made him freeze. It was a presence that he hadn't felt in a long time, but he would never forget. "What is it, Lucy?" asked Zoro, who was napping against the railing. "It looks like a boat and it has some orange-haired girl on it. I also see a chest," she said. "So, what do we do, Luffy?" Luffy now was taking his deep breaths while thinking blue ocean, waterfall, spring repeatedly on his head. He stopped and turned to Lucy. "Let's go to her." Luffy didn't expect to see his navigator so soon, which means that he wasn't totally prepared to see her again. So when he saw her clearly, he couldn't stop gasping. She was hanging limply on the railing of her dinghy with a treasure chest, and if it weren't for his haki who sensed that her aura was strong, he would think that she was sick. "Hey, are you dead?" asked the black-haired girl. Am I dreaming? I actually found someone in this vast ocean. I don't know who you are, but can you please give me some water and food? If you want money, I'll give it to you, but please save me," said the orange-haired girl. Lucy looked at Luffy for what should she do, and when she saw him serious to suddenly starting to grin mischievously, she reciprocated the grin. Zoro was looking at them, clearly confused twin telepathy. Lucy looked at the girl with the orange hair and proceeded to stretch her arms around her and the treasure chest she had. This had obviously scared the living hell of Nami, who started shrieking. Lucy proceeded to lift them to their boat, and when she set her arms free, Nami suddenly started to run to the railing and screaming, "What are you?" "Oh, I ate the Gamu Gamu no Mai, which turned me into a rubber woman," Lucy said while stretching her cheeks to further prove her point. "Ate? Wait, you don't mean a devil fruit?" asked a pale Nami. "Yeah." Nami couldn't speak, she just kept making noises. She had just tried to rip off a small crew that contained a devil fruit user, especially one that could stretch. "I would be so dead if they believed in me," she thought. "Here's your food and water." Nami looked to her left and saw a man with a straw hat giving her provisions. She accepted and started to eat them. "It's funny, you look like you were near starvation and suddenly you turned healthy," said a green-haired man with 3 swords by his side. Nami gulped, and when she started to answer, she was interrupted by the black-haired man. "It's rude to not give your name when meeting new people, Zoro. Sorry about that. Let me introduce myself. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and what is your name?" said Luffy. For some reason the name felt familiar to Nami. Did she hear it on the news? My name is Nami." Luffy, deciding to use one of the Shank's famous techniques of charming, grabbed the back of Nami's hand and kissed it while saying, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Nami's face was beet red, and before she could say anything she was interrupted by Luffy's laugh that was echoing on the ocean. "SHI. Your face. SHI, said Luffy between laughs while rolling on the floor. "Smack. You fucking idiot." Nami couldn't hold herself. The guy does something like that and then he starts laughing at her embarrassed face. What a prick. She started to regret what she did when she felt cold steel at her throat. "That was my captain you just punched, so I guess I'll have to kill you." "Wait, Zoro." Zoro looked at where Luffy was. He was sitting near the railing with a bruise on the side of his face. "I kind of deserved it, so don't do anything, okay? Now state your name." "Ugh, fine. My name is Roronoa Zoro." "Roronoa. Zoro. Wait, the pirate hunter." "Ex-pirate hunter," said Zoro. Nami was stunned. The pirate hunter, who was known as the strongest swordsman of the East Blue and a devil fruit user, being subordinates of what looked like a normal guy, was too weird to believe. "Well then, my name is Monkey D. Lucy. I'm Luffy's twin sister." So, the hammer was the captain's sister? Well, they do look alike with the exception of height and the sexual differences. Since they all introduced themselves, Nami started talking. "So where are you guys going?" "Oh, we're heading towards Orange Town. There's a rumor that a pirate named Buggy has a map to the Grand Line, and since that's our destination, we're going to take it," said the captain. After receiving this information, Nami couldn't help but think these guys are strong. I mean, the pirate hunter and a monster girl. And if that guy is the captain, that means he's stronger than them. Not only that, but they have the same destination as me with the same objective. Nami's senses started to tingle, and then she exclaimed, "We have to get out of here, a storm's coming from the south." "Huh," said Zoro and Lucy. But before any of them could protest, they heard Luffy. "You heard her. Let's get away from this storm," he ordered. After sailing away from it, Lucy asked Nami with sparkling eyes, "That was so cool. How did you know there was a storm coming? You're even better than Luffy." Nami smiled smugly and said, "I predicted it, of course. I'm the best navigator you'll ever find." "Well then, want to join us?" "We don't have a navigator yet," Luffy asked Nami. "Join you?" "Yeah, join our pirate crew," Lucy said. Nami's eyes widened at this information, and Luffy could already feel the despise on her aura at hearing the word pirate. "You're pirates?" "Yeah," casually affirmed Zoro. Nami's eyes narrowed, and then she said, "Pirates are the most disgusting thing on this planet. I'll never be one. So, I propose an alliance instead. I'll navigate you guys in exchange for all the treasure you find, since you guys look strong." She then lifted a hand. "Deal." Before any of them could protest, Luffy gave Nami a high five and said, "Of course. Now let's go to Orange Town. You're just happy that you don't have to navigate anymore," said the swordsman. Luffy laughed, because now he has Nami. Temporarily, but it wouldn't take much longer until she became an official member. Time skip to Orange Town. After reaching Orange Town, they dictated to head towards a house near Buggy's base. Luffy stayed behind and then headed towards an alley to cry of happiness. He composed himself and caught up to the others and entered the house. "So, let's form a plan," said the navigator. "I'll take Luffy with a rope claiming that he was my former boss and then deliver him to Buggy. While they're drinking, I'll steal the treasure. You guys free Luffy and then escape." "Nope." All heads turned to Luffy. "What's wrong with my plan?" asked Nami, a little angry that someone was claiming her to be wrong. She had the highest IQ by far on Kakoyashi Village, and this guy is trying to give her bad reputation. "Your plan is good, but it's too boring. Let's do it like this. Lucy and Zoro are going to create a distraction by fighting against the pirates while you'll be going to steal the treasure and the map." "What about you?" asked Nami. "I have something to do in this town. So, any objections?" Lucy and Zoro agreed to this plan, but Nami didn't seem too fond of the idea of fighting the Buggy pirates. "Are you guys mad? You'll be fighting against Buggy the Clown with a bounty of 15 million berries." Luffy almost snickered when he heard Nami talk about Buggy's bounty like it was one of the biggest bounties of the world. But this was the East Blue, so it was understandable. "Man, I can't wait to go to the New World again. I'll die of boredom if I continue on this ocean." "Don't worry, Nami, they can handle it. Now let's go," said the man with the straw hat. 10 minutes later, Buggy's temporary base. "So, shall we start with the plan?" asked Zoro, who was already grinning at the prospect of a fight. "Yeah, I guess," said Nami, who was already thinking of the riches that Buggy had. "Okay then. Hey, you big ugly red nose," exclaimed Lucy to the bar where Buggy was. Zoro's and Nami's jaws dropped, and before they could hear anything they heard, "Fire the Buggy special cannonball to whoever insulted me." "Are you trying to kill us?" said Zoro and Nami. A cannon fire was heard, and when it was nearing Lucy, she breathed in and started to swell. "Gamu Gamu no balloon." She caught the ball with her belly, which received a shocked face from the spectators, then proceeded to rebound it back to Buggy. Kaboom. "While their numbers have certainly decreased, let's go," said the green-haired man with the bandana tied on his head. I don't understand anymore. I'm just going to steal the treasure," said Nami, who looked like she had given up on life. "Are you enjoying chatting around?" said a figure that was in the smoke. "They used their crewmates as shields," said the orange-haired girl. When the smoke cleared, it revealed a man who had the attire of a clown and another man who had half of his hair shaved with a scarf around his neck. "I'm so mad, words fail me," said Buggy, who had his hands floating around. "This is probably the most humiliating moment of our crew, Captain," said Kabaji, who was holding 3 random guys by their collars. "His hand is floating," said Nami. "I ate the bara bara no mai, which turned me into a split human. Thanks to that, swordsmen are useless against me." Zoro's eyes widened at this information. "A fruit that could make a fool out of swordsmen." "He's a monster," said Lucy. "Like you're one to talk," roared the other 2 crew members. "However, what that girl did wasn't normal. Did you perhaps eat a devil fruit?" Hearing Buggy asking her a question, Lucy stretched her cheeks and said, "Yeah, I ate the Gamu Gamu no mai, which turned me into a rubber woman." "I see. Well, since Moji isn't here right now, guess we'll have to handle this, Kabaji." "I'm more than enough, Captain." Kabaji then started to pedal on the unicycle he was standing on and rushed to slice Lucy, but he was stopped by Zoro. "You're a swordsman, so you'll be my opponent." "As you wish." The 2 men separated and started to battle. Acrobat technique fire trick attacked Kabaji by breathing fire towards Zoro's face. Zoro, surprised by the attack, covered his eyes, which led to Kabaji having an opportunity to kick him on the side. Zoro grunted from the attack but regained his composure quickly, but Kabaji attacked again by spreading a cloud of dust using his speed. Acrobat technique murder miss trick. Zoro concentrated on trying to be aware of Kabaji, who tried to surprise attack Zoro, but he had blocked it. Stepping back, Kabaji smirked. "I see that your reputation doesn't fail you, Roronoa Zoro." Zoro took a deep breath and said, "My goal is to become the world's greatest swordsman. Now let me teach you the difference in our skills." "TCH, impudent fool," said Kabaji. Zoro proceeded to cross his arms and point his swords up. "I'm sick of your stupid little tricks. Then I'll defeat you using my real sword skills," said Kabaji, who was now pedaling with his swords pointing towards Zoro. Onigiri. In an instant, Zoro passed by Kabaji swinging his 3 swords, giving him 3 slices across his chest. "Being defeated by mere thieves," weakly said Kabaji. "We're not thieves, we're pirates," said Zoro. "Nice, Zoro. Now it's our turn to fight Buggy," said Lucy, who was already winding up her arm. "It's Buggy, you bitch," roared Buggy. "But wait, you're pirates." "Yeah, we're pirates. Now hand over the Grand Line map," said the girl. "Speaking of maps, where's Nami?" said Zoro, who was leaning against a house possibly for a nap. She went already to do her part of the plan. I wonder what my brother's doing, said Lucy. Meanwhile, near a certain pet store, while the others were fighting, Luffy went to Choo-Choo pet food store. When he got there, he noticed the mayor feeding the dog. Hey old man. The man looked to his right and saw a young man with a straw hat on his head walking towards him. He stood up and greeted him. Hello young one, I'm Mayor Boodle. I don't recognize you though, are you from this village? No, I'm not, I was just passing through. I'm Monkey D. Luffy by the way. The mayor gasped, this village is being controlled by Buggy the Clown now. He could have been killed. Don't worry, I'm strong. Besides, my crew has probably almost dealt with the Buggy pirates. The only guys left is the captain and the guy with a lion since I haven't seen him. The mayor was confused. Crew, was this young lad from a ship? He was about to ask when they heard a rumble. Looking to Luffy's left, they saw a big lion with a guy standing on top of it. That's the vice captain of the Buggy pirates, Moji the beast trainer, exclaimed Boodle. Boodle started to run to safety, which means Choo-Choo and Luffy stayed. This time your treasure will be safe, Choo-Choo, thought Luffy. Moji stopped right in front of them. Look at that, Richie, a pet food store. Want a snack? Moji said. Richie grunted and started to head towards the food store, but noticed a little dog barking at him. What is it, Richie? Oh, look, a dog. Hey, can you take your dog out of the way? Richie wants to eat. The dog isn't mine. Taken back by the abrupt response, Moji chuckled darkly. So you have a death wish, huh? Well then, Richie, attack. Moji jumped out of Richie, who is now swiping his paw at Luffy. However, what none of them expected was to Luffy stopping the attack by grabbing Richie's paw. The dog wants to protect the food store, and since I like the dog, I'll help him, said Luffy. He then proceeded to lift Richie with one hand, jump high in the air and slam him to the ground, knocking the lion unconscious. What? How? Oh, I'm not done. Now it's your turn. Moji knew that he was going to get defeated easily, so he started to run. The man with the straw hat appeared suddenly in front of him. The man turned his back towards Moji and jumped. Since it happened so fast, Moji was still running, which allowed Luffy to put Moji's head on a headlock on his left shoulder and then RKO. Moji was unconscious by the sheer force that Luffy put in the attack. Luffy stood up, cleaned his shorts and walked towards the food store, where Choo-Choo and a flabbergasted Boodle were waiting for him. My god, you killed him. Oh no, don't worry, he's just unconscious, said Luffy. Well, now I'll wait for my crewmates. You also mentioned a crew earlier. What crew is it? Asked Boodle. Luffy smirked. Pirates. Back at Buggy's temporary base again. So, what's your goal then? The Grand Line isn't a place for sightseeing, said Buggy. To be the strongest woman in the world, said Lucy. Buggy froze with thought of Big Mom and how Captain Roger didn't even fight her, just stole the poneglyph. Not that he couldn't defeat her, of course, but that woman was a monster. Strongest woman in the world. Yeah, right, as if a nameless pirate like you could become something like that, exclaimed Buggy. I will. And then I'll battle my brother when he becomes Pirate King, the girl said. Buggy froze again. Your brother wants to be the Pirate King. Another hopeless fool. Maybe I should head towards him and show him the harsh reality of the world. He's on this island. He's the captain. Wait, you're not the captain? Buggy asked. Lucy then said, well, according to him, I'm Captain JR, and I can only evolve to co-captain when I beat him. Buggy thought, if this girl is saying that, then she's weaker than him. It's the East Blue, so in terms of pirates there are none with haki, which means the most likely option is that her brother has also a devil fruit. Well, this has been the worst day of my life. Well then, that will only happen if you beat me, so let's start. Yeah. Buggy made the first move by releasing a knife on his boot and separated his feet. Bara bara windmill. Lucy jumped, which was what Buggy intended. Moving in the air, it's quite impossible, you know. Buggy then proceeded to throw a bunch of knives at Lucy. Are you sure about that? Lucy asked and grabbed onto a pole, dragging herself to it. What an interesting ability. I could say the same thing to you, Buggy. Gamu Gamu no pistol. Lucy throwed a punch towards Buggy, who dodged, however it has its weaknesses. Lucy thought quickly and grabbed a window, pulling herself with an arm ready to clothesline Buggy. Gamu Gamu no scythe. Bara bara emergency escape quickly, said Buggy, detaching himself before Lucy could reach him. Thanks to this, Lucy crashed into a bunch of debris. Kiwahaha, you aren't that much of a threat. Lucy popped up from the debris and said, God, that ability is annoying, separating into sections. Meanwhile, Nami was watching the fight behind a house. Amazing. How is it possible for a fight like this to exist? It feels like I'm dreaming. Lucy cracked her knuckles and said, prepare yourself, Buggy. And what you'll do, Missy, he said. Lucy grinned and stretched her arms backwards, followed by an amazing burst speed. She reached Buggy. Wah, Gamu Gamu no bazooka. Lucy snapped her arms forward and hit Buggy in the gut, making him fly to the sky. Oh, damn it, I wasn't intending to already finish it. Buggy's crew members, who were starting to wake up, decided to lay low when they saw their captain being sent flying. Lucy then noticed Nami watching her with an amazed expression on her face and waved at her. Oi, Nami, did you see it? I sent him flying. Nami regained her composure. Yeah, you did. I've finished stealing everything, including the map. Okay, let's go wake Zoro up and head towards my brother at the meeting place. Later on, the 2 pirates and 1 ally walked towards the pet food store and saw a knocked out man with white hair that looked like a hood, an unconscious big lion with cracks formed on the ground, a laughing old man, and Luffy playing with a dog. Oh, hey guys, finished the fight already. It was easy, Captain. Now who's this and what happened here? Asked Zoro. Oh, this is Mayor Boodle, this is Choo-Choo the dog, and those 2 on the floor are some lion and a guy that was the vice captain or something like that. Suddenly Boodle bowed. Thank you. Even though you're pirates, you saved this village and Choo-Choo's treasure. Nami's eyes glinted at the sound of treasure. Treasure, where is it? It's the pet food store, the mayor said with a sweat drop on his head. But it's just a store, Nami questioned. For you maybe, but for Choo-Choo it's something more, Boodle said. He then started to tell Choo-Choo's story, how he was founded by the owner of the store who adopted him. They became friends, but one day the owner felt sick and he had to go to the hospital. He ordered Choo-Choo to guard the store during his stay. Sadly, he died. But Choo-Choo is an intelligent dog, so he must have noticed that his owner is dead. So right now, the store is Choo-Choo's treasure, and if it weren't for this young man it would have been destroyed. Everyone turned their heads towards Luffy, who was rubbing the back of his head. It wasn't a big deal. Besides, I know how Choo-Choo feels because I have a treasure as well. He then grabbed his straw hat. This straw hat was given to me by my idol and mentor. He is one of the strongest and greatest pirates to live and told me to give it back once I become the Pirate King. This is the reason why it's my treasure, and I'll never forgive anyone who touches it with evil intentions. Nami was shocked. He fought the vice captain because of the dog. Nami took a good look at Luffy. How he acted wasn't how a normal pirate would act. He was kind, generous, friendly, and happy all the time. Okay guys, let's go, said Luffy, stooding up. Hell, right now. But brother, can't we eat? Said Lucy while grabbing her belly. I've already filled our boats with food and water, so let's leave, said the captain, running towards the docks. Good luck on your adventure, said Mayor Boodle, followed by a bark from Choo-Choo. The 4 reached the boats and released them, leaving Orange Town for good. Okay, we've done that. Now where would you like to go, Captain? Nami asked. Luffy, with a thoughtful face, suddenly said, is there an inhabited island nearby? I still wonder why you wanted to go to this island, Luffy, said Nami. Right now, the Straw Hat Pirates were docked at an isolated island, with Zoro sleeping and the other 3 at the beach. So what do we do about Zoro? Said Luffy while preparing to walk towards the island. Nami responded, well, Lucy could stay here with him. No, Nami looked at Luffy, who right now looked like the incarnation of the devil. Well, she's strong so she can take care of herself and stay with him while we... No, Nami gave up. Luffy was definitely the most stubborn man she had ever met. He also is the most overprotective brother I've ever met. Fine, Lucy can come with us explore the island. Just like that, Luffy's aura dissipated and he turned back to his joyful self. Actually, you can explore it with Lucy. I'll go train by myself a bit. Nami lifted an eyebrow. Can't we go with you? Why? Luffy started to sweat. Truth be told, he wanted to reveal his powers in the most badass way he can imagine, and he had already a plan. And discovering it by watching him train was not badass. I get embarrassed. That's it. Nami wanted to question more, but Lucy had already grabbed her by the arm and went to the forest while screaming adventure over and over. Luffy sighed of relief. He had his strength as a secret for another day. Now he composed himself and started walking to the island. Now where can I find house-sized boulders? Meanwhile, at the girl's position, Nami was officially creeped out. A little bit before entering the forest, they found some weird mutated animals, and now they were hearing a voice in the forest. She mentally reminded herself to kill Luffy later. Who are you? Asked Lucy while trying to detect the voice. I am the Forest Guardian. The Forest Guardian? Asked the black-haired girl. That's right. So, if you want to live, then leave at once. You are pirates, aren't you? Yeah, said Lucy, while Nami muttered, why the hell would he ask that? So you are pirates. Listen well, don't take a step further to the forest, or else you will face ... the forest judgment. Lucy got sick of hearing the Forest Guardian, so she activated her observation haki and sensed a presence different from the animals near them. She then stretched her arm to the presence. When she felt something solid, she picked it up despite its screams and threw it to the ground. Then they got a good look at it. This thing doesn't look normal, said the orange-haired girl, looking at it weirdly. The thing then tried to get up. Hey, lift me up, damn it. Holy crap, it's a man, exclaimed Nami with a sweat drop on her head. What an interesting cauliflower head, said Lucy. Shut up and lift me, said the man. Lucy proceeded to pick up the man in the chest and lead him to the coast. There they found out that his name was Gaiman, and he told them how he had lived in the island for 20 years. So, you have been living by yourself for 20 years? Asked Nami. That's really stupid, bluntly said Lucy. What did you say? I would like to see you walk a mile in my condition, angrily said Gaiman, but no one was taking him seriously. After calming down, Gaiman said 20 years really is a long time. My hair and mustache have already grown this long, and I've also grown in unibrow. I also haven't talked to anyone in 20 years. Lucy, hearing enough, started to try to free Gaiman. but she couldn't while Gaiman begged her to stop. After stopping, Gaiman said that since it has been so long since he moved that his body and the chest became on. But how did you get to this island? Asked the navigator. I used to be a pirate. It's really nice being a pirate, venturing for treasures. Do you have any maps? Yeah, we have lots of them since my brother insisted on them. We also have one for Grand Line. He's going for the One Piece. Oh really? Does he also have a devil fruit like you? Gaiman asked. Nami started to pay attention at Lucy's answer. She hadn't seen Luffy fight since she allied with them. Heck, she would think that he didn't fight at all if it weren't for the vice captain of the Buggy Pirates lying at his feet together with his lion. I don't know. He never said anything but that he would reveal if he had won or not later, no matter how much I begged him to show it, said Lucy. But why he's waiting for so long to fight, said Nami, who was already too curious for the man with the straw hat. He told me that the East Blue was too weak for him and that he didn't want to kill anybody. Heck, when I was together with him he always easily beat me, said the black-haired girl. Nami was stunned. If this monster was just swept aside easily by Luffy, then he must be pretty powerful. She also scoffed at his comment about the East Blue, as if any human could defeat a fishman. Well, I once heard that the East Blue was the weakest of all seas, but still it's a bit arrogant of him to declare that, said the man inside of the chest. I believe in him, said Lucy. Even though he got smarter than me, he still is bad at lying. I can't say anything else about him because it would go against his plan. Oh really? You sure you can't tell us? We'll give you food, said Nami while putting her most vulnerable expression. Lucy was about to accept it when she remembered her brother's proposition. Flashback. They had just stomped on the Sea King, and Lucy suddenly had sparkling eyes. Whoa, Luffy, how did you do that? She asked, referring to Jeppu. Oh, I just jumped on the air. Now Lucy, I have something important to say, said Luffy with his serious persona on. Oh, what is it? Are you showing me the... Nope, said Luffy. I want you to promise to not tell anyone about what I did, okay? Or about Haki got it. But bro, say it to anyone else and I'll make sure to make you vegetarian for the rest of your life, said Luffy with a serious voice. Lucy gulped and nodded furiously. Good, now let's go to an island, said Luffy while trying to change the mood. Flashback off. Sorry Nami, but I can't. Nami wanted to question it more, but she got interrupted by Gaiman. So if he wants the One Piece, he has to go to the Grand Line, correct? Yeah, so do I, since the strongest woman in the world is there and I plan to beat her, said Lucy with a determined face. Well, it definitely won't be easy since the Grand Line is also called as the Pirate's Graveyard. Really? My brother said that people called the Grand Line paradise. How the hell would a pirate's graveyard be paradise? Is your brother insane? Said Nami. Well, I can't say for myself since I haven't been there, but that treasure might be nothing more than a legend. Get what I mean? I think it has to have a better ending. Besides, my brother is really lucky, said Lucy while sitting on a rock. I don't understand where you get such confidence from, said Nami. Now I will tell you why can't I leave the island, said Gaiman. He then explained how 20 years ago he reached his island with his other crewmates in search for treasure, but they didn't find any. When they were leaving, Gaiman remembered that they didn't climb the mountain, so he climbed it and saw 5 treasure chests. Sadly, he fell off and got stuck on the chest. He tried to crawl to the shore, but when he got there he saw that his companions left him. He then proceeded to protect the treasure from anyone taking it. I know what I saw. I'm sure there were treasure chests up there. But now I'm stuck on this chest even though the treasure is all mine. Okay, Gaiman-sen will help you bring down the treasure, said Nami, fired up. Wait, weren't you a thief that stole from pirates? Said Lucy. I have principles too, exclaimed Nami. They then started to walk to where Gaiman claimed to see the chest, but they weren't expecting to see what was in front of them. What? Asked Gaiman, clearly stunned by what he was looking. In front of them was a gigantic rock. However, it was laying on the ground with the chests near it right in front of them. Hey, didn't you say that the treasure chests were on top of it? Asked Lucy. Yeah, but it wasn't like this yesterday, exclaimed Gaiman. Whatever, let's look at the chests, Gaiman-san, said Nami. Nami opened them and they were filled with treasure. However, there was a note written on it. What's this? Wondered Nami. She then proceeded to read it out loud. Hello guys, it's me, Luffy. I was walking around and saw these chests, so I opened them up and saw that they were empty, but since I like treasure hunting, I decided to fill them up with treasure I found. Hope you have a good use for it. P.S. If Nami is reading this, don't worry, I didn't take it from your sack. Luffy, thought Nami. Even though it wasn't Luffy's intention, seeing Gaiman so happy it warmed her heart, which made her forgiving him to put treasure on the chest for anybody to take. Luffy, he's your captain, right? Asked Gaiman, who was crying. Yeah, he is, said Nami with a fond smile on her face and no sign of lying on her voice. Give him the treasure back. I don't need it since I was planning to stay on this island to protect the animals. But he said, Lucy, he's a good man, he deserves it. And I hope you both achieve your dreams. Thanks, old man, said Lucy while grinning. After Lucy and Nami leaving, Gaiman then looked at the rock. However, it's still weird that the rock is turned. And why are there hand marks on the base of it? He thought. Luffy was currently resting at the ship, currently sweating from his training, so he discarded his cardigan. That was some good training. I'm starting to get even more faster. I just hope by the time we reach Sabayati Archipelago I'll be physically ready to take on guys like Doflamingo, or at least close. But damn it, there weren't bigger rocks than the one where I found Gaiman's chests. Maybe when we meet Frankie again I'll ask him to create a high-tech training room. I know Zoro will love it, thought Luffy. He then sensed his sister, Nami, and Gaiman returning, so he got up to talk to them. Hey guys, how did your adventure go? Oh, nothing special. We found this man called Gaiman and retrieved the treasure you put inside. By the way, he wants to give you the treasure as a reward, Nami said. Luffy found a bit weird how she tried to look at him in the eyes to later revert them to his chest, but he didn't speak about it. After saying goodbye to Gaiman, Luffy and his friends started to sail the sea. Now it's your turn, Usopp. I can't wait to hear your silly stories again. In a village from an East Blue Island. Such a beautiful day. There's nothing like starting the day by looking at the sea, said a young man standing at the edge of the cliff. He then started to walk towards the village. He cleared his voice and then he started running. Pirates are attacking. The man kept repeating loudly his words while running. After a moment, he stopped before grinning. Just kidding. Ha 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 ha. This obviously lead to the village people to get mad. That's it, you're going to get it this time, said a villager while throwing a kettle at the boy's head. The boy flinched and started to outrun the villagers, managing to lose them. I managed to fool everyone again, he said while trying not to laugh out loud. Well, I've done my job for today, bringing some excitement to this village. Captain Usopp, we have arrived. Usopp looked down and saw two kids called Ninjin and Pimin with wooden swords. Oh hey guys, how are you? Wait, shouldn't Tamangi be with you? He's probably sleeping, saying Ninjin, who had white hair covering his eyes and freckles, while the other boy Pimin, who had dark green hair with the shape of a pepper, agreed. It's terrible. The three of them turned their heads to the road, seeing a boy with orange hair and glasses running towards them. It's terrible. Pirates are coming on the coast of that village. So according to that map there's a town here, right? Luffy asked, already knowing the answer. Yeah, just a little one. Thank God there's actually someone with brains on this crew, because those two are definitely empty inside, said Nami. I'm not empty, I ate a while ago, said Lucy while pouting at the navigator. Nami sighed. Well, it does feel good being on ground again, said Zoro. After stretching a while he then turned to his crewmates. Also, I've been wondering who are those three, he said while pointing towards 4 persons standing behind a log. 3 of them shrieked and started to run away, while the other one, who was noticeably older, tried to make them come back. Seeing that they wouldn't do so, the boy stood up at full height and said, I am Captain Usopp, ruler of this village. If you're thinking of attacking this town, well, think again, because my 80 million followers won't forgive you. You're lying, bluntly said Nami. I've been busted, screamed Usopp. See, you said busted, said the navigator with a sweat drop coming behind her head. Oh no, I accidentally slipped that I was busted, screamed the boy with the long nose. H-A-H-A-H-A-H-A-H-A, you're funny, said Lucy while laughing out loud, her brother doing the same. Don't you insult me. I'm a proud man. In fact, I have so much pride that they call me Usopp the Proud, said Usopp. Later on, after talking a bit to each other, they headed towards a restaurant. Luffy stayed behind a bit so that he could pour out his emotions without any of them noticing it. After that he quickly ran to catch up to them, reaching a restaurant and ordering food. You're looking for crew members and a ship? Asked Usopp. Yeah, that's right, said Luffy while eating. Well, we don't have any big sailing ships or anything here. There's only one place that could have it. It's a huge mansion in town, and the folks there are way richer than anyone else, and I know the owner of that house. She's a sick young girl, said the man with the curly hair. Why would a girl like that own a mansion? Asked Nami, while Lucy was demanding for more food in the background. 1 year ago she lost both of her parents to sickness. All she has left is a massive fortune, a huge mansion, and an army of servants, said Usopp. Even with all the money in the world you would never find a more tragic situation. Nami thought a bit and said, forget it. Let's give up on finding a ship here. We can try a different town. Yeah, there's no rush. We can just buy some more food and then go, said Lucy. While they were saying this, Luffy had his hat down so that we couldn't see his eyes, an action Zoro noticed. What he didn't notice was Luffy gripping the table, but not too hard so that it wouldn't break. By the way, you said you were looking for crew members, right? Usopp asked. Luffy sighed. Yeah, we are. If you want, you can make me your captain, said Usopp while pointing at himself proudly. Nope, said the other 4. Hey, at least consider it, said Usopp. After some time Usopp had to leave, and a few minutes after he left 3 kids entered the restaurant. The Usopp pirate crew has arrived. Who's that? Asked Nami while Lucy shrugged. The captain isn't here, said Ninjin. And maybe he was caught by them, said Tamangi while the 3 of them were starting to sweat. Hey pirates, what have you done with Captain Usopp? Asked Payman. Ah, that was some good meat, sighed Lucy while patting her belly. Meat, don't tell me. What did you do? Said Tamangi. They started to hurt a chuckle and they turned their heads to Luffy. You want to know about your captain? Shishishi Luffy decided to play a little more and put a little bit of haki in the air, giving shivers to everyone present, except Lucy. We just ate him, he said in the most frightening voice he had. The three boys froze and then they turned their heads to Nami. Gyaa, cave witch, why are you looking at me? She said while the other were laughing. After calming down, Tamangi said it's time. Yeah, he said that and then he left, said Zoro. Oh yeah, he must have went to the mansion, said the boy with the pepper-shaped hair. What's he going to do? Asked the black-haired girl. Oh, he's going to lie. It's great, right? Isn't that a bad thing? Said Lucy while sweat dropping. What kind of lies he tells? Asked Luffy. Oh, he tells her stories to make her feel better, said the boy whose hair resembled an onion. I like his nosiness, said Ninjin. I like his bossiness, said Payman. I like his instigating, said Tamangi. He must get a lot of adoration around here, said Zoro while sweat dropping. So, the mistress must feel better, right? Luffy asked to Ninjin, who nodded. Well then, let's go to the mansion and get our boat. Didn't I tell you to give up on that already? Nami said, but Luffy ignored her and walked out of the building. After a bit, they reached the mansion's gate. Well, let's go in, said Luffy while he and Lucy were climbing the gate. Nami sighed. He may be smart, but sometimes he's really impulsive. Zoro agreed. All you can do is follow along. After climbing it, they headed towards to where Usopp was. Usopp noticed them and said, why are you all here? The three boys then pointed towards Luffy. So, you're the mistress, I assume. Well, we have a request, said Luffy in his business voice. Yeah, we were wondering if you had a ship. What are you doing here? You can't simply barge into the mansion like this. Ugh, the butler, said Usopp. Luffy turned his body fully, which made the butler Kuro gas and freeze in fear. He may have stopped being a pirate, but he still kept informed of the news, and he could recognize that face anywhere. Why you? What is a person like you are doing here? Kuro said, while stuttering. The other looked confused until they noticed that the butler was talking about Luffy, who had a serious face. We came here for a ship. What got a problem? He said, while trying to control his rage that he felt against Kuro. Kuro squeaked, which was out of character for the people who knew him, and said, you be better not do anything, or else I'll call T the Marines. He said, while getting even more pale. Relax, I'm not going to hurt anyone, I'm just asking for a ship, so how about you go inside the house and do your butler business? And also, I don't think calling the Marines would be good. Okay, the man with the straw hat said while looking intimidating. After hearing this, Kuro shivered and started to head inside of the house. Everyone was perplexed by what had just happened. So, how about that boat? Luffy asked, in his joyful manner. Afterwards, at a cliff. Your dad is Usopp, right? Luffy asked. Usopp turned his head and saw Luffy sitting next to him. Yeah, how did you know that? Usopp asked. He also was a little scared about what had just happened at Kaya's mansion. Oh, I've known him since I was a kid. You really look like him, the man with the straw hat said. Really, where is he now? Asked Usopp. He's probably on Shanks the red-haired ship, said casually Luffy. Really? Wait, you mean the Shanks the red-haired? Asked Usopp. Yeah, your dad's shooting skills are the best, so it's no wonder he's on Shanks's ship, said Luffy. To tell the truth, even though he left me for the sea, I'm always proud of my dad. Luffy smiled at Usopp's sentence. Wait, isn't that the butler? Luffy asked while pointing downwards. Usopp looked and was astonished to see the butler walking on the beach. But he looked a little paler than normal and he was seething. Maybe he was a little sick. Then they saw a weird-looking man with him. Django, I told you not to draw the attention of the villagers, and yet you start sleeping in the middle of the street, said the butler. Boy, I'm not weird. Also, I'd like to report that the preparations to assassinate the mansion's owner are complete. Usopp gasped at the information while Luffy just kept looking. Assassinate is an ugly word, but now it's not the time for that. I want you to postpone the preparations. Luffy's eyes widened. This didn't happen last time. Postpone? But why? Django asked. Kuro then took out a paper from his pocket and showed Django, who comically fell back and screamed, why are you showing me that? Luffy suddenly realized what the paper was and whispered to Usopp, go to my crewmates and wait there. Okay, I'll be there soon. Usopp was a little confused by the request but complied, leaving Luffy alone on the cliff. This man right now is on the village and he's friends with the mansion's owner, now you understand. We'll wait for him to leave and then we attack, said Kuro, who was visibly shaken. I'm afraid that's too late, Captain Kuro, said a voice from the top of the cliff. Looking up, both men realized who was talking. Why you? Unfortunately, I can't allow it, so about we do it like this. My friends are getting bored and need some exercise, so tomorrow at dawn you'll try to attack them at the northern passage. If you are not there at the time, then I will deal with you by myself, said Luffy. Kuro may be strong in the East Blue, but he was the smartest and he knew that this pirate could probably defeat him with one punch. So, he complied. Very well then, I accept, he said. Good, see you then, said Luffy while walking and waving his arm. After walking for a while, Luffy found Lucy and the others near a fence. Hey guys, Luffy, you're okay? said Usopp with relief on his voice. Of course, I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be okay? Said Luffy while tilting his head. Maybe it was because you were secretly hearing 2 pirates talking about assassination, said Nami. Oh yeah, about that. Tomorrow at dawn they'll attack at the northern shore, and we'll be there to stop. You 3 can't go, said Luffy, who then pointed at the 3 kids. But why? They complained. Because if you try to fight I'll feed you to the cave witch, said Luffy while pointing at Nami, making him receive a punch to the head. Idiot. Is that it? Asked Lucy. Yeah, that's it. Now let's prepare you guys, said the man with the straw hat while grinning. Next day, at dawn, I see their ship, said Lucy looking at the beach. Well then guys, you go ahead and fight. I'll be sleeping over there, said Luffy while walking towards a tree. Why aren't you fighting, damn it? Said Zoro, Nami and Usopp. They're too weak. Besides, you have Lucy and she would be enough to wipe them all out, said Luffy, who was already moving his straw hat down for his nap. The 3 groaned while Lucy was already grinning at the prospect of a battle. Also, Lucy, Zoro, leave some for Usopp and Nami, they need the practice. Got it, said the swordsman while already preparing his swords. As the pirates started to walk towards them, Usopp shot them with slingshot, screaming lead star, while Nami was hitting them with her staff. However, they were soon started to be overwhelmed, and that's where Lucy and Zoro stepped in, sending the pirates flying. You guys got defeated with 1 attack. Well then guess I have to do this, Django said. He then lifted a pendulum. Now look at this. After I say 1, 2, Django, you guys will become stronger than before and your wounds will heal. What's that guy doing? Asked Lucy. It must be hypnotism. He's trying to make them think they're stronger. But no matter what, don't look at the pendulum, okay? Said Nami. 1, 2, Django said while covering his eyes so that he wouldn't be affected. The pirates' eyes started to become white and they roared. One of them punched a cliff and crushed it. How did they gain so much strength? Wondered Zoro. They started to back away, leaving Zoro and Lucy to deal with them. Lucy then started to grin. They're still weak, and faced them head on. Lucy, screamed Zoro. Gamu gamu no gatling, she said, then started to punch so fast that it looked like her arms were multiplying. This managed to stop the pirates, sending them flying again. When she started to run again, the pirates also started to run, but in the opposite way so that they wouldn't be punched again by the scary lady. However, she ignored them and started to run after the ship. As she got there, she proceeded to grab the bow, and with mighty strength she started to lift the ship. Holy fuck, screamed the pirates. Zoro, Usopp and Nami were surprised by Lucy's strength and they couldn't say anything. Lucy stopped and turned her head to look at the pirates, giving them the evil look. She then lifted the ship even more, jumped and smashed onto the ground, defeating every pirate in the area. Well, that took care of them, said a clearly impressed Zoro. Nami was just making noises. She has never seen something like this. The closest thing was Arlong, and he could only lift a house with great effort. And this random girl could lift bigger things than that. Usopp passed out from the amazement. They now understood Luffy's words. Well, I guess I'm defeated then, said a voice behind them. Looking back, they saw that it was Kuro, who looked like he had just made an accident on his pants. I mean your ship is done for, so you can't escape. And I still haven't moved a muscle and I'm stronger than her, so now what are you going to do? Said Luffy, who was stretching his muscles. He didn't expect his sister to end it so soon. He was just entering a nice dream. I have an idea. You know how to build a raft. Kuro nodded. Well then build one, get your crewmates and leave, said Luffy, like it was the best plan ever. Well, I was wondering, your crew is still small, right? So, I was thinking if I could join. I mean, I'm the smartest person in East Blue right now, so I would be a great help and spoke Kuro before looking at Luffy, who had his face showing his rage. Either you build a raft to get the fuck out or I'll kill you. Decide, said Luffy, showing his killing intent. Kuro stuttered and ran to build a raft big enough to hold his crewmates, using the debris of the old ship. Does he think that I'm that retarded to let a guy like him join my crew? Idiot, said Luffy, clearly pissed off. They decided to wait until Kuro left. When he did, Luffy turned to Usopp. Usopp, I've been wondering, you want to become a brave warrior like your dad, right? So how about you join our crew? Usopp was stunned. This guy refused a strong man like Kuro who had a bounty of 16 million berries, and he wants him on this crew. But why? I'm weak. Usopp, you're not weak. Everyone has its strengths, and by this battle everyone would agree that you have great sniping skills, said Luffy while the others nodded. But you didn't see it, said Usopp, who was starting to tear up. Knowing who your dad is, I didn't need to see it, said a grinning Luffy. After this sentence, Usopp puffed out his chest and said, then I'll be the captain. Like hell, they argued, while laughing at the same time. Unbeknownst to them, Kaya was watching them, with an accepting smile on her face. Later on, meet the going Mary, said Mary, one of Kaya's butler. Everyone was surprised by the ship, but Luffy was almost tearing up. Let's hurry up because I don't think I can hold it any longer. Mary then proceeded to explain how to direct the ship to Luffy and Nami since they were the only ones who could do it. After stopping a giant ball Who was Usopp in his gigantic bag? From crushing the ship they decided to leave after Luffy started insisting on it. So, you're going to the sea, Usopp-san, said Kaya, who was trying to hide her sadness. Yeah, but don't worry. Next time I come to this village I'll tell you stories that are more unbelievable than lies. And they'll be the truth. I'm looking forward to it, said Kaya. She then remembered something that Luffy said to her earlier. Usopp-san, is it true that you like me? Usopp froze and started to blush heavily. What? Kaya, I have to go. He then started to run to the ship, only to be stopped by Kaya, who turned him around and kissed him. After a brief time, she released him and said please come back safe and sound okay. Usopp, after getting through his shock, nodded and said don't worry, I promise. Wow, that's so romantic. I wonder if something like that will happen to me or Nami, said Lucy. After hearing this, Luffy got a bad shiver and swore himself to never let that happen. Hey Usopp, how about you hop in so that we can leave, said Luffy. Geez, what's gotten into you? Usopp gathered some courage and kissed Kaya. Bye Kaya. Bye Usopp. Set sail, screamed Luffy. After Luffy going to the bathroom to bawl his eyes out, he then joined the others for a toast to celebrate their new crewmate. Luffy then looked at the sunset, something he was becoming prone to, and thought, now it's your turn, Sanji. Can't wait to eat your food again. I just hope I control myself if you flirt with Lucy or Nami, thought Luffy with a sweat drop on his head. Here it is, our flag, Luffy said while holding a pirate flag. The flag had skull and crossbones with a straw hat on top of the skull. I didn't know you could paint, brother, said Lucy while looking at the flag. Luffy was rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment because he actually needed the help of some of Shanks's crewmates. It's good, but I could do better, said Usopp while looking smug. Well then, if you're that good at painting, how about you paint this flag on the sails, Usopp, said the captain, while Usopp sulked and headed towards the sails. After painting the sails, they rested a bit until they heard a loud bang nearby. Looking back, Luffy saw his sister firing the cannon, but failing at hitting the target. Before he could get up, he saw Usopp going there and showing his skills by hitting the rock and destroying it. Shit, he thought. Hey, can we go near that rock? I want to see the damage done by Usopp more clearly. He half lied. He did want to see Usopp's damages, but it was on somebody else. Sure, said Nami with a tone of confusion. Relieved, Luffy exited to the kitchen to prepare some lemonade. As he was just finished with it, he heard loud noises outside, and checking with his haki, he verified it was Johnny with Yosaku on the boat. Well, guess it's my time to shine, he thought. Then he stepped out of the kitchen just in time to hear all of Yosaku's symptoms. Sounds like scurvy to me, Luffy said, making everyone turn their heads towards him. I had made some lemonade for me, but you can have it. It'll make you better, he said while offering the lemonade. Johnny, who was looking at him as if he had some kind of memory of him, snapped out of his trance and gave the juice to Yosaku, who proceeded to drink it. After drinking, Yosaku suddenly got up. Wow, big brother, are you a doctor? Said an amazed Lucy. I knew right from the start that you were special. Usopp's eyes are never wrong, lied Usopp while crossing his arms. God, how thick could you get? It's basic knowledge, said Nami. She then sighed and said, sometimes I think that only Luffy and I have brains on this crew. Luffy was looking normal, but inside he was extremely happy. Being classified as a smart guy felt rewarding after those lame lessons from Beckman. After partying for a bit, Yosaku calmed down, and together with Johnny they introduced themselves. Sorry for the late introduction. My name is Johnny, and I'm Yosaku. We're bounty hunters that used to travel with Zoro. Nice to meet you all. After this introduction, Yosaku collapsed again. Just go rest already, said Zoro with shark teeth. Let this be a lesson to you all. These are the danger we'll face on the seas, said Nami. We need someone to think about our diet. We need a chef of the sea, said Usopp. Okay then, let's go look for a cook. I'm kind of tired of cooking, said Luffy, who was almost drooling at the thought of eating Sanji's food again. I heard there was a restaurant nearby. I think it's called Bear 80 or something. Let's head towards it. You got your information, brother Luffy. There's also the rumor that the hawk-eyed man brother Zoro has been looking for has been sighted there, said Johnny, while Zoro was starting to sweat. 2 days later, we're here, said Johnny. The crew looked outside and saw the floating restaurant Bear 80, leaving them astonished by the aspect of it. Wait, what's that? Asked Usopp. They looked towards their right and saw a marine ship coming up. Crap, I don't want to be recognized this soon, thought Luffy. With quick thinking, he made the excuse of going to the bathroom, ignoring the complaints of the crew. Suddenly, a man with pink hair appeared from the ship, looking at the flag. For some reason that hat looks familiar, but I don't know why, he muttered. I'm a lieutenant of the Marine headquarters known as Iron Fist Fullbody. Who's your captain? He asked. Oh, he's in the bathroom right now. His name is Luffy, said Lucy. Luffy, I'm sure I've heard that name before, but where? Thought Fullbody. Looking at the crew, he saw the weak bounty hunters that would sometimes enter the Marine base. You too, Johnny and Yosaku, right? I think I've seen you on the government offices. Finally been caught by pirates. Johnny and Yosaku got pissed and went to attack Fullbody, only to get demolished. I almost had him. Both said, "Consider yourselves lucky since I'm on break, but be warned that next time we'll meet I'll destroy you," said the Marine lieutenant. He then turned to one of his lackeys and ordered to sink the ship. "Oh no you don't," said Lucy. "Gamu gamu no balloon." Lucy caught the cannonball and redirected it, but it accidentally went to the Barady. Luffy heard the explosions and facepalmed. They docked at the Barady, only for Lucy to be grabbed and taken by the chefs to meet Chef Zeph. "I heard cannon fire." "What happened?" said Luffy, while walking towards his crew. "A marine ship fired at us and your sister stopped it, but she redirected it towards the restaurant," said Zoro, while pointing towards the restaurant. Luffy grinned just as I was expecting. "Well, let's enter the restaurant." As they entered the restaurant they saw that it was almost full, and went towards a table. As he was sitting, Luffy spotted a familiar blonde walking Sanji. He thought with a grin. He then told his crewmates to order some steak for him while he would go to the bathroom again. As they saw him go to the bathroom with his hand on his mouth like he was holding in something, and Zoro said, "He sure likes to go to the bathroom." The others nodded. When Luffy returned he saw Sanji holding a bloody full body by the neck. "Wow, what happened?" he asked. "He beat up a Marine lieutenant." "He's strong," said Usopp. Luffy was finding it weird that Lucy hasn't fallen from the ceiling yet, but then he remembered that Zeph was also like Sanji about hitting women. He then saw them walking down the stairs. "Sanji, are you running wild in my restaurant again?" said Zeph. "Shut up you." Sanji couldn't say anything else when he spotted the beauty that was at Zeph's side. Sanji pulled out a rose out of nowhere and kneeled in front of her. "Oh, blessed are the divines by letting me meet a goddess like you. Would you please tell me your name, mademoiselle?" he said in a suave manner. "Oh, I'm Lucy, Monkey D. Lucy," she said. Sanji lifted his head to look at her with hard eyes. "Oh, what a beautiful name, Lucy Swan." "Oi, geezer, what were you doing with her?" Sanji said to her, ending with a threatening tone to Chef Zeph. "She's the new waiter. She'll work here for a year," he said. Sanji's eyes were shadowed and he threw a kick at Zeph. "How dare you let a beautiful maiden do a petty job?" However, after saying this, Sanji imagined Lucy in a waitress outfit and started to giggle and blush. Luffy's eyes were twitching gradually as Sanji was speaking. "LT, full body, it's an emergency. The underling of Pirate Krieg has escaped from the ship's prison," said a Marine that entered the restaurant. "That's impossible. He shouldn't even have the strength to move," said Full Body. Then a gunshot was heard and the Marine dropped dead. They saw a man that looked exhausted. He limped towards a table and asked, "Bring me some food." "This is a restaurant, right?" he asked. Patty then headed towards him and said, "Pardon me, dumbass, but do you have any money?" Patty asked. The man pointed a gun towards him. "You accept lead." Patty's face turned serious. "So, you don't have money." He then proceeded to punch the man through the chair. "If you can't pay the bill, then you aren't a customer," Patty said, while kicking him in the gut. Fullbody took advantage of the situation and escaped. The man slumped towards the outside, only to have a plate placed in front of him. 8. Looking up he saw Sanji smoking. "I don't know what to say. I'm so grateful," he said while crying and eating. Unbeknownst to them, Luffy and Lucy were watching them from above. "Looks like I found a cook," Luffy said. They looked up and noticed the siblings there. "Wow, you're lucky. You got some food. You were almost about to die too." "Ha ha ha," said Lucy. "Hey cook, how about you join our crew?" "I would be delighted to sail the seas with a beautiful girl like you, Lucy Swan," said Sanji while twirling with hard eyes. "But I'm sorry, but I have to refuse. There's an obstacle standing between us." "No, I refuse," she said. Sanji blinked in confusion. "Refuse what, my dear?" "I refuse your refusal. I'll drag you if I have to," she simply said, making Luffy and Jin's sweat drop. However, Sanji had a different reaction. "Drag me? Are you proposing to me, Lucy Swan?" "I'm so happy," he said while twirling. "Idiot," the other two men thought. Sanji paused and asked, "So you're a pirate, Lucy-san?" "Yeah, my brother is the captain," she said while pointing towards her right. "Oh, so he was the one who fired at the restaurant," he said in an angered voice. "Oh no, it was me. You should have been more careful, Lucy-san. This restaurant is the old man's treasure." Lucy's eyes widened at the sentence. "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't know." Sanji's pervert personality kicked in again. "No problem, Lucy Swan. I forgive you." "Huge idiot," the other men thought while sweat dropping even more. Attempting to change the mood, Jin spoke. "You said you're a pirate, right? Can I ask what is your objective?" "Oh, I want to be the strongest woman in the world," Lucy said, while Sanji was supporting her, saying, "You can do it," and picturing her in a catfight with another girl. "What about you?" Jin said, ignoring the cook. "Pirate King. So that means I'm going to find One Piece in the Grand Line," Luffy said, with no hesitation. "If you're looking for a cook, that means you don't have a lot of people on the crew, right?" he asked. Luffy nodded with him. "We're 6, he said, also ignoring the cook. "Give up on the Grand Line. You're both still young. You have no need to rush into these things. Sorry, but I want to chase my dream, and I can't do it while staying in the same place forever. Besides, I promised an important person to me that I would become Pirate King, and I'll accomplish it for him." Luffy said, while trying to convince Sanji to join, and by the look of his face he succeeded a bit. Oi Sanji, girly, get back to work, said Chef Zeph, who suddenly appeared. I'm sorry Sanji, you'll probably get scolded, Jin asked. He then saw Sanji throwing the plate and cup to the water. How can I be scolded if there's no proof? Also, you're welcome to come back if you want, he said, while Jin was departing. Luffy went back to the restaurant and took a seat. Well, I've decided on our cook. The other ones blinked at this statement. Really? Who? Asked Usopp. The blonde one, Sanji, Luffy said. This led to a gobsmacked Zoro and Nami, while Usopp was just thinking about how there would be another strong member in the crew. Why are you looking at me like that? Said Luffy while looking towards Zoro and Nami, snapping them out of their trance. Why, Luffy, he's a pervert. I thought you were going to kill him when you followed him outside the restaurant, said Zoro. Yeah, I mean he was perving all over your sister and you still want him in your crew, said Nami. Usopp was confused by this since he never experienced Luffy's overprotective glare of death. Why are you guys saying that? You'll see, they said. You guys are eating without me, said a girl's voice. Looking back, they saw Lucy wearing a French waitress outfit. Luffy started to shake. Lucy, why are you dressed like that? He asked, with anger on his voice. Oh, Sanji said that this was the normal outfit for the waitress and that I had to wear it. He passed out when he saw me dressed, she bluntly said. I see. I guess I have to talk to Sanji later on, Luffy said, while a red aura was appearing from behind him and Zoro and Nami were looking at Usopp with a face that basically said, see what we mean. Looking up to see what the noise was all about, Sanji, who had a lump on his head because of the fall from passing out, saw his beloved Lucy Swan talking to her crew. His eyes then noticed another beauty with them, so he started to twirl to them. Oh, this must be heaven, for I've been blessed by two beauties. However, I still can't join you guys, but you ladies can eat for free. Lucy and Nami beamed at the words, and they hugged Sanji. Really? Oh, thank you, they both said, while Sanji was hyperventilating of the two girls pressing against him. Meanwhile, Luffy's aura turned even more demonic, looking like a devil while chanting was heard in the background. So why don't you go with them and leave this restaurant, Sanji? Said Zeph, who again suddenly appeared in the background. I'll be a cook on this place until you die at the very least, said Sanji. I'll live for another 100 years, so you better take a chance now and go with them, said Zeph, walking towards the kitchen. Oh, look, he gave you his permission, so can you join us? Asked Lucy, which leads Sanji to politely decline. 2 days later, it's Don Krieg's ship, said one of the clients, a skull with 2 hourglasses at its side, to threaten their enemies. There's no doubt about it, said another. Wow, what a huge ship. It's in shambles though, said Lucy, while looking at Krieg's galleon. Oi, there's no time to praise the ship. We should be worried about escaping, said Usopp, while Nami, Johnny, and Yosaku agreed. That's no work of humans. It must have been caught in a natural disaster, said Sanji. The door then opened, showing Krieg being supported by Jin. I'm sorry for intruding, but do you have any food and water you could spare me? Asked Krieg before he fell. Please save my captain. He'll die at this rate. We even have money, begged Jin, already starting to cry. What a great opportunity. Someone call the Marines. They won't have another chance like this, said Patty. Move, Patty, Sanji said, before kicking him. Here, Jin, give this to him. Thank you, Sanji, Jin said, while Krieg was eating the food. A chef started to warn Sanji about how Krieg was the master of deceptions, by using a white flag to attack his enemies by surprise. After this declaration, Krieg clotheslined Sanji. Don Krieg, this is different from what you promised, said Jin. Krieg then grabbed Jin's shoulder, putting some force into it. I feel like I'm back to normal again. This is a nice restaurant. I'll take it along with 100 servings for my crewmates, Krieg said. Before he could say anything, he sensed a chill and he searched for the cause, only to set his eyes on a man with a straw hat. What do you think you're doing to my cook? Said Luffy with a murderous look. Oi, Luffy, Zoro said. Krieg was laughing at the boy until he heard his name. He then proceeded to look at the boy again, causing his eyes to widen. You're Straw Hat, Luffy, said Krieg with fear on his face. This caused Zoro's and Usopp's faces to turn to Krieg, like the rest of the restaurant. They suddenly heard a bag drop. Owner Zeph. Zeph, don't tell me there's another pirate here, thought Krieg. There's enough food here for 100 people, so bring it to your men, said Zeph. But sir, once those pirates recover they'll take over our restaurant, said one of the chefs. That's only if they have any fighting spirit left, said Chef Zeph. Isn't that right? Defeated warriors of Grand Line. Krieg, who was in shock, started to chuckle. So, you were alive, Red-Leg Zeph, the peerless captain and cook of his own pirate crew. So, what if I'm alive? It's got nothing to do with you. As you can see, I'm a mere cook now. I can see that. But it's not like you had a choice since you have a peg leg now. You are the master of kicking, who refused to use his hands in battle. The pirate whose destructive kicks could pulverize bedrock and leave a clear imprint even on steel. Your nickname Red Leg refers to your legs that would be dyed in the blood of your enemies after a fight, Krieg said. He then turned towards Luffy and you, Straw Hat Luffy, the prodigy whose first bounty was 80 million at 12 years old, who was rumored to wipe out a fleet of 10 battleships on his own in mere minutes. One of the strongest crew members of the Yonko, red-haired Shanks, the boy who could turn day into night. Krieg finished. Zoro's and Usopp's eyes bulged out at Krieg's information, while Lucy had starry eyes while saying awesome over and over. In fact, I think I have your bounty here, Krieg said. Going into one of his back pockets and shuffling through some papers, he found what he was looking for. Ah, here it is, he exclaimed, as he showed the pair to everyone in the restaurant, which made everyone freeze when they read it. Wanted, dead or alive. Monkey DLUFFY, 615-000-000 berries. After thinking a bit, Zoro now remembered why the name felt familiar. He remembers hearing about Luffy in a shady bar he frequented when he was wandering the East Blue, and he had grinned at the prospect of fighting the kid. Now he had second guesses. Yep, that's my bounty all right. So, what do you want? Asked Luffy, who was even more pissed because he wanted to reveal his bounty only after Arlong Park. You both sailed in the Grand Line and came back without receiving injuries. And since Zeph was the captain of his crew, he must have kept a log, so hand over it, said Krieg. Lucy's head turned towards Zeph. You've sailed the Grand Line? She asked. Zeph nodded. Yes, I have sailed it and I do have a log, but I won't hand it over to you. That log is the pride of me and my men who bravely ventured Grand Line together. It's too much valuable to give to the likes of you, he said. Then I'll just steal it from you. It's true I came back defeated from Grand Line, but I'm still the mighty Don Krieg. I had enough manpower, enough ambition. The only thing I lacked was information, which is why I'll steal your travel log, Krieg said, while the chefs were protesting the idea. Once I obtain it, the log, I'll reassemble my pirate fleet and find One Piece to become the greatest pirate of this era, he said. Luffy suddenly stood up. Hold it. The one who'll be pirate king is me, he said. And also stop deluding yourself. You're only a big fish in a small pond, because in terms of Grand Line you're weak. You think you're better than me with your big bounty. I'll kill you, said a pissed-off Krieg. I am better than you. Now go take that food to your crewmates and get lost, Luffy said. The chef started to become more confident thanks to the powerhouse that was defending the restaurant. TCH, I'll be doing that and you better escape when you can, because I'll come back to take the ship, said Krieg while carrying the food bag. As he exited the building, Jin started to cry. I'm sorry, Sanji. I didn't know that this was going to happen. Don't worry. Besides, since he just finished eating, he's now just an enemy to defeat, Sanji said. So, what do you think of him right now? Pretty good, right, said Luffy. Zoro and Usopp were just staring at him while Lucy was grinning at the prospect of kicking Krieg's ass. What? We just found out you're a big shot in the Grand Line and you ask why we were just staring, asked Usopp. Now I understand why you won't fight. It would just be to overkill, right? Asked Zoro. Luffy nodded. Yep, and that's why Lucy will fight Krieg. But the next guy, I'll be the one to fight him so you can see my power. Zoro grinned at the thought of seeing Luffy's powers. He then reflected on what Krieg said. Hey Luffy, how did you defeat 10 battleships in minutes? And also, turn day into night? Luffy got quiet, then winked. Secret, Zoro groaned. Should have guessed he would answer like that. Oh yeah, Jin, you also went to the Grand Line? Asked Lucy. Jin was on his knees holding his head. We spent 7 days there, but then he appeared. To think all of Krieg's 50 ships were destroyed by a single man, Jin said, which led to everyone's seething of shock and fear. He destroyed more than Luffy, thought Zoro and Usopp. That hawk-eyed man whose glare is sharp enough to kill a man. I don't want to think about him, Jin said while trembling. That definitely was the work of Hawkeye's, no doubt, said Zeph. Yeah, Mihawk tends to get rough sometimes, especially when you disturb his nap, Luffy said, making everyone turn towards him. You mean he destroyed our fleet because of that? Jin screamed. Yeah, bluntly said Luffy. Well, it looks like my goal is tied to the Grand Line, considering that hawk-eyed man is there. Sanji looked at him and said, Idiots, you lot are the type to rush to your deaths. True, but I would prefer you leave out the idiot part. Ever since I've decided to become the world's greatest swordsman, I threw away my attachment to life, so I'm the only one who has the right to call me an idiot, said Zoro, while the rest agreed. Load of crap, said Sanji. They then heard noise, so they headed outside to meet the pirates, only for a huge noise be heard. What was that just now? Asked Krieg. Don Krieg, our ship has been cut, said one of Krieg's lackeys. That's impossible. Crap. Our ship was outside too, with Nami, Yosaku and Johnny inside, said Zoro. As they reached the outside, they saw Johnny and Yosaku swimming. Brother Zoro, Yosaku, Johnny, you all right? What happened to our ship? Zoro asked. About that, we're sorry. Sister Nami took the treasure and sailed away, they said. They explained how when they were watching, the ship used a master plan of trickery to push them out of the boat. I can still see our ship, Lucy said. Okay, Zoro, Usopp, Johnny, Yasaku and me will go after her. Lucy, you stay here and fight Krieg, okay? After that you and Sanji will join us, said Luffy. Just let her go, Luffy, said Zoro. No, I want her to be our navigator no matter what, said the captain with conviction on his voice. Oi, you bastard, you'll let Lucy Swan fight Krieg? Sanji asked. Luffy turned to him, but his face was more frightening by the moment. She is strong enough to defeat Krieg. One more thing, if you touch, flirt or even think about her in perverted ways, I'll kill you. Sanji started to sweat and nodded. Good, now let's go. Don Krieg, it's that man. He followed us all the way here, one of Krieg's pirates said. Is that ... the hawk-eyed man? Zoro asked. So, he's the one who sank the ships. He looks like a normal guy and it doesn't seem like he's carrying a special weapon, said one of the chefs. If you're looking for his weapon, then it's on his back, said Zeph. You mean, he cut that gigantic galleon by swinging that? Yes, that hawk-eyed man is a renowned swordsman, more than anyone in the world. As Mihawk was sailing, a pirate suddenly asked why did he follow them, to which Mihawk simply said, just to kill some time. That's bullshit, the pirate said, proceeding to fire his guns. Mihawk simply grabbed his sword and put it in the way of the bullets, deflecting them. To change the bullet's trajectory with the tip of the sword. I've never seen such graceful movements, said Zoro, who was already heading towards Mihawk. A sword without grace is no strong sword, said Mihawk. You probably also used that sword to cut that ship. No wonder you're the strongest, said Zoro, starting to tremble from excitement. I set sail for one reason, to meet you. And what is your goal? Mihawk asked. To beat you, said the green-haired man while tying his bandana. Pitiful weakling, said the hawk-eyed man. He then searched the battlefield and saw a familiar face. HMPH. Never suspected to meet you here, Luffy. Thought you would recruit guys from the Grand Line. Hey, just because this is the weakest sea doesn't mean there aren't any guys with potential. Zoro may be weak, but one day he'll kick your ass, said Luffy, leaving everyone astonished by the casual way he was talking. Mihawk chuckled. I see. Well then, Zoro, I suspect you want a duel, right? Yes, very well then. Mihawk then took out a knife from his neck. What are you planning to do with that? Asked Zoro. You wouldn't hunt a rabbit with cannon, right? You may be a renowned swordsman of this sea, but like Luffy said, this is by far the weakest of them all. Zoro got pissed and started to run against Mihawk. Hear me, little frog in this well. It's time for you to realize that the world is bigger than what it seems from your well. Onigiri. Zoro attacked, but his blades were stopped by Mihawk. Zoro, even more angry, started to furiously attack Mihawk with his blades, but he was just deflecting them with his knife. What is your burden, weakling? Asked Mihawk. After hearing this, Johnny and Yasaku were prepared to jump after Zoro, but Luffy grabbed them. Stay right here. This is Zoro's fight, he said, although you could see the tremble from his arms. Toragari. Zoro attacked, only for Mihawk to thrust his knife in Zoro's chest. Luffy was constantly thinking Zoro will be fine, don't worry, but he still was getting pissed. Mihawk asked, do you wish for me to pierce your heart? Why do you refuse to step back? I'm not really sure myself ... but I get the feeling ... that if I were to take even one step back right now, I'd lose something important to me. A promise or oath. It would be irreversibly broken, and I'd never be able to return back to where I'm standing right now, said Zoro, while keeping himself from falling unconscious. Yes, that is defeat, said Mihawk. Then that's why I can't step back, even if it means your death. I'd much rather die, said Zoro with conviction on his voice. After a few seconds, Mihawk takes off his knife and asks, tell me your name. Roronoa. Zoro, Zoro said, while rotating his two swords. I shall remember it, for your will is not often seen in this world. And to pay my respect as a fellow swordsman, I shall end this duel with my black sword. Santoru Augi Sanzensekai. Both swordsmen clashed. However, Mihawk managed to break two of Zoro's swords and cut him in the chest. Zoro stood up and turned his front to Mihawk. A wound on one's back is the shame of a swordsman, he said, barely conscious. Mihawk smiled splendid, and he cut him, finishing the duel. Luffy managed to cool down, however his sister didn't. Zoro. Lucy stretched towards Mihawk and tried to hit him, only for him to dodge. She then turned back and was going to punch him, but Mihawk interrupted her. Fear not, that man is still alive, he said, only for Lucy to see Zoro emerge from the water. Hurry up and get him on the boat, Luffy said, while keeping an eye on his sister. I am Dracula. Mihawk. It's much too early for you to die. Know thyself, know thy world, and become strong, Roronoa. No matter how many months or years pass by, I shall stand here at the top of the world and wait for you. So forge on ahead with that fierce conviction and try to surpass my sword. Surpass me, Roronoa. He then turned towards Lucy. You're Luffy's sister, right? What do you aim for? To become the world's strongest woman. Mihawk smirked. It's a tough path, easier than your brother's but harder than Zoro's. Don't care, I'll do it anyways, said Lucy while sticking out her tongue. She then saw a sword pointing towards the sky. Luffy, see. Can you hear me? Sorry for worrying you. I know that if I don't become the world's strongest swordsman, it will only embarrass you. Zoro coughed up blood, and despite the pleas of the bounty hunters, he continued, I swear that I'm never going to lose again. Until the day I fight him and win. I swear to never lose again. Any problems, Pirate King? Luffy smiled at his first mate words. Nope. What an interesting crew, Luffy. I can see that you were right by not wanting to follow the path of the sword. Let's meet each other again, Mihawk said, while going back towards his ship, until Krieg tried to stop him. Oi, Hawkeyes, didn't you come here to take my head? Yes, but now I'll just go back to my nap, said Mihawk. Krieg grew a tick mark on his face. How about you die before leaving? HMPH, you never learn, do you? Said Mihawk. He then used his sword to create a wave for a cool exit. Usopp, let's go. Lucy, be careful not to fall into the water. Sanji, you better keep our fucking promise. Alright, let's go, said Luffy while heading towards Nami's island. Lucy's strong, she'll take care of Krieg. Now let's head towards you, Nami. Got it, big bro. Alright, let's kick some ass, said Lucy while cracking her knuckles. Hey, old man, if I defeat them, will you let me off the hook? She asked. Fine, do as you wish, Zeph said. Okay then, let's get started. Gamu Gamu no rocket. Lucy rocketed herself towards the pirates inside. She stretched her arms sideways, catching almost every pirate and defeating them. Take off. Baradi's naval weapon. Sabagashira number 1. Lucy looked at the submarine with a blank face. What the hell is that? Asked one of the pirates. They heard the two chefs, Patty and Karn, arguing about pedaling. The thing then turned towards them and started to gain a lot of speed. They couldn't say anything else because it started to fire. Open the fins, another chef said, making a platform appear. Lucy just ignored the mechanisms and proceeded to fight Krieg. Gamu Gamu no pistol. She punched Krieg straight in the face. Ugh, you bitch, Krieg screamed. Take this, Krieg said, by throwing a spiked ball. Having no space to dodge, Lucy was hit by the ball backwards, sending her towards the Barady. When she reached there, she noticed a weird fat guy standing there. Who's he? My name is Pearl and I've never dropped blood in a fight. Aren't I stylish? Pearl asked. Nope. Pearl, insulted, tried to attack Lucy, only for her to dodge and hit him hard in the chest. You think you can break my? Pearl couldn't say anything as cracks were starting to appear. If only Luffy would have let me use Haki. Screw it, he's not here. She then turned her fist black, and before Pearl could say anything, she punched him, breaking his armor and sending towards the ship, knocking him unconscious. How do you like that? Shishishishi. Now it's your turn, Krieg. Everyone had their jaws dropping at the sight of Lucy's black arm. Did she have another devil fruit? However, Zeph was thinking something else, so that girl has Haki. Interesting. Sanji, when you finish fighting, watch that girl's fight carefully, said Zeph. However, he didn't need to say that because Sanji was always keeping an eye on her, mainly thanks to her scary brother. Krieg, pissed that his second commander was taken out that easily, picked up the Sabagashira and threw it. However, before Lucy could dodge it, Sanji kicked the vehicle away. Do not worry, my dear, your knight Sanji will save you, he said in a suave manner. Lucy pouted at Sanji's actions. She was just going to punch it. She then decided to just end the fight. Gamu Gamu no rocket. As she reached Krieg, she then noticed Chef Zeph falling by the courtesy of Jin. Sanji, if you want to save this man, then leave the ship, Jin declared. Sorry, but no. How about you point your gun at me? Sanji said. I won't let the old geezer lose anything else. He then remembered how Zeph sacrificed eating by giving all of his rations to Sanji after the shipwreck. He considered that man as a father, unlike that Germa bastard. Don, I have a request. Can I be the one to put an end on our saviors? Said Jin, while dropping his gun. Fine by me. I'll deal with this rubber bitch, said Krieg, while cracking his knuckles. Meanwhile, Sanji lit up a cigarette. It's showtime. Jin narrowed his eyes and swirled his tonfas, giving them momentum to hit the ground and crack it, leaving him an opening. Sanji tried to kick him, but Jin had already turned and tried to imprison Sanji. However, Sanji did a handstand and kicked Jin in the face, making him cough blood. Jin then hit Sanji on the side, causing him to stagger. Jin went to hit Sanji again, but he dodged and kicked Jin to the ground. As Jin was getting up, Sanji hit him in the back of his head with a concussor. Giving space for Jin to get up, he waited. And Jin took advantage of that by leaping quickly and hitting Sanji again. Sanji gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He evaded the next blow and kicked him in the side of Jin's face, mountain shot, knocking Jin unconscious. Jin, you useless crap, screamed Krieg. You should pay attention, Krieg. Gamu Gamu no bazooka. Lucy attacked, cracking Krieg's armor. However, Krieg still stood up and cleaned blood from his mouth. You think you're better than me with your devil fruit? I quote I'll kill you, roared Krieg as he fired his darts from his shield. Lucy started to run towards him, dodging the darts with her Haki. Krieg then smirked and pulled a spiked cape. Let's see you hitting this BWAH, said Krieg, while Lucy quickly covered the distance and punched a hole through the cape, hitting Krieg. I thought you were the strongest pirate from the East Blue, asked Lucy while crossing her arms. Sanji was stunned from this fight. The girl simply had no fear of hurting herself, showing that she was a strong woman. He may have fallen more in love with her. He started to panic when he saw Krieg joining the two shields. He had to create an explosive battle spear. How about I show you who's the strongest? He declared by swinging the spear. Lucy dodged, but she noticed the large explosion it gave, so she decided to break it with Haki with a punch. As Krieg saw the girl rushing to punch the spear with that weird black thing, he couldn't but laugh as he hears the explosion. However, he felt his spear disappear, and looking once more he could see it on the ground. Shit. I had enough of you, said Lucy. Gamu Gamu no X. She stretched her foot upwards and hit Krieg right in his head. Krieg, on the brink of unconsciousness, still spoke. You think you're better than me ... just because you're better than me. Damn it, he said, until he finally passed out. Yay, we won. Shishishishi, said Lucy. She then heard cracking beneath her and saw the floor breaking. Aw crap. And then she fell. Sanji, seeing this, turned into him White Knight personage, who one day would actually help him get laid, jumped in the ocean to save the brave warrior. He emerged with her and regained his breath a little, thinking about Lucy's fight. Even though she was at risk of losing her hands, she still didn't show fear. Maybe it'll be good to join her brother's crew. As they regained their breath, Lucy turned to Sanji. So, will you join our crew? The old geezer wants you to follow your dream, right? So, what better homage to him than reaching it? She said. After hearing this, Sanji's doubts disappeared and he nodded. Sure. Welp, this it. Bye shitty bastards, said Sanji while carrying a bag with some of his belongings. After a few seconds, Patty and Karn appeared, trying to surprise attack Sanji. They failed horribly. After leaving Patty and Karn defeated on the floor, Sanji continued to walk towards Lucy's ship, who now also had Yasaku, who was sent to give them directions. Aren't you going to say goodbye to them? Asked Lucy while crossing her arms. It's fine, said Sanji. Before he could step into the boat, he heard a gruff voice behind him. Don't catch a cold. Sanji looked at the ground, as memories of his past were replaying inside of his head, letting loose the tears that he was suppressing. Owner ZEEFFF. He quickly turned around and got on his knees, bowing. I'm eternally grateful for taking care of me for so damn long. I shall never forget for the rest of my life ... the debt I owe you, Sanji declared, while crying. Seeing this, the other cooks started to cry, as well as Yasaku and Lucy. Damn idiots. Men should say their goodbyes silently, said Zeph, while looking towards Sanji and wiping his eyes on the sleeve of his chef's outfit. Let's meet again one day. You good-for-nothing bastards. Those were Sanji's last words towards the staff that he grew up with for the past years, before he embarked to the pirate's life sometime later. So now all we have to do is bring Nami back and then we'll go to the Grand Line, said Lucy while stretching her arms. You shouldn't underestimate the seas, Lucy-san. Going to the Grand Line with 5 people is a bit risky, said Sanji while smoking. Brother said that we will recruit them on Paradise, and then we'll sail further on the Grand Line. She said, wait, Paradise? Don't you mean a pirate's graveyard? Asked Sanji. He told me that here are people who call the first half of the Grand Line Paradise, said Lucy while grinning, making Sanji go crazy by accident. Then your brother must have told you about the Shichibukai, right? Asked Yasaku. Yeah, he also told me that we shouldn't worry about them for the time being, said Lucy. Now let's eat. Hi Lucy Swan, said Sanji while twirling towards the kitchen while Yasaku sighed. Well, I was about to warn you, but since we have the one and only Straw Hat Luffy with us, then it will be easy, said Yasaku. Yeah, I'm actually excited since he said that he will show all of his strength in Nami's island. Can't wait for it, said Lucy jumping up and down. Meanwhile, with Team Straw Hat, we're here big bro Luffy, said an excited Johnny. Normally he would have been scared to the point of pissing himself, but he was sailing with Straw Hat Luffy, a previous crew member of the Yonko Shanks, and there were rumors about he being trained to be one of his commanders in the near future. Now let's go and storm the place, he said, only for him to get grabbed by Luffy. Wait a minute, we won't be entering that place for now. We'll dock at one of the villages nearby, then wait for Lucy and the others, he said. I'll come when I want to see big bro's powers already, said Johnny while whining. Luffy turned to him and grinned. You wouldn't be happy if you were left out, right? Then we have to think of the others too. Don't worry, you'll have first seats for the show, said Luffy, while his grin started to become devilish. I see the going merry, said Usopp while looking towards their right. Luffy sensed some fishmen on the dock and started to panic. Damn it, I don't want to show my strength yet. Come on Luffy, think. After thinking a bit, Luffy suddenly got an idea. He asked Usopp to shoot a few of his explosive stars towards a remote spot so that they would distract the fishmen up ahead. Usopp complied and the plan worked perfectly. They then quickly docked and left the ship, reaching dry land. After reaching a village, they stopped. Nice guys. Now we can continue our sneaky approach until Lucy and the others get here. Usopp, you can drop Zoro now, said Luffy. I didn't carry Zoro. I thought Johnny would be the one to carry him, said Usopp while Luffy's eyes started to widen. Johnny, asked the captain. I didn't carry him. I thought big bro Luffy would carry him. Luffy started to pale. Aw shit. In a forest. What was that? Asked random fishman number 7. I don't know. Maybe someone stubbed their toe or they got hurt on their finger by loading something. Said random fishman number 3. Who would be retarded enough to hurt their finger while loading? Said random fishman number 7. He then suddenly felt air in between his legs, and when he looked inside of his pants he started to scream about how his tool disappeared while his friend was trying to comfort him and make him focused on carrying the prisoner. While said prisoner was currently thinking, I swear I'll kill them for this. Back to Team Straw Hat POV. Whoa, what happened here? Said Usopp while looking at the scenery in front of him. In front of them were the remnants of Gosa village, but what freaked them out the most was the upside-down houses and the trail in the middle of streets. This is the strength of those from the Grand Line, said Johnny. He then started to run. What's wrong with him? Asked Usopp while turning towards Luffy, who had a pissed-off face. I've saw you run. You must be partners of that exiled human. Now either you go nicely or the fishman said. However, he was soon interrupted by a fist to the face. Stop ruining my badass entrance, god damn it, said Luffy, punching the fishman towards the ground, leaving a crater beneath his unconscious body. He then turned towards Usopp. You didn't see anything, did you, Usopp? No. Oh, of CC course not, stuttered Usopp. Good, now let's go. Get out of there, Johnny, said Luffy, walking forward. Usopp wanted to marvel at the unconscious fishman in the crater that shook the ground, but he didn't want to piss off Luffy anymore, so he started to run after him. Johnny also thought the same as Usopp and quickly joined them. After a bit, they saw a kid on the middle of the street. I'm going to avenge my father's death. You too, get out of there so I can kill him, said the boy. Luffy quirked an eyebrow at the kid's statement, but then he saw him receive a karate chop on the head by a purple-haired woman. Don't harm the fishman. And also, if you look more closely you can see that he's a human. Barely, said Nezuko. Barely, asked Usopp. But before anything else could be said, Luffy interrupted them. Okay, enough talk, let's go somewhere else. Hey you have a house, right? Then let's go, he said. He didn't want them to see the knocked-out fishman behind them, and fate was constantly getting on his way. Normally you ask the girl on a date first, then maybe you're invited to her place. But since I see you're in a hurry, then let's go, said Nezuko while smiling at Luffy in a weird way that reminded him of the girls that would talk to him while he was sailing with Shanks. Not wanting to remind himself of that nightmare, he decided to just shut up and follow Nezuko to her house. She then started to reprimand the kid. You're from Gosa village, right? Then you should have known better than anyone how foolish it is to fight against the fishmen, she said, while Chabo looked at the table. I know it's foolish, but they killed my dad. They also destroyed our village using a gigantic monster that was born on Grand Line. That's why I've sworn revenge towards them. But some female member of the Arlong Pirates stopped me at the door. That witch, I'm going to kill her too, said Chabo, the little kid. Then go ahead and die. As long as you know you're going to die, then feel free to fight. That's an excellent way to execute a revenge. But remember that thanks to that lady interfering, you've escaped death. Once you're done with that tea, leave this house. I hate brats like you. Usopp was now preparing to stand up and protest Nezuko's words, but Luffy interrupted him. She's right, you know. Obviously, she could have been nicer in the words she said, but the message is correct. The best way to get revenge is not by letting rage consume you and killing, but by living a good life and making your loved ones proud. Do you have a mom? He asked. Chabo nodded. Then how do you think she would feel like when they would tell her their son got killed? Chabo's eyes widened at that thought and shamefully lowered his head. She probably would be devastated and kill herself. Luffy's words awed everyone inside of the house. He then got up and said, besides, you're like 9. If you want to defeat the fishmen, then train hard for 10 years. That should do it, he said. Chabo started to smile and nodded, before adopting a determined glint in his eyes and left the house. Nezuko frowned at this statement. You shouldn't have given false hopes to that kid. Now introduce yourselves. Sorry. My name is Monkey D. Luffy and I'm a pirate captain. The guy with the long nose is Usopp and the guy with the sunglasses is Johnny. We came here looking for a girl named Nami, Luffy said. Her. She's a member of the Arlong Pirates. She's the witch that the kid was talking about. She's also my foster sister, said Nezuko while leaning her head on her hand. So, this is Nami's home? Asked Usopp. That's right. We're orphans. We were adopted and raised in this house by a woman. She died long time ago, but we 3 lived happily here, said the purple-haired woman. Then why did Sister Nami join the Arlong Pirates? Does she betray her own hometown? Asked Johnny. A real witch, right, said Nezuko. So, what's your business with her, Captain Luffy? Nezuko asked. So, she was deceiving us all this time. Even though she helped protecting my village and laughed happily with us ... She was always planning on how to steal our money and ditch us. Luffy, what do we do now? Asked Usopp, who was making the weirdest pissed-off face. We go get her back. When she was with us, her laughter was a real one, so her feeling with us were true, said Luffy while putting a hand on his chin. Luffy, she was deceiving us. She's not worth being on the crew. Let's just grab the ship and Zoro and let's get out of here, said Usopp. Long nose there is right. If you fight the Arlong pirates, it won't end up with mere injuries. Also, is that your ship? Nijiko said, while pointing towards the window. That's the Going Merry. That means we're close to Arlong Park. Also, big brother Usopp, don't you want to see it? Asked Johnny. Usopp looked confused at Johnny's statement until his brain remembered something. Oh yeah, you're right, we can't leave. What are you guys talking about? Asked a confused Nijiko. It's nothing. Now let's just wait until the others come and then we can proceed, said Luffy, who was already feeling excited to finally having a fight, even if it was against a weakling. Meanwhile, at Arlong Park, I've already told you. I came here looking for a woman, you half-fish mutant, said a pissed-off Zoro. Oh, some inferior human dares to insult me. I'll forgive you just this once, but don't you ever call us half-fish again. We fishmen are evolved humans who gained the ability of breathing in water, which means we're beings of a higher order than you puny humans, said Arlong. Our strength also far exceeds a human's, which means that a human who defies a fishman is essentially defying the divine providence of nature. I'm sick of hearing that stupid theory of yours, Arlong, said Nami, who had walked through the door. No need to make a face like that, Nami. You're a different case, of course. You're the Arlong Pirates' prized cartographer. You make the most accurate nautical charts. Of course, after all, my brain's of a much higher order than any of yours, she said. Why are you being so chummy with them, Nami? Asked Zoro. Oh, you guys know each other? Asked Arlong. Oh, he's one of my victims. I was able to swindle a huge fortune from this guy's during my most recent haul. I knew you guys were chasing after me, but to think you'd actually make it here. Is this your true self? Said the swordsman. That's right. Surprised. I'm an officer of the Arlong Pirates, which means Luffy should give up on chasing me, Nami said, making Zoro quirk an eyebrow. Why would Luffy have to give up? Why? Because the Arlong Pirates are fishmen, and no human can win against them, so he should give up if he doesn't want to die, said the orange-haired girl, already getting aggravated. Zoro was getting even more confused, until he remembered something. Oh yeah, you weren't there when Krieg appeared, right? No, why? Said a confused Nami. No reason. SHLHLHLHI. She had you completely strung along. This girl would do anything for money, even forgetting the death of her own parent, said Arlong. Zoro noticed how Nami's face turned shameful, like she was holding her tears. I see. Well, I never trusted her anyways, so it doesn't surprise me that she was a devilish cutthroat, said Zoro. Right from the very beginning, I had a feeling you were a good-for-nothing woman. Well then, that makes things easier. If you've realized that I was only tricking you, then get out. You're an eyesore, she said. Zoro smirked and jumped backwards. Why did he jump backwards? Maybe he's trying to escape. No way. As if a human with his members tied up could swim. Just leave him be, said Arlong. Nami had other plans. That idiot, she said, taking off her shoes and jumping in the water to save Zoro. Few seconds later, she resurfaced with him. What's the big idea? I should ask you the same thing. A small-time crook like you who can't even let one person die shouldn't be acting all tough, said Zoro, while smirking and decoughing for air. And be quicker next time, slowpoke. Almost thought I was a goner. Nami gritted her teeth at Zoro's declaration and kicked him in the back. If you get involved with me any more than this, you're a dead man, she said, before punching Zoro in the gut. Good, Nami. Now men, let's go to Kakoyashi Village. I have some business to do there. In Kakoyashi Village, Arlong's coming. What does he need from us? He just collected our tribute. It's probably because my weapons were found. Everyone go inside your homes, said a scarred man with a pinwheel on his hat. Are you the one? The one found in possession of weapons 3 days ago, said Arlong, easily towering over Genzo. That's right. Can't a person have a hobby? Said Genzo. I'm afraid not. Weapons are the greatest threat to peace, said Arlong, fully aware how much of a hypocrite he was being. Holy shit, he's huge, thought Usopp, while managing to hide horizontally behind a wall. It looks like Nami isn't with him. She's probably at Arlong Park, said Nijiko, also hiding. I've got over 20 villages at my control, and I've already destroyed the rebellious Gosa village. If someone fails to pay his tribute, then that means he intends to rebel against us, said Arlong. Tribute? What's he talking about? Asked Johnny. It's money we have to pay month after month. We have to buy our lives from them with money. Adults, kids, everyone, said Nijiko. So, if one person fails to pay his tribute, his entire village will get destroyed. A whole town destroyed because of a single person. Talk about cruel, said Usopp. That's life under Arlong's rule. They don't even think twice about killing a human, said Nijiko. Hear me well, inferior humans. All you need to do is work hard and pay the tribute. Your tribute will soon become the cornerstone of my Arlong Empire that will rule all of the East Blue, said Arlong, shocking every single person except one. Idiot. What? Asked Nijiko. He probably has the brain of a fish if he thinks that he can conquer the East Blue. Heck, if he managed to get to Loguetown, he would have been wrecked apart, said Luffy. Even if he didn't, he would just need to step in Fusha village. Then Grandpa, Dad, or Ace would come after him. He thought, I think that you are the idiot by thinking that you can stop a fishman, Nijiko said. They then heard a scream. Jen, said Nijiko, possession of a weapon is a clear sign of rebellion, the cause of any unrest and disturbance in my lands. Which means I must kill you to show the other villagers what happens to rebels, said Arlong while preparing his fist. That bastard, said Nijiko while running towards Arlong. What's the meaning of this, Arlong? All of us have paid the tribute for 8 years. Why would we rebel against you? She said, sorry, but possessing weapons is a clear sign of rebelling. I have to kill this man, said the fishman. Or would you prefer that I destroyed your entire village? Go home now. If we rebel, then our last 8 years were for nothing. If we wanted to fight against them, we would have already done it long ago. But we chose the path of endurance in order to live, said Jen. Well said. You understand the futility of resisting us. Not all living things are born equal. Shhhhhh, said Arlong. The villagers were starting to get mad, but Genzo raised his hand. Don't. If we die here, everything will come to an end. You must keep on fighting even if I die, said Genzo. Shhhhhh. What a brave man. Now let me show you humans what happens when you defy us. Let this be a warning to you. Gunpowder Star. Jen's execution was stopped when Arlong received an explosion to the face. After looking for who did it, they noticed a boy standing on top of a roof. I am the brave and heroic warrior of the seas, Captain Usopp. Never heard of him, one of the fishmen muttered. Compared to the devil and feared by the entire world, I'm called Usopp, the wicked devil king. I have 8,000 subordinates at my hand and I'll use them if you don't flee this place, said Usopp while sweating. Fucking idiot, muttered Luffy while facepalming. I don't care if you've got tens of thousands of followers or 1 million of them. I'll kill all of them, said Arlong, not having an injury on his body. Lowly human scum, you dare attack me, he said, while proceeding to lift the house where Usopp was standing on. No, big bro Luffy, I know you don't want to reveal your powers, but please do something, said Johnny, only later realizing that Luffy wasn't next to him. We are the supreme beings, roared Arlong as he threw the house. After the dust cleared, there were no signs of Usopp. I hope you are happy by your actions, Usopp, because I'm certainly not, said Luffy looking at Usopp who was in his arms, while the latter gulped. Thank God that I'm way too fast for any of them to notice, thought Luffy. Where is he? Where is he? Catch him and kill him, said Arlong while being held back by 2 of his lackeys. Come on Arlong, it isn't worth it. Let's get back to base, said one of them. They then proceeded to leave the village. Long time no see, everyone. Looking back, they saw an orange-haired girl carrying a bouquet of roses. Every instinct of them begged to greet her and give her comfort. But they didn't want to burden her even more, so they decided to fake a cold act. Nami frowned sadly at the actions, but she still was determined to complete her goal. Oh, look, it's Nami. Moving on, let's go grab Zoro so that we all get reunited, said Luffy while looking at Johnny and Usopp. I've got an idea. Usopp, you start to run and you get captured by them. You will then try to inform Zoro that it's part of the plan. Me and Johnny will be outside of the wall, so don't worry. Once you 2 get free, we'll wait for the others and then storm Arlong Park. Got it. The 2 guys nodded. Good, so let's go, Luffy said. Giving a nod to Usopp, he started to run and alert the fishmen, while pretending to be caught. While Usopp was being carried by them, Luffy and Johnny were following them without making any sounds. As they entered Arlong's base, the wannabe ninjas stuck close to the wall and climbed it without being noticed. Luffy then activated his observation haki, but he strangely couldn't sense Zoro anywhere. In fact, he was sensing him in Tokoyashi village. Aw shit, Luffy thought. He sent a look to Usopp to signify to keep up with the plan. He then noticed the unconscious bodies lying on the floor. Yep, he definitely escaped by himself, thought Luffy with a sweat drop on his head. What happened here? Asked Choo, who was carrying Usopp. Apparently that guy earlier was Roronoa Zoro. Maybe Nami brought him to try to kill you, Arlong said Kurubai. That's enough, said Nami, who had entered the base. For 8 years I've been collecting money to buy my village. Why would I risk it all when I'm so close to reach my goal? I apologize. It's true that you have been a loyal crew member for the past 8 years. We were a little too rash, but we believe you, said Arlong, because the ones we need to get rid of are Roronoa Zoro and his companion, he said, while grabbing Usopp and putting a knife at his throat. Usopp started to panic until he noticed Luffy. He then calmed himself a little, but still tried to resist. I do have the highest bounty of East Blue, so it's only natural that a well-known bounty hunter would come for me, said Arlong. So where is he hiding? I don't know. Now please let me go. Nami, say something, said Usopp, while crying comical tears. What's wrong, Nami? You look troubled, said Kurubai. It seems you're still doubting me, she said. Damn it. Why did this happen of all times? Nami, you witch. Even though Luffy trusted you, you still betrayed him. Even when you ran away he still wanted you as his navigator. And you know why? Usopp dramatically said. The plan was only for creating a distraction. But that didn't mean he couldn't play a little. Because he loved you. Luffy could feel his jaw dropping by the second while his eyes started getting white. That fucking idiot. Nami had a shocked expression while her cheeks were turning red. After a second Usopp started to snicker. I was just joking about the last bit. But yeah, he's coming, he said, regaining her composure. Nami then told him, oh geez, I thought he was smart but he must have been an idiot all along since he got duped that easily. They suddenly heard water splashing and saw an octopus fishman emerging. Luffy's eyes brightened as he saw his old friend Hachai again. Too bad that he's a bad guy for now. Yo, oh, Arlong your ba, what's this? Hachai said. This was the work of Roronoa Zoro. You haven't seen him, have you? Said Arlong. I don't know where he could have gone. The only swordsman I remember meeting was a green-haired guy with a sword. Hachai said. He then thought about what he had just said. Could it have been him? He said, while the other fishermen screamed at him calling him an idiot. So, where did he go? Asked Arlong. I gave him a ride to Kakoyashi village. I only did it because I thought he was a guest, so I gave him a ride to meet you, said Hachai. Then that means there's no need to rush because he's looking for me too. Luckily we also have his companion here, said Arlong. Nami's eyes narrowed at this, and not wanting to cause any more trouble she quickly assembled her staff and hit Usopp in the face. Oi, what the hell you wanna fight? Said Usopp, while cleaning blood from his nose. It's your fault for going against Arlong. I can't let you ruin the business I have been running for the past 8 years. That's why I've decided to kill you by myself. You should be thankful. After all, if it was Arlong he probably would have killed Luffy and the others. This made Usopp quirk his eyebrow in confusion. Killing Luffy? How he said, until he remembered something important. Oh yeah, you weren't there, right? Hearing this statement again, Nami's eyebrow started to twitch. What do you mean by that? Nothing. Now certain kill Smoke Star, said Usopp, throwing a smoke bomb to the ground. Nice. Now I'll go underwater and meet Luffy outside. How typical, said a girlish voice. Usopp turned his head and saw a staff hitting him in the face. Falling to the floor, he noticed Nami run at him with a dagger and widened his eyes in fear. Quickly looking to the side, he saw Luffy giving him a look of reassurance, while gripping Johnny's shoulder in a comforting way. He then heard flesh being stabbed and watched Nami's hand bleeding of stabbing herself. For the sake of my business, I must do this, she said. Usopp now could see that Nami was a good person after all, so he decided to play her act. How could you? Nami, seeing this, Johnny started to get infuriated towards Luffy, but he saw that Luffy was calm. She didn't kill him, I saw it. She stabbed her own hand to simulate it. She really is a caring person, said Luffy. Johnny thought he had seen something strange in Luffy's eyes when he had said it, but he ignored it. Now let's wait by the shore for Usopp, said the Straw Hat Pirate. He then saw Zoro coming his way and started to wave at him until he sensed something from his right. Meanwhile, in the sea, I can see Arlong Park, Lucy shouted. The boat that she, Sanji, and Yosaku were in was now being driven by a sea cow named Momu, who by the bump on his head was forced to do the job. Let's go, sea cow. Nami-san is waiting for us. Wait, you're going the wrong way, you useless cow, said Sanji. He then saw the shore getting closer. Oh no. But it was too late to do anything, because the cow had just rammed against the beach, making the boat fly high into the sky. Yahoo! It's like flying, said Lucy while laughing. Ah, flying with Lucy Swan, what a romantic view, Sanji said. He then noticed the boat reaching dry land. Lucy-san, look out. Oh look, it's Luffy and Johnny, said Zoro, who was running towards Arlong Park until he saw a ship to his left. Zoro, look out, screamed Luffy. But it was too late because the boat had hit Zoro and dragged him towards a wall. Luffy and Johnny started to run towards them, until they saw Zoro getting up. The hell do you think you're doing, you idiot? Don't insult Lucy Swan, you bastard, said Sanji, who had protected Lucy from the impact. Shut up, you two. Now it's everyone here. Good. Now all we have to do is wait for Usopp to return and Nami to come towards us and we can start to attack, said Luffy. However, before we do that, Nami has to give us permission. What? But why? Asked Zoro. Because she had some sort of business going on for the past 8 years and she wants to do it by herself. I want her to realize she doesn't have to carry all of the burdens by herself and that it isn't wrong to ask for help, said Luffy, leaving everyone awed at his words. Such beautiful words, Luffy. Too bad it's all bullshit, said a voice nearby. Looking at their behind, they saw Nami with her staff. Oh, hi Nami, how you doing? Said Lucy. Nami ignored her. I seriously don't know why you're here. We just had a little cooperation. Nothing else, she said. Besides, you shouldn't bother in waiting for Usopp since I've already killed him. You're lying, as if a witch like you had the guts to kill someone, said Zoro, while trying to not slice Nami into a million pieces. I'm not. It's also useless to avenge him. No matter how monstrously strong you guys are, you're no match for a real monster like Arlong, she said. This caused everybody's head to tilt. Are you possibly that dumb? Said Zoro, while Sanji was insulting him for insulting Nami. "Oh yeah, that's right, she wasn't their big bro Zoro," said Yasaku, making all of their faces lit up. "Oh yeah, you're right," said all of the boys and Lucy. Nami's eyebrows started to twitch uncontrollably. "Okay, explain to me now, what the hell do you mean by me not being there?" she said with shark-like teeth. Johnny quickly pulled up a wanted poster. "We mean this," and then he showed her the poster. Nami was confused by this action until she looked at it and started to widen her eyes and her mouth. Apparently Big Brother Luffy was already a big-time pirate before coming here. "He used to sail with one of the Yonko red-haired shanks," said Johnny. "He's also been doing this for a long time, since his first bounty was 80 million berries, and that was when he was 12 years old. There also have been reports of him being on the ship before that," said Yasaku. "According to Krieg, he battled against a fleet of 10 marine battleships and destroyed them in mere minutes," said Sanji. "He's also rumored to turn the day into night, which sounds really cool," said Zoro. "He said that he was going to show his powers at this island, and that's why we're here, aside of bringing you back," said Lucy. Nami couldn't stop gaping like a fish as she heard their words and read the 615 million berry bounty under Luffy's name. It was 30.75 times higher than Arlong's, which would make a person assume that he could trash Arlong easily. "So what do you say, Nami? Will you let me help you?" said Luffy while extending his hand. Nami looked at his hand, then at the ground with her eyes shadowed by her bangs. She then started to run towards the village. Luffy blinked. "Okay, let's follow her," he said. "Hey guys," said a wet Usopp, "what did I miss? I can't wait to see Nami's reaction to the wanted poster." After saying this, he noticed everyone looking at him with an apologizing look. "What? Let's just head towards Kakuyashi village," said Luffy, leaving a confused Usopp behind. However, they saw Nijiko head towards them. "Boys, stop right there. It's useless to fight against Arlong," she said. However, Luffy continued to walk. "Hey, didn't you hear me?" Luffy groaned. "Just show her the goddamn poster, Johnny," said Luffy. Nijiko was confused until she saw a wanted poster on her hands. After reading it, she quickly turned towards Luffy. "Are you?" "Yeah, I am. The only thing left is Nami stopping being so stubborn, and then we'll head towards Arlong Park," Luffy said. "Wait, at least let me explain to you why she was acting like that by telling her sad backstory," said Nijiko. "I'm not interested. You guys can listen while I'm going towards the village," said Luffy. "I'll go with you, Luffy," said Lucy while running towards her brother, jumping on his back. Luffy, already sensing her with his haki, just prepared his arms and caught her, giving her a piggyback ride towards Kakuyashi. "Not going to even listen. What a badass," said Nijiko. "Now sit down, boys, and let me tell you the story of Nami." Scene transition. While Nami was running towards her house, a million thoughts were going through her head, mostly about what the others had said. With a bounty like that, he could easily kill Arlong. Not only that, but according to Lucy, he's stronger than her, and she lifted a goddamn ship. And if the rumors are true, then, she thought while crying in the end, there's hope. Nami quickly reached her house, looking for her sister to bring her the good news. However, she didn't see her, which was strange. She decided to sit down and wait for her while dreaming of her adventures with her friends, until she heard a noise outside. Stepping out of her house, she saw Genzo and a squad of Marines behind him. "My name is Captain Nezumi of the 16th branch. You must be Nami, the criminal." Nami repressed the urge to punch the man. "Yes, I'm a pirate. I'm an officer of the Arlong Pirates, and I believe you know how futile it is to go against him," she said. "Oh, I'm not here because of your piracy. I'm here because I've received reports of your thievery," said Nezumi. "I've heard that you steal from pirates. Now, since they're pirates, we have no intentions of arresting you. However, we will confiscate the money. Then, search like hell," said Nami. While hitting the Marines with her staff, "The Arlong Pirates are going around enslaving villages and killing people, and you aren't doing anything about that," said a pissed-off Nami. "Just ignore her and continue with the search," said Nezumi, like the brat he is. "I'll never give the money to you. That money is for the sake of saving the Kakuyashi village. Do you still believe you have the right to take it away?" said Genzo, surprising Nami. "Gen, how did you know all of that?" said a shocked Nami. "We knew all along, Nami. We forced Nijiko to tell us the truth. We didn't tell you anything because we feared that our hopes would be too much pressure to you." "That's right. So, if you aren't here to save the village, then get out of here," said Nijiko, who suddenly appeared. "How annoying. You guys haven't found it yet. It's just 100 million berries, for God's sake," Nezumi said. Nami's eyes widened at this information. "How did you know the value?" "Just a guess," Nezumi snickered. "Take them away from here. They're hindering the search," he ordered, making them shoot Nijiko. Seeing this, Nami's mind snapped and she started to run towards Arlong Park, not even noticing Luffy. However, she did notice Lucy thanks to her waving. "Hey Nami, do you need any help?" she asked, only for Nami to look at her painfully and continue to run. "What's the matter with her?" "Don't know, she looked pretty pissed." "Now let's see what happened," said Luffy while going towards Nijiko. Seeing the bullet wound, he remembered the lessons he had in basic medicine and started to treat the wound, startling some of the villagers. "Don't worry, I'm helping her," he said, calming them down. Is there a doctor nearby? He asked. They pointed towards the health center. Luffy nodded and carefully carried Nichiko in his arms towards it. When he walked through the door, he recognized the doctor and dropped her on the bed while trying to explain what happened. The doctor thanked him, then threw him out, just in time of seeing the villagers starting to riot. That's it. Arm yourselves, for it's time to fight, said Jen, while raising a sword in the air, getting a roar of approval from the villagers. 8 years ago, we swore not to throw our lives away. As long as Nami was fine, we would endure anything they threw toward us. But this is how they answered us. He said, not only they killed any hope for this island, they toyed with the kindness of Nami, and we shall never forgive them for that. Another roar was heard. Wait, everyone. As they looked, they saw Nami heading towards them. Please just wait a little more. I'll try my best again. It'll be easier this time since I have the experience, so please wait, said Nami while smiling, making Jen drop some tears and hug her. That's enough. You know it's futile. You've carried all our hope alone for long enough. You've fought well, he said, making Nami cry. You can now leave this village. What? He's right, Nami. Besides, don't you have a crew to join to fulfill your dream? Said Nichiko, already bandaged. Nami dropped to her knees while the others rushed towards Arlong Park. She then pictured that despicable freak of nature and couldn't help but stabbing that painful mark on her shoulder until a hand stopped her. Looking up, she saw him, the only hope in her life. Luffy, help me. Luffy didn't say anything. He grabbed his hat and put it on her head and screamed to the heavens. Of course I will. Nami was stunned by his action until she remembered something he had said previously. It's my treasure. I'll never let anyone touch it. Remembering this, her heart skipped a beat for some weird reason, but she ignored it. Well, that was until Luffy lifted her bridal style. Wah. You guys go ahead. I have some preparations to take care of, said Luffy. Sanji was ready to protest, but Lucy grabbed him by the arm and dragged him. Seeing them walk, Luffy then turned towards the Going Merry. Luffy, where are we going? Asked Nami, with a bit of pink on her cheeks. First, I'm going to fix up that nasty wound you have there, and second, I have to look cool for what I'm about to do, said a smirking Luffy. Nami was confused by this statement until they reached the ship. Luffy quickly climbed it and put her in the infirmary, cleaning the wound. He then disinfected it and bandaged it, making sure that it was nicely tied up. Now wait here while I get ready, he said, while retreating. Luffy quickly went to the men's quarters and used his powers to make his secret chest appear. When he opened it and saw that everything was in good condition, he began to put it on. After a few minutes, Nami heard a knock on the door, and when she opened it, she couldn't stop gaping. In front of her was Luffy. However, instead of the red cardigan and blue shorts, he now was wearing a black suit with a red dress shirt and a black tie. He still had his sandals, but he also was wearing a cloak. He basically became hot. Now let's go, milady, he jokingly said, presenting his back towards Nami. She shrugged and climbed on it, letting Luffy carrying them towards Arlong Park. Overtaken plays now. As they reached there, everyone was astonished by Luffy's looks. When he reached the gates, he carefully dropped off Nami and addressed Usopp. Hold this and only start and stop when I tell you, okay, he said, confusing Usopp with the item on his hand. At a closer look, you could notice it was a stopwatch. Now I need you to step away from the gate, okay? Luffy asked. Yes sir, said Nichiko, while eyeing Luffy, which made Nami feel angry for some reason. So, what's the plan, Luffy? Asked Zoro, who was already grinning at fighting the fishmen again. Plan? You guys sit there while I demolish them. That's the plan, he said, making the pirates shocked. I've waited long enough to fight, damn it, Luffy said. He then looked at the gates and gripped them, ripping them off of their hinges and throwing them back, making them go high up in the sky. Which one of you is Arlong? Asked Luffy, who was quite pissed off for what Arlong did to Nami. He chose not to hear her story back then, but when they were heading towards Fishman Island, she discovered that he hadn't heard it and told him. Thinking about it made him even more pissed. Who's the brat? Asked Arlong. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, Luffy said. Arlong's eyes started to widen, and they widened even more when he saw the straw hat on Nami's head. Looking back at Luffy, he then showed an expression that the villagers had never seen from him. Fear. What are you doing here? Asked Arlong. Came to get my navigator back. A girl named Nami, he said, cracking his knuckles. Arlong's eyes widened even more at this information. He then recomposed himself and started to snicker. So, you think just because you're a big shot you can handle an entire crew of fishmen alone? Men, kill him, he ordered. Usopp, start, Luffy said. As he heard the click of the stopwatch, he saw all of the fishmen starting to rush at him. He then used his Conqueror's Haki to knock them all out, purposely leaving Arlong unaffected. This caused the audience that was watching the fight to be stunned by what happened. What happened? Asked Zoro, whose eyes were widened to the size of plates. Did he just knock them all out with a single glance? Asked Sanji, dropping his cigarette in shock, while Nami couldn't form any words. So Big Brother can use it. Maybe he can help me awaken it, said Lucy, but the others weren't paying attention to her. Why you? Said a shaken Arlong. Luffy did nothing more than look at Arlong. He then started to lift his right hand up. Yummy yummy no absorption, Luffy said. Suddenly a black substance started coming off of Luffy and involved the ground, covering everything inside of Arlong Park except the throne where Arlong was standing on. It then created a hole at the center and started to suck everything. By the end, the only thing left was Arlong's throne, Luffy, and the walls. What the hell was that? Screamed Usopp. I thought the weird glance thing earlier was his devil fruit power, but now he's creating weird black stuff, said a shocked Zoro. He sucked it in that room, Nami said, with her hand covering her mouth to stop the sobs that were reaching her. Seeing that Forsaken Tower being absorbed felt so good, Luffy then lifted his hand higher and created a stream of darkness to the sky, making it look like it turned nighttime. He created a hole of light where he was standing so that he wouldn't get hit and said, "Yummy yummy no repulsion." After he said this, the debris from the Arlong Park started to fall from the sky, along with the broken bodies of the Arlong pirates. Hatcheye had a lighter treatment, but he still had some bones snapped. Looks like Big Brother Luffy's rumors about turning the day into night were true after all. It's so cool, said Johnny, while crying from the awesome scene that he was watching. Nami was crying and smiling as she saw the disheveled papers that once were maps. Thank you, Luffy. The other villagers were also too stunned to even say something about the show of power that they saw. They had never thought that someone so powerful existed, and to see it in first hand was a privilege. Getting more annoyed, Arlong quickly reminded himself, "Oh Momo, come forth, Momo." The sea cow appeared, although it looked like it has been crying. "Attack him," Arlong ordered. As the creature was preparing herself to attack, Luffy lifted his finger up. "Smash her." As he said this, a vortex of darkness appeared at his right, making a warhammer pop out. Grabbing the warhammer with both of his hands, he then used Jeppo to reach Momo. "He's walking on air," Yosaku said. "I wonder if I could do that," thought Sanji. Dodging Momo's headbutt, Luffy gripped his warhammer and got ready to attack. Smash! As he roared, Luffy hit Momo right under the chin, making it fly back at a remarkable speed, creating even wind. He then dropped his warhammer. "Holy shit," said Genzo. Arlong was not pleased. "You despicable human. How dare you defy us? A mighty fishman. We're superior to you in every possible way. How about I show the vast difference between our powers, you lousy little." Luffy was getting quite annoyed by Arlong's words, and so he did what it was best. "Shut the hell up," Luffy roared, as he punched Arlong right in the face, creating a large crater beneath Arlong's body. As the dust cleared, they could see Luffy with blood dripping from his fist, while Arlong was laid down with fist imprints on his face and his eyes rolled back. "He's unconscious, so you can stop Usopp," said Luffy. "Now tell me the time." Usopp shakenly stopped it and told the time. 13.37 seconds, said Usopp. Luffy then looked at Nami and screamed for the world to hear. "Nami, you're my nakama." "Got it," he said. Nami started to cry, but then she smiled and nodded while saying a shaky hi. Her heart skipped a beat again, but she shrugged it. "Holy hell, that was amazing," said one of the villagers. "To think that the group of pirates that ruled this island for 8 years were disposed in 13 seconds. It's unbelievable. This means it's over. He won. Hooray, that's enough celebrating," said a marine captain. "I would have never thought that Straw Hat Luffy with a bounty of 615 million berries would be in the East Blue. I'm sure the Marine headquarters would probably send an admiral if I reported this." "I wouldn't do that if I were you," said Luffy, walking towards Nezumi. "TCH, okay then. Men, aim for his head and fire," he ordered, making the Marine squad shoot Luffy. "Luffy." Luffy just scoffed. "Armament," he said, before his right hand was covered in shiny black. He then put his hand across his face and started to wave it back and forth at an impressive speed. By the end of the shooting, Luffy smirked and turned off his haki, showing the bullets between his fingers, proceeding to crush them. He quickly used Sora to reach the squad and kicked Nezumi to the ocean. That was so badass," cried Usopp, Johnny, and Yosaku. Throwing the rest of the Marines, Luffy noticed their ship was close by. Grinning, he used Jeppo to get closer and performed a Rankyaku, slicing the mast in half, which caused it to crash and destroy the ship. Returning to land, he then turned towards a gaping Nezumi. "Go ahead, report me, I don't care," he said, while the ship exploded in the background. Nezumi got mad, but he retreated, while saying that he would get his revenge one day. Luffy ignored him and turned to his audience. "So, what do you think?" That was so hot," said Najiko. "Nami, you lucky girl. That was so worth the wait," said Lucy. "Well, thanks for your support, but now I think we must party," said Luffy, getting another cheering from the villagers. Time skip. "Finally, I've found that goddamn raw ham melon," thought Luffy as he was walking in the night. He then noticed Jen standing near a grave pouring booze over it. "Why are you pouring booze over it? Isn't it rude?" asked Luffy. "It has a deep meaning. Let's leave it at that," said Jen, startled a bit by Luffy. "Oh, okay. Well, he or she has my deepest condolences," said the pirate captain while bowing his head. "Thanks. Hey kid, Nami said that she would join your crew. It'll be a dangerous journey, so if you ever do something to steal her smile away, I'll personally come and kill you," said Jen. Well, I'm not planning to. Understand? Understood. Luffy nodded, while smiling. Another time skip. You guys sure you don't want to join my crew? Luffy said, in his casual outfit again. While we're flattered by being invited to join your crew, big brother Luffy, we are bounty hunters at heart. We could never become pirates, said Johnny and Yosaku. Okay, I get it. Well then train hard and maybe you'll become strong, said Luffy. Truth be told, he actually didn't mind them on his crew, but apparently fate wasn't in his favor. Gee, got it, they said, while starting to cry. Set sail, everyone heard. Looking up, they saw Nami starting to run towards the ship. You guys heard her set sail, Luffy said to his crew. Nami started to run in zigzag until she reached the dock, where she put all of her strength in her legs and jumped to the ship. She then lifted her shirt a little bit and showed all the wallets she stole. Take care everyone, she said while grinning. You rotten little thief, the villagers screamed. However, you could notice how they actually weren't angry. Goodbye everyone, I'll be off now, said the navigator while waving arms and smiling. Luffy smirked at this action. Same old Nami, now I think Loguetown's next, right? Then that means I'll meet up with Smokey and my father again. I wonder what he'll say about my strength. Though Luffy while looking at the horizon. So, you mind explaining what you did back there? Asked Zoro. This made everyone's ears perk up. Oh, you mean that? I guess you guys must have been confused by that since you've never seen something like that, grinned Luffy, finally having the opportunity to awe them, making them praise him. Actually, I had already seen the black arms. Lucy Swan did the same, said the chef, while smoking near the railing. Luffy's eyes started to narrow. Is that so? He said while glaring at his sister who was sweating. He just had the opportunity to finally teaching something to his nakama that none of them knew and she just had to ruin it. Well, I guess we'll be entering a meat-only diet. I will cook whatever Lucy Swan's and Nami Swan's heart desires, retorted Sanji, while suddenly turning to Lucy with hard eyes. Don't mind him, Lucy Swan. I'll make all the salad that you want. Thanks, Sanji, she said, suddenly hugging him, making Sanji hyperventilate. Perverted idiot, muttered Zoro. Ignoring the insults thrown by the chef, he directed to Luffy again. Ignoring the dark brow, can you continue? He asked. Luffy, who had a killing glare directed towards Sanji, snapped from his complex and turned to Zoro. Okay, what do you want me to explain first? Well, since Ero Cook was talking about black arms, you could start by the black substance that you were creating, shrugged Zoro. Sure, basically, I've eaten the yami yami no mai, which turned me into a darkness human, he said, while making darkness spiraling around his body, earning a shout of cool from Usopp and Lucy. Lucy and I are devil fruit eaters, however we're from different classes. Different classes? Asked Nami, who was sunbathing while her newspaper was lying next to her. Yeah, there are 3 types of devil fruits, Loja, Paramecia and Zoan. Loja, my fruits class, are considered one of the rarest types because they're based on elements of nature, and the most powerful thanks to their intangibility. Zoan are capable to transform into an animal. Normally, it's only animals that are currently alive in this world, but there are also some rare fruits, even more rare than Loja, who can turn the user into a species that has been already extinct or a mythical beast like a phoenix. Paramecia are basically the rest, so I can't specify them. Lucy's devil fruit is a paramecia, Luffy explained. What do you mean by intangibility? Are you invincible? Asked Usopp, who had paused the creation of his Tabasco star. Luffy then started to rub the back of his head. The Loja users can turn to their element to let all attacks through, making them near invincible. However, my fruit doesn't allow that. Then why is it considered a Loja? Asked Sanji. Basically, every element has a natural weakness. When they are hit with that weakness, they can't disperse and they take the full force from the hit. For example, if a man with a lightning devil fruit would battle against Lucy, even if he had the same strength as her, he would lose in the matchup, mainly because his abilities would be useless, said Luffy, remembering his fight against Enel. I see, that still doesn't explain why you can't disperse like the others, asked Usopp. Luffy smirked. Usopp, I'm darkness, now think about it. Everyone got quiet, until Nami's eyes widened. Light, exactly. Since I'm darkness, my powers are weaker at daylight. However, if it's nighttime they get stronger and then I can become intangible, get it now? Then it must be one of the weaker ones, said Zoro. On the contrary, it's actually considered the strongest of all Lojas because of a special property. Let me show you, Luffy said. He then created a spiral of darkness on his hands. Yami yami no attraction. After Luffy mentioned those words, Lucy started to fly towards Luffy's grasp. As you can see, my powers involve gravity, which was how I destroyed that place. It's basically a black hole. So, you can absorb stuff. I still don't understand why it's the strongest since other Lojas would just escape from you, said Nami. Luffy then started to grin. They can't. Sorry about this, Lucy, he said, before smashing Lucy to the deck, shaking the boat. Everyone was surprised by the sudden action of their captain, until they heard Lucy scream. It hurts. You bastard, it hurts, cried Lucy while grabbing her head. Luffy was feeling kind of bad for doing that, but then he remembered how she went against his orders on the hacky subject. "You bastard, how could you do that?" screamed Sanji while kneeling near Lucy. Usopp then noticed something strange. Wait, she's a rubber woman, why is she complaining? He wondered. Being the smartest person of the group, Nami quickly reached to a conclusion. "You stole her powers," she breathed out. "That's right. Not only I can absorb buildings and living beings, I can also absorb devil fruit powers, making them useless against me," Luffy said, leaving everyone stunned. They now understood why it was the most powerful. Zoro could notice a slight tone of disgust when Luffy mentioned those words, but he disregarded it. Then Cook was lying about Lucy having black arms. "Actually, he wasn't lying, that's a different power," Luffy said, making everyone turn towards him. "What she and I used, it's a power called Haki. It's a dormant power that every living being possesses, but the majority of them die without awakening it. There are 3 types of Haki, 2 which can be trained by everyone, and a special one which you have to be born with it. Now I need volunteers, and don't worry, it won't be as painful as I did to Lucy." He smirked, sending shivers through everyone's spine. Wanting to show himself to the ladies, Sanji quickly volunteered. "Okay, I want you to attack me while Usopp randomly fires at me," said Luffy. Taking the chance to make Luffy pay for what he did to his Lucy Swan, he started to kick him. However, what he didn't expect was Luffy to close his eyes and enunciate where the attack was going while dodging. After 30 seconds, he stopped the show and explained to the others. "This is observation Haki. It lets you sense other beings and their auras, making you able to see how strong are they. It also lets you predict the opponent's attack. Now Zoro, attack me with your sword," said Luffy. Zoro shrugged and attacked Luffy, only for him to mutter armament and turning his arm black, blocking the attack. "This is armament Haki. It lets you put an invisible armor around your body. You can also harden parts of your body, making it black. You can also use it on your weapons," he said, Smasher making his warhammer appear. "This right here is my warhammer Smasher. I mainly picked it because it looks cool," he said with pure honesty on his voice. He then used Haki on it, making it black with a cool spiral effect. "This is Smasher with Haki, which drastically increases his durability and damage." He then made it disappear. Haki is also the only effective weapon that everyone can use against devil fruit users, because it hits their real body. He stopped explaining because everyone was looking at him with gaping mouths. "To think that we have those powers inside of us," said Nami. "Will you please teach me how to unlock them?" pleaded Zoro, knowing that they would be useful for defeating Mihawk. "Don't worry, I was already planning to teach you guys," said Luffy. "Now the 3rd power," said Luffy. Suddenly everyone was on their hands and knees, with varying states of struggling, while Lucy was standing. "This is Conqueror's Haki. Only 1 in a million are born with it, showing that they have the qualities of a king. It lets you overpower other people's wills with your own, and if they are weak compared to yours, then you can knock them unconscious. Obviously, this isn't happening because I'm not planning to, but if I wanted to, I could knock you all out except for Lucy, since she's probably another Conqueror's Haki user." Releasing the Haki, he let them get up. "Now I think that the only thing left is Zoro, Jeppu and Rankiaku. Zoro is kicking the ground 10 times as quick as possible, so that you have a burst of speed when you start going forwards. Jeppu is me kicking the air with such strength that I push it backwards, and Rankiaku is me creating a flying attack by moving my leg in an arc really fast," said Luffy, while quickly demonstrating them. "And I think that's it. Now let's go Loguetown," he said, clearing her head of what just happened. Nami got up, only to notice 2 sheets of paper near the paper. Picking them up, she read them and shrieked, attracting the rest of her crewmates' attention. She then showed them what the papers were. "In Marine HQ. So, he's left red-haired Shanks's crew," said a Marine Vice Admiral. "According to Captain Nezumi's report, he has come to the East Blue to create his own crew. He probably chose that sea so that he wouldn't get recognized," said Commander Brandu, who had a big forehead and bushy green hair, while wearing shades. Not only that, apparently, he only faced Arlong the Saw, and his twin sister was with him, he said, showing them Lucy's wanted poster. 30 million may be excessive for an initial bounty without any records of fighting. But she's the sister of Straw Hat Luffy, so she must have the same potential as him. She might also be another reason he came to East Blue, he said, while Garp was glaring at Lucy's poster. "If that brat lets her get hurt, he will so get the Fist of Love." He then stood up. "I've already talked with Sengoku and he let me head towards Loguetown, where he must make a stop before heading towards the Grand Line," Garp said. Brandu nodded. "Thank you, sir. We'll be more assured if a legend as yours will help arrest these criminals." Back to the Going Merry. "Look, Luffy, I've got a bounty. Now it's only a matter of time before I'll reach yours," said Lucy, while proudly showing her wanted poster. The poster showed Lucy's face grinning while waving at the camera. Below it was the bounty of 30 million. "Congrats, Lucy. Too bad that you'll never catch up to me. I'm also quite sad that I only got a 4 million increase," said Luffy, while sulking at the end. Luffy's wanted poster had updated his picture again, which showed him in his suit with his straw hat at the neck, while throwing a smirk. Below it showed the reward for capturing him of 619 million. I get it that this is the weakest sea, but come on. You still want more, shrieked Nami. She then calmed down and said, with this bounty the Marine HQ will definitely act. There's probably going to be strong bounty hunters coming towards us. Please don't insult my skills, Nami. As if I could be defeated by mere bounty hunters, said Luffy. Besides, if Marines come towards us I can just distract them with my powers. Unless it's an admiral, then we're screwed. He shrugged. He didn't have any problems admitting that he wasn't as strong as the admirals. Heck, he was barely on the vice admiral level. However, he would soon reach their level. I see an island, said Zoro. Looking where Zoro was pointing toward to, Luffy immediately recognized it. That's Loguetown, the town of the beginning and the end. That's where the Pirate King was born and where he died, said Nami. Well then, let's go, said Luffy. The Straw Hats soon docked at Loguetown's port. Okay then, let's split up. I will take Lucy to the execution stand, said Luffy. I'll search for some ingredients and food. And gorgeous women as well, said the chef. I'll just go buy some equipment, said Usopp. Well, I would love to buy some swords, but I don't have any money, said Zoro, seeing this as a good opportunity for a scam. Nami quickly volunteered to lend some money to Zoro, with 300% interest, in which Zoro just agreed. Zoro then took off on his adventure to find a weapons shop. During it, he quickly heard some noise on the street. Looking more clearly, he saw two big men towering over a woman. It looks like your captain isn't here with you, miss, said one of the men, wearing some weird clothes. We'll make you pay for putting our boss in prison, said the other. If you guys haven't learned your lesson, then I'll be your opponent, said the woman, making the men laugh loudly. Is a woman really going to fight us? Well then, why not? We'll make you pay for destroying our dream to go to the Grand Line. Seconds later they were on the ground unconscious with cuts on their body. The woman, who now had a sword at her hand, started to walk, but she tripped, which made her glasses fall off. Zoro quickly went down to pick them. Hey, looking for these? He asked. However, when the woman looked up, he froze. Ah, thank you. Sorry for troubling you, she said, while blushing. Zoro quickly snapped out of his trance, muttered a no problem, and continued to walk. She looked just like Kuina. She's also a swordsman as well. I never knew the world could be this big. At least I won't run to her again, but I can't still get over it, he thought. After a while he reached an arms shop and entered it, noticing the owner at the counter. Hello there, customer. Looking for a sword? Well, say no more, because I, Ipin Matsu, have every type of sword available, from the most antique to the latest fashion. But it's no surprise. After all, this is a well-renowned store that has been running for 200 years. Now what would you wish to buy? I'd like to buy 2 swords for 100,000 berries, said the swordsman. Matsu's mood greatly decreased after hearing the guy's statement. Penniless trash. He's probably a newbie who doesn't understand the importance of the sword master race. If you are really planning to buy a sword for about 50,000 berries each, I've only got blunt pieces of trash, he said. It's fine. I only have that money for now, Zoro said while lifting his arms, showing his Wado emoji to the shop owner. That can't be. Hey, CC, could I please SSCT that SSS sort of why yours? What's with the stuttering? Asked Zoro with a sweat drop, while letting the owner look at the sword. When the owner studied it more carefully, he gasped. Holy mother of pigeons. Okay, calm down. This novice probably stumbled upon it. Maybe I could persuade him to give it to me, he thought, while sweating. This sword is a piece of shit. What did you just say? Asked Zoro while gripping the guy's collar, while said guy was quickly apologizing. I'm sorry, I was lying, but this sword isn't that great. It's just average. Tell you what, how about I buy that sword for 300,000 berries? Then you have enough money to buy 3 good swords. Sorry, but that sword isn't for sale, rejected Zoro. Then how about, this sword isn't for sale, got it? Said Zoro, while glaring towards the owner. This sword. Could it be? Asked a new voice. Looking down, he saw the Kuina look-alike holding the sword. Great, now she's even holding Kuina's sword. God damn it, thought Zoro. This is Wado Ikemoji. It's considered one of the 21 great grade swords. Its price was valued at minimum at 1 million berries. Damn it, you blabbering woman. You ruined my deal. Here, your Shigure, now fuck off. You, the 50,000 berries swords are in that barrel over there, so get going, said the owner, quite pissed at what happened. The hell is wrong with him? Muttered Zoro while heading towards the barrel. Suddenly the copycat appeared next to him. You must love swords if you want to have 3 swords next to you. It reminds me of a bounty hunter named Roronoa Zoro. Yeah, I've heard of him. They say that he's the best swordsman of the East Blue, said Zoro, while smirking. Too bad that he uses his swords as a mean to make money. All of the world-renowned swords are in the hands of pirates or bounty hunters. The swords are crying, you know, she said, while looking sadly at her sword. Well, maybe he had to do it. Times are rough, said Zoro. I'd be happy if there were more criminals, but that monster that you call Captain cleared them all out. Now the shop barely gets customers, said a pissed-off Matsu. Smoker is no monster. He's a devil fruit user. That's more than enough reason to call him a monster, said the owner, gaining Zoro's attention. In any case, I've already vowed to retrieve all the swords from criminals, whether they're 12 supreme grade swords or 21 great grade swords or even the 50 skillful grade swords. I'm gonna catch them all, said a determined Tashigi. So, does that mean you want to take this sword away from me? Said Zoro, already grinning at the prospect of a fight. Oh no, I just want them away from the hands of evil, nothing else, said Tashigi while lifting her hands. Zoro just decided to no step further into conversation with her and continued to look for swords. Suddenly, as he grabbed a sword, he sensed an eerie feeling coming from it. That sword. I think I've read about it before, said Tashigi, while quickly going through her book. Here it is. The name of the sword is Sandai Kaitsu. It's a high-grade sword. Mister, were you really going to sell it for a mere 50,000 berries? Asked Tashigi. I'm sorry, but I can't sell it, said the owner, confusing Tashigi. It's because it's cursed, right? I can feel it, asked Zoro. Yeah, the Kaitsu line of swords are known for their quality, but also because of their cursed nature. It's said that any swordsman that possesses a Kaitsu will end up having a tragic death, which is why I can't allow anyone to buy it. Also, because I don't want to get cursed, said the owner. Well, too bad, because I like it, said Zoro, making the owner fall over his chair in shock. You idiot, didn't you hear what I just said? You'll die, said Matsu, while his wife just told him to sell the sword already. Well, how about this? My luck against the curse, let's see who's stronger, said Zoro, before throwing Kaitsu to the air and preparing his arm in a horizontal way. Time seemed to slow down as the blade was near Zoro's arm. However, instead of cutting it off, it didn't hit him and got stuck to the ground. Zoro then grinned. I'll take it. Directing towards Tashigi, he told her to pick a sword for him, only for the shop owner to present him the most valuable blade he had, the Ubashiri, one of the 50 skillful grade swords, letting him go with the 2 blades for free. It really feels great walking around with 3 swords again. I wonder how the other ones are doing, thought Zoro while walking on the street. Sanji's position. Oh, what a beautiful lady. He swooned, seeing a beauty walking on the street. Shaking his head, he returned to his duties. So, what's the name of this fish? It's an elephant tuna. Normally you wouldn't see a fish like this, but this one happens to come from the southern seas. And then I snatched it up with my fishing pole, said the fisherman. You caught this with just a fishing pole. Impressive. Thank you, sir. Now do you want me to cut it up? Oh no thanks, I'll take the whole thing, said Sanji, already thinking of some good recipes with the fish. Thanks for your generosity, said the fisherman. Sanji then looked to the side and noticed Usopp. What's he doing at a supermarket? He then saw him stopping by some eggs. Holy crap, these eggs are super cheap, but only carton per person. Oh bummer, said Usopp. Is he a housewife? Thought Sanji with a sweat drop on his head. Nami's position. So, miss, are you going to buy everything? Asked the clothes shop owner, already tired from the tryouts that Nami did with the clothes. He wasn't sorry though. No, I wanted something more casual. See ya, said Nami, already walking out of the store, while the owner cried on the floor. Leaving the shop, Nami then entered another one, where she actually bought something. I'll take all this, she said, while dropping a pile of clothes on the counter. You sure you have enough money for this? Asked the woman at the counter. Of course, I do. How rude, Nami said. She then paid to the woman and put everything on a sack. Leaving the store, she noticed her navigator senses started to tingle. The air feels different. Quickly taking out her barometer, she noticed the air pressure was dropping. At this rate, there'll be a storm soon. Darn, I wanted to look a bit more. She then returned to the store asking for vinyl bags, confusing the lady since it wasn't even raining. The monster siblings' position. So this is where the Pirate King died, huh? It's a really good view, said Lucy, who was at the top of the execution platform. Hey you, get out of there, that belongs to the government, said an officer with a megaphone, only to be hit on the face with an iron mace. Don't be so uptight with rules, officer. Now, it's been a while, hasn't it, Lucy? Asked a beautiful woman with an iron mace on her shoulders. I don't recognize you from anywhere. Are you sure you aren't confusing me with anyone? Said Lucy, with her head tilted. Are you sure you don't remember me? After all, you did punch my face, said the woman, making Lucy even more confused. And that's why I'm here, to have my revenge against you. Lucy, who was still confused, didn't seem to care, because she was already preparing to fight. Suddenly, officers started to show up, threatening to arrest the woman. They couldn't do anything else because a bomb had just exploded beneath a fountain, sending the debris towards the mystery woman. However, it just slipped from her and went flying. That was rather dangerous, said the woman, turning towards a man in a cloak. I'm sorry, but you should be unharmed because of that smooth skin, my lady Alvida, said the man. Alvida, but I can't see her. said Lucy, searching the plaza for Alvida. It's me, you dolt, screamed Alvida. Sighing, she just decided to get it over with. As you can see, my body changed because I've eaten a devil fruit called Sub-Sub-No-Mi, which made my skin so smooth that I can't be damaged by anything. Explained Alvida. It did nothing to my beauty, although it did erase my freckles. I don't think it was just the freckles, said Lucy. My objective was to defeat you, and to do that I've asked for help of one of your past enemies, Alvida said. Ever since you defeated me, I've been waiting for this day to come so that I could finally get my revenge, said the man, throwing his cloak away, revealing himself. Oh, it's just Buggy, bluntly said Lucy. Still the same cheeky brat I see. Now, make way for Buggy the Clown, said Buggy while his crewmates were pointing their weapons towards the civilian. Suddenly, Lucy got trapped by Kabaji, who was using a wooden block for prisoners. Now, let's start with the execution, said Buggy. Big brother is definitely going to scold me, she said. You're goddamn right, they heard, only for Buggy's crewmates to be knocked out. Looking back, they saw a figure standing behind them. I literally leave you alone for 5 minutes, only for you to get in trouble already. Luffy, Lucy said, looking at her angered brother. She then remembered her actions. Sorry, she said, making an innocent look, which crumbled Luffy's anger. Why you? Stuttered Buggy, recognizing him from the wanted posters. He has the Conqueror's haki. I'm so screwed. Oh wow, he's even more hot in person, swooned Alvida. Luffy groaned. Great, as if I haven't been bothered already by those girls, he thought, shuddering at the memory. How the hell did you manage to get caught? Sorry, I still have trouble maintaining it, cutely pouted Lucy, making everyone awe at the sight. Luffy sighed. Fine, I'll get you out of there, Jeppu said Luffy, quickly jumping towards the stand. Standing there, he pushed Kabaji's body out of the way and released Lucy, who gave him a hug. Yeah, thanks, Luffy, you're the best brother ever, she said, while Luffy was patting her back. I know, now jump off, I need to do something really quick, said Luffy. Lucy complied to his words and jumped off of the stand. Luffy quickly stood himself in the stand and sent a look to where he sensed his father was, making a storm appear. He also thought that he had seen his brother Sabo down there, but he noticed it was someone else. Clearing his voice and sending a nod, he shouted, a lightning bolt erupting from behind him. I'm the man who will become the Pirate King. As everyone was shocked by his words, he saw that one of them was more shocked than the others. Bartolomeo, he thought, happy to see again his future #1 fan. However, he would have more competition this time. Well then, time to go, he said, jumping off the stand, landing next to his sister. You bastard, screamed Buggy, while separating himself and heading towards Luffy. The darkness man just lifted a hand and said yummy yummy no attraction, creating a vortex of darkness on his hand, pulling Buggy in. As he reached the man's grasp, Buggy's limbs started to return to their rightful place, and before he could even understand what was happening, he got shoved to the ground with such strength that it created a crater on the ground, knocking him unconscious. How did you do that? Asked a gaping Alvida. I ate the yummy yummy no mi, which means I gained the powers of darkness and absorb anything, he said, covering his hand in darkness, even devil fruit powers. Alvida's eyes started to widen even more when she realized her powers were futile against this man. Taking advantage of the distraction, Luffy then took Lucy's hand and started to run, while thinking about how that even though he had planned the lightning with his father, it still wasn't as cool as the moment from his previous life. You can't have everything, I guess. As he ran, he quickly met up with the rest of his nakama. So, how did the day go, guys? Asked Luffy. Not much, got new swords, said Zoro. New clothes, said Nami. New ingredients, said Sanji. New materials, said Usopp. Nice, Lucy and I just visited the stand. Now let's go towards our ship, said Luffy. While they were running, Lucy hit something on her foot and toppled over, only to hit something hard. Looking up, he saw a white-haired man with 2 cigars on his mouth. Captain Smoker. Looking to her left, she saw some Marines. Not wanting to give trouble to her brother anymore, she quickly turned to Smoker. Thanks, Smokey, she said while giggling and throwing him a wink, making the man blush. She then was picked up forcefully by her brother, while a lightning hit Smoker right in the face. As if I would let that happen, thought Luffy, while a cloaked man with tattoos on his face was thinking the same thing. They then heard a voice. Roronoa Zoro. They could then see it belonged to a Marine woman. Luffy then decided to tease Zoro a little bit. Oi Zoro, already making girlfriends? After he said this, Zoro and Tashigi turned red. What? It kind of reminds me of Romeo and Juliet, don't you think, guys? Luffy asked, making everyone snicker except for Lucy, who had never heard of it, and Sanji, who didn't look pleased. Shut up Luffy, said an embarrassed Zoro. Stay away from me. Oi Zoro, you don't have to break that girl's heart. We'll accept this relationship of yours, said Nami while grinning. I'm sure you'll have enough time to flirt later on, so let's just go to the ship, playboy, said Usopp while laughing. I'm going to murder you all in your sleep, roared Zoro, quickly catching up with them. Sensing his father again, Luffy then had an idea. Hey Lucy, how about you wave in that direction and say bye? Or something like that. Lucy, confused by her brother's words, just shrugged at his words and waved at the man, not knowing of the bright grin that it brought to her father. However, that grin turned into a scared face when he sensed him. Luffy. Looking up ahead, he saw the source of his nightmares. Grandpa. Gramps, said Lucy, not alarmed in the slightest. Grandpa, said the rest of their crewmates. I knew that she wouldn't be safe with you. She was nearly going to get violated, said Garp, looking quite pissed. He was a Marine, Luffy said, with a sweat drop on his face. I don't care, said Garp, preparing to punch him. Sensing the danger, Luffy quickly covered up a near wall in darkness and made Garp's fist fly to it. Okay guys, on the count of 3 we jump in. Roger. Sure. Okay, 1, 3. Luffy said, while making a circle of darkness beneath them, making them fall in it. They then reappeared on the Going Merry. My stomach, it's rotating, said Usopp, looking like he was going to vomit, like the rest of the crew. You'll get used to it. Now are you ready, kids? Said Luffy. The majority of us are older than you. I said, are you ready, kids? Said Luffy, using his darkness powers to make him look even more threatening than he already was. Hi, Captain, they said dejectedly. I can't hear you. Hai, Captain, they screamed, already considering mutiny. Who is going to sail to find the One Piece? If you don't shut up, I'll throw all of the meat overboard, said Sanji, making Luffy quiet. Stingy. You guys are no fun, muttered Luffy. He then brought up a barrel. Okay, spoil sports, since you guys don't like singing, then we'll just have to celebrate another way, he said, while putting his foot on top of the barrel. To become the Pirate King, to become the world's strongest woman, to be the world's greatest swordsman, to find all blue, to draw a map of the world, to become a great warrior of the seas. They then lifted their foot and said, off to the Grand Line we go. I can't wait to go back. Wait for us, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brooke, Jin, I'm coming. I'll make. What are you doing, Luffy? Asked Nami. Oh, I'm thinking about new attacks, said Luffy, while tapping his pencil on the railing. They were heading towards Loguetown, so they had quite some time. I need cool new names, and they must be creative. I'm thinking about putting an animal's name on the attack. What about Black Bear? She said. I don't know about that. Dark Bat, said Zoro. Not frightening enough. Shade Serpent, said Usopp. Not feeling it. Black Cat, asked Sanji. No, what about Black Cock? Silence. All of the heads turned towards the rubber woman who was sitting near the railing. What? Where did you learn that? Asked Luffy. Well, cock is an animal, right? And black equals darkness, she innocently said, making everyone's eyes widened in understanding and sighing in relief. They would never let Lucy name anything. Almake ended. As I thought, the entrance to the Grand Line is a mountain, said Nami, while pointing towards a map on the kitchen table. Right now, every member of the crew was in the kitchen looking for more instructions, while Luffy was just looking at the side. A mountain? Asked Zoro. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. The lighthouse was even pointing towards Reverse Mountain, said Nami. By the looks of it, we have to go through a waterway. But even if there's a waterway, it's impossible for a ship to climb a mountain, said Usopp. Nami-san's never wrong, said an angered Sanji. Can we even trust that map? After all, it came from Buggy, said Zoro. I can't wait to climb the Mystery Mountain, said Lucy, already grinning from the excitement. What a lovely weather, said Luffy, making everyone turn towards him. No clouds, no wind, perfect for relaxing on deck. Nami's eyes started to widen. We've entered Calm Belt. Everyone, grab the oars and start rowing, shrieked a panicked Nami. But it's so calm. Why must we go back to the storm? Asked Lucy. Just do what she says, Lucy, said Luffy, while looking at the ocean. Suddenly a big amount of sea kings appeared, one even lifting the Mary with his nose. This is a den for sea kings, especially the big ones, cried Nami, while holding the mast. The rest of them, except Luffy, had shocked faces as they saw the monsters. Luffy then started speaking to the sea kings. Oi, could you guys launch us towards the storm? He asked, getting incredulous looks from the rest of the crew. However, what was most surprising was that the Sea King nodded and then sneezed, making them fly to their rightful place. Well, that was fun. Let's enter the Grand Line now, said Luffy, moving towards the figurehead, until Nami stopped him by grabbing his collar. Wait a minute, mister. Explain to us, how did you do that? Luffy groaned. I talked to him using my Conqueror's Haki. Yes, it allows me to do that. Please let me go, said Luffy with a monotone tone. Nami's eyebrow started to twitch at his remark. She then punched him while muttering smartass. Like you're one to talk, thought Luffy, lying on the ground. Nami then started to explain her theory on how it was possible to enter Reverse Mountain. Nami-san, you're amazing, said a twirling Sanji. Hey look, I see the mountain, said Lucy. It's huge, said a gaping Usopp. I can't believe it. The ocean is really climbing the mountain, exclaimed Zoro while holding some binoculars. The crew then started to prepare for the waterway. We're going off course. We have to turn a little to the right, said Lucy. However, when Sanji and Usopp were turning the rudder, it accidentally broke. You idiots, cried Nami. Luffy then climbed to the top of the figurehead. Don't worry, I'll take care of it, he said. He then spread his arms and released darkness, covering the walls of the waterway. Luffy then started to pull and stop, so that the ship could be stable. We're good now. Nice, Luffy, said Zoro, while Luffy smirked. They then reached the top of the reverse mountain. So, all we have to do is go down right, said Lucy. Luffy nodded. That's right, since the Grand Line is up ahead. B-U-O-O-H. What was that sound? Asked Usopp. B-U-O-O-H. Nami-san. There's a mountain up ahead, said Sanji. What? But we should have landed on open sea, said the confused navigator. B-U-O-O-H. That ain't no mountain, said Luffy, making everyone turn towards him. I have two assumptions on who it is. A whaling Big Mom or an actual whale. I'm guessing it's a whale since it looks too thin to be Big Mom, said Luffy, while snickering at his joke, which no one understood. You'll get it one day. Especially you, Sanji, thought Luffy. Whole Cake Island. Why do I have the sudden feeling of killing someone? Wondered Big Mom. Normally she would have shrugged and did what her mind was thinking. However, the only other person in the area was her key to the Poneglyphs, her creepy three-eyed daughter Pudding. However, she needed some training first. Okay, Pudding, let's try this again. Sink that ship, she said, while looking towards Pudding, who was carrying a bazooka. Can I know the name? She asked. Linlin groaned. Why the hell was her daughter always asking this? She then sent a nod towards Zeus, who checked the name. The name of the ship is Sana, said Zeus. E-O-O-O-M. Everyone was quiet while they watched the ship exploding and bursting into flames. They then slowly turned towards Pudding, her bazooka now having a trail of smoke. Look, mother, I did it, said Pudding while jumping on the air. Linlin then turned towards Prometheus. Rename all of the AIM training ships. Reverse mountain. It really is a whale, said Usopp. Luffy, help us steer to the left, said Zoro. Sorry, Zoro, but I need to do this, for we need to meet Vivi again, thought Luffy. He then released another wave of haki, this time a little stronger so that it would stun Laboon. As Laboon got stunned, she opened her mouth, making the ship go towards it in a sudden burst of speed. Lucy wasn't ready for this, however, because she fell off the ship. Without thinking, Luffy quickly used Jeppo to go towards Lucy and launched her towards the Mary. As he looked towards the incredulous looks of his crew, he just sent them a wink and a thumbs up. Luffy then jumped to the top, while looking for the hatch, to then enter it. Damn it, I really wanted to see how it was entering Laboon by the mouth. Stupid brotherly instincts, he thought bitterly. The whale then returned to her senses and did her self-proclaimed duty, to destroy that despicable obstacle that was separating her from her friends. Don't worry, Laboon. This time you'll meet Brook, I promise, thought Luffy while walking through the halls. The ground then started to move and propelled Luffy forwards. After a bit, he ended in what looked like a giant sewer, but with clean water. The ground started to tilt again and Luffy slid down, until he recognized two figures standing by the door, one of them a woman with blue hair, Vivi. He couldn't think longer because he crashed into them, opening the door behind him. He then grabbed their coats and used Jeppo to reach his ship. Missed me, said Luffy. He then was tackled to the ground by Lucy. Luffy, she cried, to later punch him in the face. You bastard. How could you do that? Sorry, said Luffy. However, they then were interrupted by a scream. Kyahhhh. Looking to the source of it, Luffy's eyes started to widen when he saw the sparkles around Vivi. What the? OMG, 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 you're Straw Hat Luffy, aren't you? Said Vivi while jumping up and down in the air. Oh no, don't tell me that, thought Luffy, recognizing that look. OMG, I am totally your #1 fan. Can I touch you? Or maybe a picture? No, wait, I've got an even better idea. Sign my breasts, she said, while moving her shirt so that her cleavage could be more noticeable. She then started to point towards her right breast. You could write monkey here. Then on the other one you can write Luffy. As the others were shocked by the scenery, Lucy just blankly said, what about the D? That goes somewhere else, slyly said Vivi. Nami then felt power rush through her veins. Okay, enough. Now, how do you know Luffy? She asked, in a very threatening tone. Vivi just blinked. How? Through this, of course, she said, while handing them a certain magazine, also known as Luffy's Bane. God damn it, thought Luffy, already aware of the changes that he caused because of some stupid magazine. Stupid butterflies. As the crew started to read the article, they had different reactions. Zoro and Usopp were laughing and rolling on the floor. Sanji was crying while holding his knees. Nami had a shocked face and Lucy was just grinning. Big bro is really famous. After taking a deep breath to contain himself from destroying that thing, Luffy then directed himself towards Vivi. So, he's talking to me, she said, making Luffy drop sweat. As I was saying, first, I'm not doing any of those things, said Luffy while ignoring Vivi's cries. And second, what were you going to do to this whale? Her partner, Mr. Nine, answered that. Well, you see, our town is running out of food, and this whale could probably feed it for 2 years, he said, while shaking. Well, that won't happen because the whale is now my friend. Got it, said Luffy. Vivi gasped. I didn't knew that. Mr. 9, how could you force me to do this vile act? You're so mean, she said, while running towards Luffy and crying. Luffy just lifted a hand to stop her by grabbing her forehead. Yeah, you're not the first one to do that, said the pirate captain. He then noticed something was wrong. Looking down, he saw Vivi starting to hyperventilate. He's touching me, she said. She then remembered that it was him that saved her from falling in the stomach acid below. Her imagination was starting to run wild until her body shook and fell limply against his arms, while having a warm smile. Holy shit, said Zoro, while Sanji was crying even more. I don't get it. What happened? Asked Lucy. You'll get it when you get older, said Usopp. Nami then started to get pissed off again and released Vivi from her captain's arms. Enough of this, let's just leave this place. Mister, could you please show us the way out? Asked Nami, while looking towards an amused Crocus. This reminds me of old times. Okay, let's go, he said. As they were leaving, he told them the story of how he met Laboon. As they were going through the passage, Luffy just kept imagining how would Brook react when he would see Laboon again. They then left the whale and docked near the lighthouse. So, the whale has been waiting for them for 50 years. They're really taking their sweet time to come back, said Lucy. They're probably dead, Lucy-san, said Sanji while smoking. Actually, they already left the Grand Line. Whether they survived or not I don't know, since they exited through the calm belt, said Crocus. So, they basically preferred to keep their lives safe instead of fulfilling a promise. Bunch of cowards, said Sanji. How do you know what happened? Everyone turned their heads towards Luffy. Who was talking? Your dad was probably too young to even create you, so how do you know what happened? He wasn't there, but it's obvious, Luffy. Those cruel bastards left the poor whale behind, said Usopp. And what? Do you even know the reason why they left? If no, then shut up, roared Luffy. He then noticed the surprised faces of his nakama, so he calmed down. Do you know? Said Sanji. Luffy then proceeded to bring an excuse. No, but I've been on the Grand Line long enough to know anything can happen. Maybe they got attacked and killed, only for their ship to be usurped. Or maybe they had to separate, so one part would leave while the other one continued to sail. However, there's still a chance that somewhere, even if there's only one of his nakama left, are trying to go back to Laboon. Sometimes you can't control fate, said Luffy, while knowing the real reason. They may have not meant to insult Brook's nakama, but he was still pretty pissed about it. They were kind of right when they said they died though, since Brook's already dead, he thought, while chuckling to himself in a way that no one would notice. Sorry about that, he said, as Haki then showed him a vision of Lucy destroying the mast. And with quick reflexes he ran to the Mary and stopped her successfully. Leave me, Luffy, I have to do this, said Lucy. I know what you're planning to do, but I can't let you do that, said Luffy, while gripping the mast with his hands, stopping Lucy no matter how hard she tried. Don't worry, I'll let you paint afterwards, he said, while winking. Lucy got happy and let go of the mast. That was close. No wonder Mary got destroyed, thought Luffy. He then went to his chest to pick up 3 other things, along with buckets of paint. He then used his haki so that it could pay attention to his words. Oi Laboon, you must be feeling pretty lonely, right? Luffy asked. Well then, catch this, he said, bringing a giant straw hat. When I was in Wano they made me this. It's similar to my straw hat, so it's like my treasure. I want you hold this, and when we'll finish exploring the Grand Line, I'll come back here to retrieve it. Got it, Luffy said. The whale even started to tear up at the thought of new friends, along with an old nakama of yours, of course. He then handed over the buckets towards Lucy, who quickly grabbed them and started to paint the Straw Hat Pirate symbol. She wasn't good at it. This mark represents our promise, okay? So don't go headbutt the red line again or it will go away, said Luffy, while the others were thinking about how maybe it wouldn't be that unfortunate that the mark started to disappear since it was pretty ugly. You've been to Wano. I thought they were closed to the outside world, said Crocus. I was hanging out with my brother. He's one of Whitebeard's crewmates, said Luffy, making his nakama freeze again. You have a brother? Yeah, his name is Ace. We're not brothers by blood, but I consider him one, he said. Nami then started to wonder about her sister Nijiko and looked at her bracelet. She then noticed something else. What happened, Nami-san? Said Sanji. The compass. It's broken, shrieked Nami. Oh yeah, compasses don't work on the Grand Line, said Luffy. You need a log pose for navigating since every island has a magnetic field or something like that. I have one for you. He then gave Nami the log pose. It was a new world type of log pose, so the extra needles were kind of useless for now. I had this one for a while, so you can have it, half-lied Luffy. He had that log pose for a while, but it was because it reminded him of his navigator, so he just had to buy it. It had a golden circle surrounding it with orange lines mixed in between. It had berry symbols on the sides, making it look like it was a normal compass. The glass balls had those designs as well. She gasped and put the log pose on her wrist. Thanks, Luffy, I appreciate it, said Nami. Her heart was doing weird things again. No problem, I have one for myself, he said, while showing his personalized long pose, which had cool drawings with the colors black and red. Luffy used this to reach East Blue, since he had to sail on his own to not bring out unwanted attention. As they finished talking, they heard a growl. Rival, said Vivi while glaring at Nami. Luffy-san, I was wondering, you are a really strong and caring guy, so could you please give us a ride to our island? It's called Whiskey Peak. Nami was ready to refuse, but Luffy interrupted her. Of course, he said, making Vivi really happy. Oh, thank you, she screamed while jumping to hug him. Luffy dodged it. Well men, let's go. HAI. Crocus smiled at them. He's just like you. Are these the pirates we've been waiting for? Roger, Crocus thought. And finished, said Lucy while completing her final touches on the snowman she was building. The man who fell from the sky? Mr. Snowman, she proudly announced. It was similar to the common snowman, except that it had a cape and a barrel on his head. What a childish creation, muttered Usopp, before presenting his own work. Now behold, the Snow Queen. It was a snow sculpture of a woman in a sitting position doing a pose of leaning her head on her hand. That's amazing, said Lucy. She then looked at her creation and put her hand behind one of the sticks, pushing it with enough force to obliterate the queen's head, looking like it was hit by a sniper rifle. Snowman punch. Hey, what the hell? Screamed Usopp, before kicking Mr. Snowman in the face. Starting a snow fight. How can those two be so full of life when it's so cold outside? Muttered Nami while looking at the two children play. Nami Swan. How much longer shall I continue shoveling? Said the slave, I mean, the cook, as he was shoveling the deck. Until it stops snowing, said Nami. HAI. Hey, don't you have a heating system on this ship? It's freezing, complained Mr. Nine. Shut up. You're not here as guests, so shut up and go shovel, said Nami with her classic shark teeth. Oi Nami, there's a storm coming, observed Luffy as he looked through the window. But the weather was clear a few seconds ago. Crocus was right. The weather of the Grand Line is messed up, said Nami, looking through the same window as Luffy. MMMPH. What do you want? Asked the navigator as she turned her head towards Miss Wednesday, who was tied up with rope and with duct tape in her mouth, while at the same time glaring at the navigator. She probably just wants to remind you to check your rudder, said Mr. Nine. But I've just checked our, replied Nami, before noticing something on her log pose. What happened? Wondered Usopp. He then saw Nami coming through the door. Turn the ship 180 degrees now, ordered Nami. Oh boy, here comes the fun, thought Luffy, already preparing himself for the chaos. Why, did we forget something? Said Lucy. The ship turned itself around. But I had just checked our direction a few seconds ago, and the waves were calm, said a confused Nami. Looks like you've been played by the waves. Do you even know how to navigate? Mocked Mr. Nine before laughing. He stopped laughing when he felt a chill going through his spine. He found the source of it, but he was already regretting to look at it. If you insult one of my nakama again, I'll throw your ass overboard. Got it, said the captain while glaring at the Baroque Works agent, making him nod in fear. Luffy then calmed himself. Don't listen to them, Nami. You're great at navigating. After all, only the best gets to be the future Pirate King's navigator, said Luffy while winking at Nami. Now get out of here and help us. You two wanna be prince, ordered Luffy. MMMPH, roared Vivi again as she shot Nami a glare before they left, leaving Vivi alone. All right, my friends, let's get to work, said Luffy towards the crew, receiving a roar of approval, except for a certain swordsman, who was probably dreaming about becoming the world's greatest swordsman. And so, the pirates navigated through the first nautical miles on the Grand Line, whether it was cold or warm, through icebergs and fog, through hell itself, until it finally started to get peaceful. What a great nap, groaned Zoro as he stretched his muscles. He then noticed almost everyone laying down on the deck, except for Lucy and Luffy, who were sitting near the railing. Hey, come on guys, I know the weather is calm, but don't you think you're being a bit lazy right now? You piece of, thought the tired crew members. And what are you doing here? Asked the swordsman to Mr. Nine. We're giving them a ride to their island, said Lucy, trying to spot it. Is that so? By the way, I feel like I've heard your names before, said Zoro until he was interrupted by a punch to the head. How was the nap, Zoro? You wouldn't wake up no matter how hard we tried, said a scary Nami, looking ready to punch him again. Zoro, trying to be manly, did the most stupid thing ever. He tried to fight back. Don't let your guards down, everyone. I finally understand how terrifying the Grand Line is. I understand because all of my navigation skills have failed to work, proudly said Nami, as Zoro was lying down with 3 lumps on his head. Are you sure we're going to be fine? Said Usopp. We'll be fine. Look, we made it to our first island, said the navigator, looking towards the sea, where an island that looked like giant cacti was standing there. I appreciate that you took us here. In fact, I'm going to the island right now to make you a feast. Bye-bye, baby, said Mr. Nine, who was standing on the railing. He then did a backflip and jumped in the ocean. So he just leaves us like that, Oh well, at least Miss Wednesday is with us, said Sanji. Forget him, let's get ready to dock, said Luffy, already preparing to leave. They then entered the river where some thick fog was situated. As the fog cleared, it also revealed a town where the people were celebrating the arrival of the pirates. I guess that guy didn't lie to us, said Usopp, before receiving the praise with open arms. There's a bunch of lovely ladies too, swooned Sanji as he looked at the women celebrating. Well then, let's drop off. Zoro, carry her, said Luffy, before addressing Zoro to carry the tied-up agent. As they landed on land, they noticed a man with a massive amount of curly hair. The man was preparing to greet them until he noticed the princess. Before he could outrage, he noticed the captain and started to connect some dots. So, Mr. Nine wasn't lying, thought Igaram as he prepared a syringe. Welcome pirates to our humble town. As I can see, one of our members is in a predicament, so let me take care of that, said Igaram, before shoving the syringe in Vivi's arm. After a while, Vivi started to slump. You can free her now. After freeing Vivi, Igaram then took her and spoke. Sorry about that. She has always been a fan of yours, Mr. Luffy. Now, how about we start the party, he said, getting a cheer from the crowd. Later on, at nighttime. So, what did you want to talk about? Asked Luffy while leaning against a wall. In front of him was Igaram. I'm here to request your help. My name is Igaram and I'm the head of Alabasta's royal guards. And what do you want? Asked Luffy. However, on the inside he was quite confused by how things are turning out. Igaram then took a deep breath. For the past 2 years, Princess Vivi and I have been in this agency to try to figure out who was the Baroque Works president, since the association was the one who was starting the rebellion in Alabasta, and we've managed to figure it out who he was. Mr. Luffy, you're a famous pirate who has incredible strength and will reward you immensely, so we ask you if you could help us defeat him. Could you help us defeat one of the Shichibukai, crocodile? Shouted Igaram, while bowing towards Luffy, whose hat was shadowing his eyes. If you pay well, then fine, we'll do it, said Luffy in a cool manner. He would deny the reward later on since Vivi was his friend. So, you were the ones who found out about the boss's secret, huh? Said a new voice. Looking behind Igaram, Luffy noticed that it was Mr. 5 and his partner whose name he couldn't remember. Kaihahaha. How unfortunate of you, Mr. 8. Too bad that we have to kill you, said the woman while laughing. Who are you? Asked Luffy. You want to know my name? Well, my dear, my name is Miss Valentine and this is Mr. 5. Miss Valentine introduced. Nice to meet you. Now bye, said Luffy, before knocking them out with Conqueror's Haki. Now, shall we present the news to the others? No need, Luffy, most of us are already here, said a voice from above. Looking up, he saw Nami and Zoro, with a sleeping Lucy between them. Why is Lucy with you? Asked Luffy. We thought that you wouldn't want to leave her with other guys, shrugged Nami. You're goddamn right, muttered Luffy. Well, let's get ready to leave then. At the dock. So, I guess I'll see you later, princess. Don't forget your medication, said a disguised Igaram, making him look like a woman, or at least trying to. Don't worry, Igaram, I will. Now, my friends, let's leave this place, said a very calm Vivi, mainly because of the effects of the medicine. Karu was by her side with tears. Thank God for that thing. My ears were going to blow up if she fangirled over Luffy during our trip, said Zoro, already cringing at the memory of Vivi's screams. Don't remind me about that, said a pissed-off Nami. They watched Igaram sail away, until the ship exploded, shocking the pirates. Don't worry, I still sense him, so he's still alive. Let's leave, ordered Luffy, as he was heading towards the ship while carrying a sleeping Lucy on his back. As they were reaching the ship, they noticed the bounty hunters in front of it. Don't think you can escape, traitors, screamed one of them, although you could see their legs shaking. Luffy just sighed. I need better names for my attacks. Yami no whirlpool attacked Luffy, creating a whirlpool of darkness, dragging everyone to the middle and getting sucked in. Reverse, he said, before shooting everyone outside. But with injuries. Luffy, where are we? Groaned Lucy as she was waking up. We're going to leave, but don't worry, because we're going to fight bad guys, affectionately said Luffy. Will you let me fight one of them? Cutely asked Lucy. Of course, said Luffy while looking over his shoulder. Lucy smiled and then cuddled closer to her brother, falling asleep again. See cute, thought Vivi and Nami. As they reached the ship, Zoro dropped Sanji and Usopp, while Luffy was heading towards the women's quarters to drop off Lucy. However, he sensed one of his old but at the same time future crew members, Robin. So Mr. 13 and Miss Friday were telling the truth about him being here. She thought, what a cute display. Almost as amusing as watching a princess thinking that she can take on the entire Baroque Works organization and save her kingdom, said Nico Robin, putting her evil persona while sitting on the railing. What are you doing here, Miss All Sunday? Asked Vivi. I would think that you would get more riled up after seeing me, but never mind that. Besides, you shouldn't worry since I haven't come here on any orders, Robin said. However, you've gained a strong ally, and we can't allow that. So, Mr. Luffy, how about you leave this girl alone and we'll pay you the double of whatever the reward Mr. 8 promised you, proposed Robin. Vivi got slightly scared right now, since her chance at saving her country was starting to disappear. Not interested. Besides, it gives my crew members some experience in fighting rather than sit all day doing nothing, said Luffy while ignoring the glares he was receiving. Robin frowned. I see. You are an experienced pirate despite being so young, so you've probably already know about Little Garden, right? She said, before throwing him a log pose. Well, I'm letting you have a chance to ignore that island. This points to vacant islands located right before Alabasta. You can skip Little Garden with this, explained Robin. Luffy looked at the eternal pose and smirked. Crush, sorry, but I'm the one who decides the route. Now could you please leave this ship? He said. Robin noticed how his shoulders were trembling a bit, making her eyes narrow. Interesting. Then I guess I wish you good luck and maybe we'll meet again, she said, before jumping over the boat and landing on a sea turtle, leaving the Going Merry alone. Okay guys, get ready to sail. I'm just going to leave Lucy in bed, quickly said Luffy before entering the women's quarters. Laying Lucy down, he figured she wouldn't hear him and so he started to cry. After calming down, he left the room, not noticing how Lucy's eyes were wide open. Stupid butterflies, thought Luffy as he was sitting in a desk with a bunch of papers lying on it, while chewing on a pen and leaning his head on his hand. While the others were observing the island and their inhabitants, also known as dinosaurs, Luffy was thinking about the best way to tackle a certain subject. Drum Island. Last time Nami got sick and we happened to find Drum Island by a chance. However, I'm not sure if the same will happen again, he thought with a frown, while his head was being filled with possible outcomes. If it went like last time, we would meet Wapol and his lackeys on the way. However, since that fat fuck called Teach is dead, it means that Wapol is still king of Drum. Luffy dropped his hand and slumped on the desk. After a few minutes of thinking, he finally reached to a conclusion. I need Chopper as my Nakama. Sacrifices must be made. After thinking this, Luffy got up and joined the others. Alright guys, as you can see, this is Little Garden. This island probably has some nasty animals hiding, so we must form teams. Lucy already went with Vivi, said Zoro while raising his hand. Luffy froze for a moment and then groaned. Of course she did, muttered Luffy. Well then, who wants to go training with me? He asked. Zoro quickly grinned and joined his captain's side. Oi Cook, you're coming? Asked Zoro, looking towards his nemesis. Of course, after all I need to hunt some food, said Sanji. Great. Well then, let's go, said Luffy before marching towards the jungle, followed by Zoro and Sanji. Why does everybody on our ship like to adventure so much? Comically cried Nami. I feel your pain, Nami, but don't worry, because I'm here. Comically cried Usopp. After a few seconds they suddenly realized the predicament they were in. Oh no, they both said. Lucy's POV. This jungle is so cool, said Lucy, while Vivi and Karu were following her. They were currently exploring the island and they were making some interesting discoveries. I agree, Lucy. However, I find it weird how there are ammonites laying around, especially ones that are alive, said Vivi while holding one of the ammonites. Maybe they're mystery clam squids, said Lucy. Of course, said Vivi with a sweat drop on her head. As they continued to walk forward, Lucy decided to check on her brother, mainly because she was worried after she heard him cry. Activating her observation haki, she sensed him training with Zoro and Sanji. However, because of this, she also sensed several presences up ahead, making her curious. Picking up the pace, she started to run, ignoring Vivi's cries to wait. But this run was very brief because as she reached a clearing, she stopped. Vivi, puzzled by Lucy's behavior, decided to check on what was Lucy seeing. Hey Lucy, what's wrong? She said, before trailing off as she took in the sights ahead of her. Vivi, is that what I think it is? Asked Lucy with her hair shadowing her face. There's no doubt about it, Lucy, said Vivi, feeling fear starting to go through her body. I never thought that I would see this, said Lucy, while still in the same posture. Neither did I. And I live on Grand Line, said the princess, starting to take some steps backwards. I never thought ... that I would see a sea king on land, said Lucy, now with her eyes shining. It's not a sea king. And why the hell are you happy about it? Screamed Vivi with shark teeth. Let's ride it, said Lucy, ignoring Vivi's words. After she climbed the dinosaur, she sat on its head. What a nice view, she said. She then sensed that the dinosaur was going to try to eat her, so she jumped up and closed his mouth. Right after a giant axe chopped the dinosaur's head. G-E-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A. What an interesting human. My name is Dory, Elbaf's strongest warrior, said Dory as he catches Lucy with his hand. You're really huge, said Lucy, looking up. Of course I quote am huge, I'm a giant after all. Now, how about I invite you folks to my place so that we can eat, said Dory. Lucy enthusiastically nodded her head and waved at Vivi to follow them, while said princess was currently starting to regret trying to impress Luffy-kun by fearlessly going to explore the jungle. However, she wasn't the only one in a tight spot. Mommy's POV. No need to be shy, just eat up, said the giant named Brogy. It's fine, we're not that hungry, said a crying Nami and Usopp. Right now the coward duo were currently near a bonfire made by their friend Brogy while he was cooking food. Mr. Brogy, can I ask a question? Fearfully said Nami. Sure, little girl, what do you want? Answered Brogy while munching on a piece of meat. Do you know how long does the log pose takes to set? She asked. Oh, 1 year, which means you can take it easy while we're here. Said Brogy while Nami and Usopp collapsed. Suddenly, they were starting to hear some voices, and after some minutes they could finally see who was talking. Okay guys, let's take a quick break, said Luffy, making Zoro and Sanji sigh in relief and falling on the ground. They were currently filled with sweat, although Luffy was only sweating a bit. I'm starting to understand how do you have such monstrous strength, said Sanji, currently without his jacket and tie, and with clear wet spots under his armpits. This is way harder than any training I've ever done, said Zoro, while in the same state as Sanji. Luffy, cried Usopp as he saw his savior. He then stood up and launched himself at Luffy. I thought I was going to die. Oi Usopp, what's wrong? Asked Luffy before he noticed Brogy. Oh wow, a giant. Luffy, protect us, cried Nami, now standing behind Luffy. Hey there, could I have some food and water for the nakama that I'm training? Asked Luffy, who was quite happy to see Brogy again, although he never found out who won the duel. Sure thing. Thanks, your new friend is a nice guy, said Luffy, grabbing a bit of supplies before giving them to Zoro and Sanji. Eat up quick, because we're about to resume our running, he said, making Zoro and Sanji groan. Luffy, why aren't you doing anything about the giant? Asked Usopp while waving his arms. Luffy then turned to him and smiled. He's a cool guy, he said. But Luffy, what if he eats us or gets mad? Spoke Nami, before Luffy put his hands on her shoulders. Like I said, he's a cool guy. Oi guys, are you ready? We have to train Haki again after completing this lap, said Luffy. Zoro and Sanji nodded, to then stand up. Well, bye guys. Bye, waved Luffy, before resuming his run with the swordsman and the cook trailing off behind him. Lucy's POV. Wow, these vegetables are really good, said Lucy before eating the rest of her meal. Gya. Thanks girlie, but I still prefer meat, laughed Dory. Like Nami and Usopp, they were with Dory, although Lucy was actually eating. They're getting along so well, thought Vivi as she was watching Lucy and Dory. If only Luffy-kun was here to save me, she muttered. After Dory explaining a bit of where he came from, a volcano erupted in the distance. Well, guess it's time for another duel. Wish me luck, my friends, said Dory as he was lifting himself up. Do you guys really hate each other that much? Said Vivi. It's not about hate, Vivi, it's about pride, right Giant Austin? Said and admired Lucy. That's it, Pipsqueak. Dory grinned as he was about to clash with Brogy, starting their 73,466th battle on the other side of the island. So cool, said Usopp as he watched the battle between the two giants. Hey Usopp, let's take advantage of the situation and run, said Nami, already mentally preparing her navigating senses for a quick run. No, Nami blinked as she heard the most unlikely words coming from the most coward member of the crew. She slowly started to turn her head towards him. I won't run. This right here, Nami. This is a man's fight. Inside of them, there's a flag inside of their hearts whose value is much higher than their lives. That flag is their pride, and they have been defending it for 100 years. This is a battle of pride, heroically said Usopp as he looked at the battle. This is what I'm aiming for, to become a brave warrior of the seas like them, to become a proud warrior. If there's a village full of them, then I would be glad to visit it, he said. Nami looked thoughtful at his declaration and decided to hang around a little more. So you want to be a giant? She playfully said. Didn't you hear what I just said? Lucy's POV. After finishing their battle, which ended in another draw, Dory returned to his two guests. Hey girls, I think some of your nakama are being Brogy's guests, a long-nosed kid and an orange-haired woman, said Dory, already preparing to drink the barrels of rum that he received. Orange hair. That means it's Nami. Is she trying to impress Luffy-kun as well? That bitch, thought Vivi with a frown on her face. Although her medication helped her tone down her adoration for Luffy-kun, it still didn't stop the feeling of jealousy towards her rival. That must be Nami and Usopp. But why are they here? I thought that they wanted to stay on the ship, said Lucy. Maybe because she wanted to wait for her captain to give the orders, unlike a certain person, Koby said another voice. Lucy froze and started to sweat as she recognized it. Slowly turning backwards, she saw her brother, and by the looks of it he wasn't happy. Hey big bro, how you're doing? She asked while stuttering. Vivi also started to get scared that she was going to get in trouble. Luffy just sighed and mentally counted to 10. I'm training with Zoro and Sanji. I was going to invite you, but apparently you don't like training with your brother, he said, before Lucy tackled him into a hug and begged for forgiveness while comically crying. Luffy just smiled and patted her head. I forgive you, Did you protect Vivi? Asked Luffy. He cares for my well-being. Thought a giddy Vivi as she fell backwards. Luffy then looked up and noticed Brogy. As he was going to speak to him, he noticed he was about to drink the barrels. Wait, don't drink that, he screamed, adding a little bit of haki so that he would get Brogy's attention. Brogy stopped and raised an eyebrow at the little man. Why should I do that? Because that rum is really bad. It doesn't have the perfect amount of alcohol for a giant. Here, I have another barrel. Don't worry, I'm the captain, said Luffy, before emerging a barrel of rum with his powers. He then drank a little before giving it to Brogy to prove that it wasn't poisonous. After waiting 5 seconds, Brogy drank the barrel in sight of satisfaction. You're right, this rum is really good, he said, before wiping his face. After this incident, Zoro and Sanji appeared, looking even more battered than before, with Zoro wearing the captain's cardigan after he had ripped his shirt off by accident. This didn't go unnoticed by Vivi, who realized that Luffy-kun was shirtless. This and fantasies about Luffy-kun and Zoro exploring each other lead to Vivi have a major nosebleed, knocking her out for a moment, while Luffy and Zoro had the urge to puke for some reason. Vivi Ch1, are you okay? Asked Sanji. She's fine. Now, I think we can finish our training, since I've been sensing some people following us, said Luffy, before grabbing some of the food that Brogy cooked and giving it to Zoro and Sanji. Can I fight them? Eagerly asked Lucy, receiving a nod from her brother. She grinned and prepared herself. The volcano then erupted, signaling Brogy it was time to fight. Well, I guess I can trust in you making sure that they won't mess up our duel. See ya, said Brogy as he got up and went to fight. After a moment they saw someone running towards them, but then they recognized the nose. Usopp? Lucy asked, not hiding the disappointment in her voice. Lucy, Nami was eaten by a dinosaur, said Usopp as he was crying. Vivi started to grin as she was hearing this. She then turned to see Luffy-kun's reaction, but she didn't find him, only his straw hat. Where's Luffy-kun? Ah, he left already, said that he had to do something and for me to take care of his hat, said Lucy, before noticing more people coming. Nami's POV. Damn that Usopp. He says all that inspirational crap and proceeds to do the exact opposite, Nami said, as she was trying to locate Usopp. After a bit she noticed Luffy leaning on a tree. Luffy, thank God you're here. Luffy, she said, before noticing how Luffy's face was a bit different, like it was a drawing. She then noticed a white liquid coming in front of her, making her cover her face with her arms while screaming. After a second passed she opened her eyes, only to see Luffy grinning down at her. You called, he mockingly said, before putting her down. He then heard clapping and saw Mr. 3 with Miss Golden Week. So you're the one that defeated Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day. You don't look like much, said Mr. 3 with his hands behind his back. Yeah, it was me. Why do you ask? Asked Luffy, while Nami was looking everywhere but him thanks to Luffy being topless. Well, this should be easy. Candle hammer, said Mr. 3 while creating a hammer of wax and launching it towards Luffy. Luffy just deadpanned and punched the wax, breaking it. Hey, screamed Mr. 3 before Luffy quickly got in front of him and punched him, making the wax man fly towards the clearing next to Lucy. Miss Golden Week saw how easily Mr. 3 got defeated and proceeded to beg for her life. I'm sorry, please don't kill me, she said while putting her arms above her head. I don't hurt kids, said Luffy, making the girl look up at him. I'm an adult. Silence. Wait, what? Asked Luffy. I'm not a kid. I'm 17. I'm just a lowly. For now, said Miss Golden Week, while glaring at her breasts. She then got an idea and jumped towards Luffy. Oh, Oni-chan, please spare me. I'm just a vulnerable and innocent girl who doesn't know the truth of the world, which means that I need guidance from my Oni-chan while making him happy in every way I can think of, she said, while whispering those last words in Luffy's ear. Luffy panicked and knocked her out with Conqueror's Haki. I'm so not into that kind of stuff, he said, before turning towards Nami. Let's just go back to the others. Nami started to follow him, before she quickly went back and kicked Miss Golden Week in the stomach. Luffy, puzzled by her actions, asked her why did she do that. Because I hate Golden Week, mainly because it makes Shonen Jump go on break, she said, before noticing how she let a huge secret slip out of her mouth. Luffy just froze and then hugged her. You are officially the best girl I've ever met, he said, before they continued the rest of the trip talking about manga, even though Luffy had already known about Nami's tastes thanks to their talks at night on the Thousand Sunny. I really miss those, he thought as he looked at the girl by his side. Lucy's POV. So this are the guys that tried to fight with Luffy. Idiots, said Lucy while looking at Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day, ignoring Mr. 3's body laying on the ground. So, are you that kid's sister or something? Well, I guess I'll just have to kidnap you to lure him out, said Mr. 5, before picking his nose fancy cannon. Lucy looked up at Mr. 5 and moved her head, dodging the projectile. She then started to run towards them, while dodging a barrage of Mr. 5 attacks. This Valentine's Day, now, screamed Mr. 5, as he prepared another shot. Got it, she said, already up in the air. 10,000 kilogram press. Lucy looked up at the falling enemy and smirked. She then stopped and starting to coil herself. Afterwards, she stretched her arms towards Miss Valentine's Day, surprising her. She then gripped her as tightly as she could and started to swing her around, making the form of a pinwheel. Gamu Gamu no pinwheel. What the hell? Wondered Mr. 5, letting his concentration slip. This proved to be a fatal mistake because Lucy stretched her arms even more, giving her enough range to hit him in the side. Mr. 5 gasped and coughed up large amounts of blood, making him go on the brink of unconsciousness. You bitch, he weakly said, until he noticed he was also spinning. Now, fly, said Lucy, before she launched them with enough momentum to reach a far enough distance. They went by the soaring wind, until they spotted a volcano. Oh crap, both of them thought as they collided with it. Well, that took care of that, said Zoro, before looking at where Lucy was lying on the ground, clearly tired of doing such an immense feat. Sanji was also perplexed by it and quickly went to cheer for his Lucy Swan until he saw something that made his blood boil. You okay? Asked Zoro, as he knelt next to the tired Lucy. Why, yeah, she said, while looking up at the blue sky. Zoro then got up and presented his hand to help Lucy get up. But then he noticed another hand appearing. Lucy Swan, you're so strong and beautiful. Now let me be your knight and carry you. He smoothly ended as he approached Lucy, only to be stopped by Zoro. Oi, she only needs to get up. She doesn't want to be carried, especially by a pervert like you, said Zoro, while glaring at the chef. Oh yeah, well I bet that she probably doesn't want to be manhandled by a brainless brute like you, sneered Sanji as he glared as well, while sparks started to go off between them. Thanks, Usopp. Both of them blinked as they heard those words. Looking to the side, they noticed Usopp with Lucy's arm across his shoulders. No problem, Lucy. Now let's go to where Vivi is so that you can rest, he said, before they walked over to where the food was. As they were walking, Zoro was thinking of ways to chop off Usopp's nose, while Sanji was thinking about the different types of razor blades he was going to put on Usopp's food. When they reached the spot, they saw Luffy and Nami walking back while talking. In Luffy's hand there was a strange object. We're back, guys, Luffy said. I can see that. What are you holding there, Luffy-kun? Said Vivi, as she tried not to explode in a tantrum. Oh, this is an eternal pose for Alabasta. I found it next to one of the Baroque Works agents' house. I think it was Mr. 3, said Luffy as he was juggling it. He then abruptly stood in front of Nami, making her question him. But before she said anything, Vivi jumped and hugged him. Luffy-kun. Now we can reach my country in time to stop Crocodile's plan, said Vivi as she hugged Luffy out of happiness. Luffy didn't expect this, so he turned around with Vivi in his arms, giving Nami a full view of the action. He didn't stop her because he knew that Alabasta was above everything in Vivi's priorities. Only when she started to caress his back did he release her. He then noticed that Nami was looking to the ground and quickly caught on what she was probably thinking. Nami, I slap. Luffy couldn't say anything else because a slap was heard, coming from Nami's hand. You egoistic bastard. Get off of my sight. I hate you, she said, while muttering those last words so that only Luffy could hear them before she stormed off to the ship. Luffy just looked ahead of him. He thought of telling her the reason of why he did that, but he decided not to. Vivi, however, was happy about these events. Not only we can head off to Alabasta, but I finally managed to one-up Nami. But why I'm not that happy about this, she thought, remembering Nami's face. Oi, Luffy, you bastard. What did you do to Nami Swan? Angrily said Sanji, before being pushed off by Zoro. Want me to go after her, Luffy? Asked Lucy, having already recovered a bit by eating. Please do. This jungle is dangerous after all. Let's just say goodbye to Dory and Brogy and set off, said Luffy, before he started to walk off in Dory's direction, while his crew silently followed him. Time skip. After saying their goodbyes and leaving the island through the dead remains of a gigantic goldfish, the Straw Hat crew was finally exploring the seas ahead again. The only one that wasn't happy was Nami, who was still sad about what had happened, now that some time had passed so that she could think a little better. Why did I go so overboard over Luffy hugging Vivi? She probably just hugged him out of happiness and I just started to behave like a bitch. I have to go apologize to him, she thought, now with the resolution to go into the men's quarters to apologize. As she reached them, she started to hear some heavy breathing, but she paid no mind. She entered the room, only to scream and go back to where the rest of the crew was. Nami, what's wrong? Asked Vivi, clearly shaken up by the scream. Luffy's sick. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.